So hey guys, how are you all? I hope you all are doing great. So here is a new video for you guys. So before starting the video, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and also like the video. So in this video, what if Naruto were reared by the Hyuga clan? So this is part 1. If you want the next part, complete 500 likes on this channel and also comment down, and so yeah, without wasting much more time, let's get into the video. All over Konoha the village was crying over the recent loss of Suere, and possibly their Hokage by far the loudest cries could be heard in a room where the cries of a newborn baby were very loud. Konoha's secret room, it's as if he knew he's lost both of his parents. From what Minato told me, the child hasn't stopped crying since Kushina died, said a tall man with spiky white hair. Conversation was being held between only a few Konoha shinobi in the room with a newborn baby. Yesterday we lost many good shinobi civilians, still fear for their lives. Most of the earth is on fire, but on top of everything we have lost our fourth Hokage, and the last heir of the Uzumaki clan, Kushina Uzumaki. The saddest part of all is that this child will not even know what he is like, said the second voice of an old man who seemed to be around 50 years old. Jiraiya, since you are the godfather of this boy, what do you think we should do? Jiraiya began to speak in a low and sad voice. I'm not sure, sensei. I'm sure Minato would want me to take care of the child, but I have to travel a lot, so I'm not sure what I could do. The real question is, what will the village do now Minato died? Without claiming a successor, all the men in the room stood in silence, waiting for the former Kage to speak. Jiraiya-sama has appointed Sarutobi-sama without an Hokage to lead this village. The other villages would see this as an opportunity to attack us. This man was a mature Bakugan user with an expensive kimono. The Sarutobi gang closed eyes and said, I will resume my title of Hokage once more. Until I can find a suitable replacement to lead the village. He faced his former student and one of his most loyal ninja, Jiraiya, and said, Jiraiya, I have a mission for you. After everyone agreed with Sarutobi's decision to retain his title as Hokage, Jiraiya replied, what is the mission you have for me? Sarutobi-sensei, I want you to try and fool the other villages with your spy network so that we have enough time to heal our ninja squads and rebuild Konoha's defenses. Sarutobi instructed him. Jiraiya replied to the old man, Kage, I never intended to use my spy network for that purpose, but it seems I have no other choice. By the way, Sarutobi-sensei, you should change MK's kid's last name to Uzumaki. The older ninja understood what he meant by that, since Minato had many enemies in Iwa, including Akatsuki, even enemies in other parts of the elemental nations. The Uzumaki clan is one that has long since faded away in the darkness, and very few remember the clan very well. I will have to change the child's name. Uzumaki Sarutobi. At that moment, he remembered a very important document. Yasen, I understand that you, Minato Kushina, and your wife Ana had the intention of marrying your two unborn children Hinata and Naruto on their 16th birthday. Yasi answered yes, both my wife and Kushina talked about it, and in the end Minato and I agreed, and he finalized it before his death. Understanding where Sarutobi was going with this, he spoke before doing it. Don't you worry, I will never go back on my word. Yin-Nat will marry Naruto. Nami, I mean Uzumaki, as planned. Demon vessel, her not adding an extra tone to the last part of his statement. Sarutobi, sensing the seriousness in his voice, happily nodded and told them that he would announce Naruto's name as Namikaze on his 15th birthday, or sooner if necessary. The meeting concluded with Sarutobi telling everyone present in the room that anyone who spoke of Naruto being the vessel of the demon would be violating a Class S secret. They don't want him to know anything in relation to the demon, so at least the child can grow up without being rejected by other ninja villagers who didn't know that he was the container of the demon. When everyone was about to leave the room, it was already talked about. Sarutobi-sama, I would like to ask Naruto to stay with me and my clan. My wife would be more than happy to take care of Naruto. Sarutobi said, that would be for the best. Most Jinchuriki are hated just for being the jailer in this moment. He is more valuable than the Sharingan, so he announced that the Hyuga clan will be Naruto's guardian until he turned 16. Yasi, with a happy smile, thanked the old Hokage, and then turned around and picked up the crying baby, and then proceeded to walk out of the room while Sarutobi stood there and watched Naruto go into safe hands. He turned to Jiraiya and asked, why Naruto? Excuse me, he replied. Jiraiya, I wonder why you chose Naruto as a name. Sarutobi looked at Jiraiya before the long-haired ninja wide answer. I was going to ask Minato to name him after one of my former students. He thought about it, and when I told him the name, he wanted to change the parts of the name Gak with Ru, so we came up with Naruto. Jiraiya looked down sadly. He was aware of your student's Eden reign of Tsunade at some point during the war. What was the name you wanted for him originally? The conversation with Jiraiya piqued his interest. Jiraiya just told him the name with pride in his voice. Nagato was going to be called Nagato Kagak. Hyuga clan compound. October 10th was remembered as the day Konoha's Yell Flash killed the Nine-tailed demon fox, who also bravely sacrificed his own life to kill the demon Yasi, walked away from Anbu's hideout with a sleeping baby in his hand. After the important meeting he was called to with Saratobi Girya, he saw that the ninjas and villagers were holding a candle vigil for Minato, which made him happy, knowing that everyone cared about his friend as he approached his unharmed home. By the battle he met his twin brother Ieyasu. Talk to his brother, I got your message. As soon as the fight was over, 20 members of the branch and Hyuga went to look for your wife in the safety zone. She should be here in 10 minutes. Yashi-sama. Yashi never really liked it when his brother refereed him, as if he wasn't his brother, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. He said, Ieyasu, I already told you when the elders aren't around I'm your brother, not your superior. It's already been talked about, I understand that, brother, but it's become a force of habit, Ieyasu said with a smile. Ieyasu then noticed the baby in his brother's arms. Whose child is that? Yashi looked into his brother's wide eyes and whispered, this matter cannot be spoken of in public, let us go inside and wait for the elders and our wives to return, then I will tell you, brother. Ieyasu, still wanting to know, he agreed with his brother's decision and said he would wait. As they headed to they found their way to the Hyuga's main garden and sat down near the pond to watch the fishes koi swim in the water. The silence between the two was great and the younger twin wished to talk, and so when will Anna-chan be expecting? Ieyasu spoke. Breaking the silence, Ieyasu replied to his brother, Anna is expecting our first child Hinata in December. Ieyasu, at one point he was confused about his unborn niece. Why call her Hinata after all? That name means sunny place, and if you look around, well, things aren't so sunny here. Ieyasu smiled and Chan wanted to use the name, and I didn't want to argue. He said Hinata could be the girl that would brighten up the seriousness of the Hyuga clan. Ieyasu couldn't help but laugh. She yelled, "You right." Ieyasu didn't respond verbally, but instead gave him a wider smile. A few minutes later, he asked, anyway brother, how are you? Nick, as he spoke to his brother still with his smile. It's okay, it's with my wife in. Before he could say more, the door leading to the garden opened and revealed some older men and women as well as two other women and a small baby. One was wearing basic Hyuga clothing, her hair was tied in a low ponytail, and she was holding a child in her left arm. The other was wearing an expensive kimono with a second kimono over her shoulders, pink shunsui debal with flower designs from the banda, but she had one that was noticeable. This woman was pregnant. Both men moved quickly towards their wives to hug them. After an event like tonight, the four of them stood hugging each other before finally Yasi's wife spoke. After noticing that in her arm was a small baby. Darling, who is the child you have there? Anna asked him curiously, noticing the eyes of the elders, his wife, brother and sister-in-law, all stared at him waiting for him to answer, and so he took a deep breath and told them, what I have to tell you is considered a rank S secret, so speaking of this matter outside of these walls will result in your death, no matter how loudly you think you are using seriousness in your voice. And with his smile gone, he spoke of again, I must have your word that none of you will tell anyone what I am about to tell you. All those gathered there nodded in fear of what was so important that if they spoke they would be killed, and with a serious tone he announced, as everyone knows, Minato Namikaze died today protecting the village against the Kyuubi. Everyone nodded again. What they don't know is that he didn't kill the demon, but sealed the monster. Everyone laughed. Everyone thought the monster was dead. One of the elders spoke, where is this monster, and why aren't we doing anything to kill it once and for all? Yasi replied, the demon is safely sealed by two of Konoha's greatest seal masters and Tahu Jiraiya. Everyone let out a sigh of relief hearing that at least the monster's escape was impossible. With two of the greatest specialists in sealed Funjutsu, Kana, Yasi's wife spoke up, where is the demon being held? Having said that, everyone came closer in anticipation. Yas now grew even more worried. Reaching out to Naruto, slightly removing some of his blanket from his stomach, revealing the seal. The demon is sealed here with this baby as the demon's ward, so think of this child as the prison demon guard and warden. Everyone's jaws dropped when they heard him say this, but they were even more shocked when he said it. Everyone welcomed Naruto Uzumaki into our home, as from this day forward he will live here. Smiling, he looked at his smiling wife and spoke, looking at a sleeping Naruto, welcome to your new home Konogaki, your family. After talking with the remaining elders and Hyuga, after announcing it Naruto's day at the compound, and Hyuga all eventually decided it was for the best, as most Jinchuriki are not welcome in most villages, if any at all. All the ninja and Hyuga who were Jounyunbu knew Naruto's prisoner and all saw him as the hero that their friend and comrade Minato would have wanted them to see him as. Very few within the clan felt any sort of hatred or ill intentions towards him. The baby not including the rest of the ninjas and villagers of Konoha. It was already known that some of the elders and Hyuga did not trust the lives of their clan members and comrades in the tiny hands of a baby. 232 and Hyuga complex, three shadowy figures moved outside the walls of the clan and Hyuga, arriving at a place where they had talked about meeting for a few nights. Okay, first we need a distraction. I want you two to attack the main gate while I slip in without being noticed. The other two ninjas nodded. I sneak in once you two hear the signal. Understood. Again, both ninjas agreed. One spoke before starting, what will we do next? Even if we succeed, the Hyuga clan will have our heads for even setting foot on a pebble in their home. I was starting to have doubts. You don't understand. There's no turning back after this, so just before the ninja finished his body began to spasm out of control. The other two ninjas stood up to see Hyuga standing behind their leader, with the palm of his hand extended in front of them, plotting to kill a member of the Hyuga family. Although he has no blood ties to us, an attack on one of my family is an attack on all of us. The two ninjas turned to flee. But just as they turned their backs on their attacker, both men were struck in the center of the back by the leader of the Hyuga clan, and so the darkest parts of hell are reserved for traitors. You betrayed this village the moment you plotted the death of this boy, and if he spoke with venom on his breath, the two men spasmed and died like their leader, falling to the ground face to the first blood. Coming out of their mouths, ears, eyes and nose, Yasi turns to the other Hyugas who arrived just in time and tells them to get rid of the bodies and that he will speak to the Hokage the next morning. Yaz saw his brother appear just in time to see how they took the three dead. Lee's ninjas walked towards Yasi, saying there is no way they could have gotten so close to the complex. Obviously they had. LP Yasi gritted his teeth. Obviously we have someone in our own clan who wanted this assassination to take place with the ninjas out of their sight. Yaz, yes, he tried to contemplate who was the traitor or traitors who wanted to kill Naruto. 2 weeks later on December 27th, Yasi waiting patiently with Naruto in his arms, as well as an old Hyuga and 10 bodyguards from the Hyuga branch family. Aiza's and as between the bodyguards they waited for what seemed like an eternity before the doors opened and revealed a busty blonde ninja walking towards Yasi. Hyuga, Yasi. She greeted him with a formal bow. Your wife is fine, she is healthy, and your daughter is just as healthy, you can see them both. Now my only request, Yasi, is that you attend and 2 more can enter. Be brief, she needs as much rest as she can. Already he bowed to the Sannin and thanked him. He turned to Itachi and his father and asked them to join him inside, walking in with Tsunade following close behind them. Anna was lying on the bed with a baby she was crying in her hand, and her sister-in-law Akana standing beside her smiling and looking at the time. Father Yasi, hi darling, look at your new daughter. Yada. Yasi look at his daughter and gives a Naruto whimper to Kana to hold him as he holds his newborn daughter again. One of his rare smiles appears once again. She is so beautiful. Anna Akuna to her daughter in her arms. Yaz and Kana get closer to see her better. Then it happened. Little Naruto and Hinata fell silent as the two were close to each other. This sparked their interest greatly in what was happening, so he held Hinata closer too. Naruto, and to everyone's amazement the two barely nodded in each other's direction and held out their hands. Anna smiling proudly announces it seems Naruto was waiting for his wife to enter the world, as it's the first time since you brought him home I've seen him give any sign of happiness. All the Hyuga, except his father, agreed and placed them in a crib next to Anna and watched as the two smiled and tried to hug each other. Tsunade marked this in his doctor's record as the day the future prodigy and the heiress hugged each other, turning to leave and let the Hyugas and the Uzumaki have some time to take in what had just happened. Truly a very happy day for the Hyugas. 4 years after Rai9's birth, the 8 of the 9 meet for the first time at Towson Park. Why do Choi and I have to go to the park? I'd rather watch the clouds while Choji eats his fries. Shikamaru asking his father. Shikaku and his friend Choza were walking with their 2 kids to the park and were upset with Shikamaru, who was being lazier than him, because if you don't go your cousin will get on my ass for not taking you anywhere, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to make her mad. Plus Inoichi and his daughter Ino-chan will be there too. Choza interrupted and said to little Nara, yes, we will have the old school and not Shikcho there, as well as the new generation. He looked at his son Choji and saw him eating a bag of BBQ chips. The 4 of them they walked a bit before meeting Inoichi and his daughter Ino. Before reaching the park, Shikaku thought to himself, Inoichi had the worst situation, having a daughter instead of a son. That can't be easy for him. The 6 continued their way to the park, and when they approached the park, they saw Sakura talking to a very noisy Inyazuka boy. Hey Sakura-chan, look son. Shikamaru no, and Choji shouted Kiba. No, Kamaru won't be born yet. Sakura covering her ears replied, Kiba-kun, you don't have to shout, I'm here. Sakura, she took this opportunity to run towards her best friend Ino. The rest of the children joined their 2 friends who were waiting. The blonde and the pink-haired girl went through a garden to make some flower necklaces, and the boy Kiba tried to get Shikamaru and Choi to participate in a game, while the Ino Shikao trio watched from a park bench, remembering old times when out of nowhere someone spoke behind them. It's been a long time, Shikaku-san. Joan and Noi and the 3 men were instantly startled and turned to each other, turned to see Shibi Abiram and his son Shino standing behind the 3TR hut, spoke to him and said, you know you would make an excellent Anbu ninja. By the way you sneak up on us. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or insult me, since my friends don't really know I've been standing here for a while. Shibi said with sarcasm in his voice, anyways I have a clan meeting to go to, so would you mind taking care of Shino for me until I get back? It shouldn't take long. The 3 men who had getting over the embarrassment of not realizing how long they were standing there, they nodded. Shibi nudged Shino to go play and watched as his son joined Shikamaru in watching the others before disappearing. The 3 of Sat there watching the children protectively when they saw Ana Hyuga and Kana Hyuga walking towards the playground with Hinata holding her mother's left hand and Naruto holding her other hand. The children stopped and looked at the blue-eyed blonde boy and at the young Hyuga. Okay, you two can play here as long as you want, Kana, and I will be sitting on the bench over there watching you two, okay? Ana told the two. Naruto was the first to speak as he held Hinata's hand. Obasan Hinata, and I don't know any of these kids, why can't we just play in the garden? Hyuga with name Hinata standing next to Naruto nodded silently. Kana spoke. Nay is with his father doing some important training. Before I don't think Njai would want to train, if he knew you and Hinata were playing in the park, he would be here. With you two playing too. She knew how much Naruto cared about others and cared about himself. Second, Ana spoke, and besides Naru-chan, it is important to make friends outside so that when you two enter the academy together, you both have more friends to come and play with, right? She said with her angelic smile. She and her sister-in-law slowly walked to a bench in front of the three Hing who recognized. Inoichi spoke to the other. Then that isn't that Ana Hyuga Yasi Shikaku's wife? She answered yes, and that is her daughter Hinata Hyuga, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the other woman is Kana Hyuga Yashi's wife. She paused for a moment before saying that's the boy. No, the jailer of the Kyuubi hut smiled and said nostalgic no. Inoichi Shikaku. They looked at Hut confused. He looks like their old man. No, the two older men agreed that he looked a lot like their father. They were one of the few who saw Naruto as the hero that he was. They were watching as Naruto and Hinata approached the children and waited to see how things would turn out. Naruto stopped at the playground, still holding Hinata's hand. He greeted the children. Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. It's nice to meet you all. Hinata spoke after the words hidden partly behind Naruto holding his hand tightly. MMNN name is H. Hinata H. Hyuga. Naruto hoped that having more friends would help Hinata overcome her shyness around new people. All the children responded. Hello, my name is Kiba. Inuzuka yelling at them that he got hit in the head by Ino. Kiba, stop yelling, they're standing in front of you anyway. Hello, my name is Ino Yamanaka. Shikamaru said lazily. Hello, nice to meet you. Your name Shikamaru. Nara Munch. My name is Choji Munch. Akamichi Munch. Nice to meet you, he said eating some fries standing near Choji. The Abiram boy told me my name is Shino. That's all. Sakura was the last one. My name is Sakura Runo. I hope we can all be good friends. Naruto and Hinata nodded and the blonde boy dragged Hinata with him so they could join the kids in playing on the swing slides, jungle gym, etc. Ana and Kana looked on and smiled as the trio looked on and thought Hut broke the silence. I wonder where they are. Fugaku Uchiha and his second son Sasuke Uchiha is about his age. No, Inoichi replied yes, he is. Fugaku probably feels his son is too good to play outside the walls. Uchiha Shikaku frowning. Maybe so. Lately, he's been obsessed with his eldest son Itachi. Most of the members of the Uchiha clan are locking themselves away in the Uchiha compound inside the Uchiha main house, but outside of Fugaku's study sat himself and his second son Sasuke. Sasuke, I want you to become more like your brother, be stronger than you are. Now when you turn 8, I will enroll you in the academy, you will become number 1 in your class, until then you will remain within the compound. Understood, Fugaku said in a stern voice. Sasuke nodded slowly and fully understood what did his father mean. Itachi on the other hand was standing outside his father's study listening to the conversation, putting his ninja skill to good use without his father noticing, and thought to himself, father is up to something and it revolves around him. Yes, Sasuke and Itachi might sense something wrong since ever since the attack 4 years ago his father has been doing more missions than he normally would and has been giving more children of the clan tougher training. His father and his clan members were obviously up to something, but he wouldn't find out. Hearing his father and brother talk, deciding he'd done enough more spying in silence, he said goodbye to his house and the compound to gather his thoughts. Cone playground. Walking around the village helped calm him down. If he walked around his compound, he would be bombarded with praise from his clan members for not giving him the peace he so desperately wants right now, so he started walking towards the park. The 9 rookies were playing in to clear his head, his mind, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw a blindingly blonde-haired boy laughing and playing. Itachi saw that's the boy they told me about. He continued to watch and he got a strange feeling about him, like a tug pulling him in their direction. He passed unnoticed by the 3 clan heads and the 2 Hyuga women and he just kept staring at the blonde boy for a while longer. Naruto Uzumaki, what is this feeling of anticipation in my head? He immediately shook his head and continued his walk through the village, finding a place to sit as he watched the sunset, wanting to find out what his father had planned. Sunset at the tower of the leader of a Megakure village. Anzo sits at his desk, waiting for the daily report of the village, when he is interrupted when a ninja came flying through his door, with a black staff sticking out of his chest. Anzo slowly stood up and saw the assailant enter his office and head towards the dead ninja, pulling the staff out of the corpse. He knew sooner or later you would come for your revenge. Anzo spoke without mutate. The lone figure stood there looking at the spear, ready for battle, swinging his weapon, causing blood to fall to the ground. Anzo stood looking the man in the eyes and pulled out his trusty Oz strap to Is back ready for battle, let's end this now. Nagato Yukami. Yes, I made up the last name. The man stood there with hatred in his turquoise eyes stuck to Anzo until the ninja's eyes began to change both color and appearance. Anzo immediately knew what he was doing and charged at the ninja, and all his might. Megakur explosions and battle cries could be heard throughout the village. No ninja dares approach the battle. A spectator watched and spoke about the battle. He will win. No one's pain is greater than his own. Slowly looking up at the clouds as it was once again going to rain, the spectator spoke again. The sky cries for its pain and mine. Children's park denoted. A pink-haired woman walked into the park and yelled, "Sakura, it's time to go home." Sakura turned around and said to the others, "Bye. Guys, I'll see you soon, okay?" All the kids waved back. Sakura ran to her mother. "Kasan, I had a great time today and I made 2 new friends. They are very nice." Sakura's mother nodded with a smile and asked, "Who are your new friends?" Sakura immediately replied, "Hinata, Hyuga, and Naruto Uzumaki." Sakura's mother froze at the last name her daughter said before saying, "Sakura-chan, I know you just met him, but be careful around that guy, okay?" Sakura was confused and asked why. "Kasan is very kind and very protective of Hinata-chan." Sakura's mother told her, "Sakura, just promise me that you'll be careful with that boy, okay?" Sakura, still confused, said okay, and the two walked back home holding hands. Shikaku, noticing Sakura's mother's expression, Sakura and could only guess what was wrong before noticing Shibi appearing behind him and his friend. Surprisingly, this time he noticed it. Shibi looked at the 3 of them before speaking. "Thank you for taking care of my son for me." The 3 of them said it was the least they could do. "Could you do for a friend?" Shibi yelled. "Shino, it's getting late. It's time to go." Shino quickly turned around and without a word he said goodbye to the kids and left. Then what surprised everyone the most was that he turned around looking at Naruto and said, "I hope we can meet again at the academy." Naruto looked back at him and said that, "I hope to." Shino turned around and ran to his father and the two disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Kiba slowly sniffed the air and looked at everyone and said, "Hey guys, I can smell the scent of my mother and sister nearby, so that's my cue to run away. It was nice meeting you, Naruto-san." And so did Hinata-chan. Naruto looked at him and shook his hand and Hinata smiled and waved goodbye to him. Kiba started running on all 4s away from the park. Anna and Kana stood up and yelled, "Naru-chan and Nat-chan, I think it's time for us to go too." Naruto turned around and yelled at the two, "It's okay, Abbas." And Naruto looked at Ino, Shikamaru and Joy said, "It's great that Hinata-chan and we've met. I hope you can think of us too as your friends." Shikamaru looked at Naruto and said, "No problem, you can come and spend the night whenever you want as long as it's okay with me." Kaisen Choji just nodded. Ino looked at them and said, "Of course you're our friends, and besides, Hinata-chan can spend the night at my house. I know she doesn't want to spend the day with a bunch of guys." Hinata looked at Ino and said, "I'd like that, H-chan, and you can come spend the night soon." She surprised herself when she noticed that she didn't stutter that once the 5 of them said goodbye and watched as Naruto and Hinata ran hand in hand towards the 2 women and Hyuga. The Hino Shikcho trio approached his children and asked them if they had fun. The 3 of you all 3 nodded and the 6 of you began your way home. 6 days later to Megakure, a shadowy figure in red armor and a giant fan looked at the city and then looked at the ninja to his right. Yu and Anzo took the city and turned it into a battlefield. He was a really strong ninja. The ninja didn't say anything and he looked at all of his rain ninja followers and now at the former followers of he launched and spoke, "From this day on I am your new leader. You will follow me without hesitation and you will have an eternal loyalty towards me. Understood?" All the ninjas that were standing shouted that they would follow him to the end. The man in red armor looked and couldn't help but smile and thought to himself, "Maybe I could be useful to him after all," and his smile became more sinister with that thought in his head. Konoha Gakure. Another 4 years passed since the 8 rookies of Konoha they met in the park the year after Naruto and Hinata's 5th birthday on March 27th. Hinata's little sister Anabi was born. Naruto and Hinata walked to the academy for their first day with Miji. Since he was a grade above them, he decided to walk with them, along with 3 Yugchuning ranked bodyguards behind them. During Naruto's 8 years of life there have been 54 attempts on his life. 7 of them injured Naruto to the point that he had to go to the hospital for confinement. Prolonged most of these occurred when he was playing with his friends in the park. Both the Hokage and Yasi were so enraged that any ninja who tried to take Naruto's life was killed without trial. Any villager who attempted an assault was imprisoned or killed. This made everyone who thought of Naruto as a demon stay away from the blonde. Although the 8-year-old boy didn't know why these people wanted him dead, Naruto became best friends with all the boys he met the day at the park, but hangs out with Shino and Shikamaru in particular. Hinata became friends with both Sakura and Ino. When they got to the school grounds, the bodyguards told the 3 of them that they would be near the school, just in case. Naruto hated having people watching him like a hawk, but never questioned Yasi's authority. Walking through the grounds, Nei noticed a crowd of girls in an area that didn't go unnoticed by Naruto and Hinata too. "I wonder what's going on there," Hinata said in a whisper. Naruto told her he probably said something important. Naruto at that moment made eye contact with Neji. Somehow these two didn't need to talk to understand each other. Neji whispered Hyuga. The lines like veins around his eyes showed that he was indeed a Hyuga. Ne looked at the crowd and noticed a black-haired boy in the center. Ne immediately realized who the boy was. He smiled and looked at Naruto. No one can't handle Naruto, that's Sasuke Uchiha, the second son of the Uchiha clan. Ne knew that Naruto was stronger than Sasuke. Flashback, that's true that when they are young, Hyuga children undergo intensive training for hours. This also included Naruto, despite protests from some of the Hyuga elders. Yaz, if he was teaching Ne Naruto and Hinata the basics, while his wife Anna watched while feeding the baby, and Nabayasi told them to train some exercises. He walked over to where his wife and baby were sitting and slowly lifted an Anna up. He spoke to her husband. Naruto seems to have created his own fighting style. Yasi looked at her and said he not only did he create one, but two. He calls it Muai and Yaitsu. Those two styles go well with the way he fights. Anna looked confused. Let me explain it, says that Mutai, the art of 8 limbs, uses both hands, elbows, shins and knees to fight you. Is strange, but he said that he would only use it to break the bones of the one he is fighting when he grabs them and throws them to the ground. If you read my profile, yes, I see you. I didn't like how Naruto doesn't have any fighting style at first, so I gave him Yu and Yaitsu. He has taught himself some valuable jutsu and other things too when he's in the library. Hyuga studying alone. Yaz finishing her statement. Anna with a worried look on her face. He hasn't tried any of these on anyone, right? Yaz smiled at her and told her that he supervises her training using shadow clones. Ne listened to everything her uncle and aunt were saying and took this moment to seriously fight Naruto with the idea of Naruto getting stronger so he could have a real fight with Naruto. End of memory. Ne told her Naruto get stronger. Naruto looking at Ne confused, asked how come. Ne Neji without making eye contact with Naruto replied, so you can show everyone that you can do something on your own and not be bound by fate. He thought to himself, saying almost the same words his father told him. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything because of how you were born. Saying this, Ne walked away to his class. I will be the only one to defeat you. Stopping looking back, he whispered, I don't care which one of us wins, as long as let's have a good fight. After Ne told Naruto to get stronger, and Nada was smiling because she knew that Naruto was the one who helped her overcome her shyness and her depressive mood, and that he was the one who was brightening up the life of the Hyuga clan. She also knows that everything Neji said was true. Naruto had more will in him than any other ninja around. He never goes back on his word. He gets stronger every time they train, but he was much kinder to everyone, just like his mother Neji. He's never been one to lie to make others feel better, she thought, tugging at the sleeve of his shirt. She tells him, Naruto, let's go in too and find a seat so we can sit next to each other. Nodding at Hinata's request, they walked in, greeted their friends, and waited for the rest of the female population of the class to attend class. This includes Hino and Sakura, not noticing the gaze of a ninja upon them, a shadowy figure in Anbu attire sitting in a tree watching and listening to what Neji was saying to himself. No, if I can help it, I'll be the one to fight Naruto. Uzumaki, this boy, it'll be something special. Retreating towards the Hokage tower, thinking to himself, let's see if I can persuade the Hokage to let me become a hin, so I can have my own squad running and jumping from one building to another. He says to himself with a Sharingan activated, this will be very interesting. I've found someone that I bet will really give me a challenge. Inside the academy, everyone was sitting and ready to begin their lessons. Some were talking amongst themselves and others were sitting in silence waiting for their sensei to arrive. There was a sudden rustling of leaves as two ninjas appeared before the children. One had slightly blue hair and the standard ninja attire. The second had the same attire, except he had brown hair and a ponytail and a noticeable scar on his face. Okay, everyone calm down and listen to my name. My name is Iruka Amino, and this is Mitsuki. Here you will address us. As they understood Iruka sensei and Mitsuki sensei, Iruka spoke in a warm tone. All the kids started to nod. Mizuki spoke. Okay, let's start with the introductions. I can assume some of you already know each other, but still talk to each other for at least 10 minutes to get better acquainted with your other classmates. The kids nodded and started walking and talking to everyone. Well, almost everyone. Naruto was walking towards some kids when he noticed some were moving away from him. Yinnat too, he noticed this. He put Naruto's shirt on and said, let's go to Shikamaru and the others. Naruto nodded slowly, and as he walked away he heard the students trying to whisper, but he still caught what they were saying. My mom told me to stay away from him. Yeah, my mom told me the same thing. My dad said something about him being some kind of monster, something like that. I saw him in a park and I saw a ninja try to attack him, but a Hyuga stopped the man and killed him. Right there, they are the Hyuga, the guardians of the children. The Hokage will probably make him, so that must mean he's a monster if a powerful clan like the Hyugas has to watch over him. Naruto couldn't help but feel pain in his chest as he remembered some of the attempts on his life, and he never knew why. When he went to the hospital for the first time, all he could hear was Nat Yana's crying because he had a broken arm and a stab wound in the chest just below the left lung, almost a Fatal wound. Why do people hate me? What did I do to deserve so much hate? He thought to himself. They don't understand you kid. The head of Naruto immediately stood up and looked around confused. Whoever spoke to him sounded like it was right in his ear. Hinata turned around to see Naruto looking around quickly. Naruto-kun, is something wrong? He looked at Hinata and asked Hinata-chan, did you hear a deep voice just now? Hinata looked around and shook her head. No, Naruto-kun, I didn't hear anyone else's voice. I only hear the students, and none of them have deep voices. Naruto took one more look around before saying, it doesn't matter, it's probably just my imagination. He grabbed her hand and walked towards Shikamaru, who was sitting with Choji. As they walked towards Shikamaru and Choi's desk, they passed by Sasuke's seat and all his female fans were fighting for his attention. For some reason Naruto looked up, and at that moment Sasuke did too. The two stared into each other's eyes for what seemed like hours, until Sasuke broke their gaze and looked away. Naruto continued walking towards his friends holding Sasuke's hand. Hinata. Sasuke thought to himself, remembering what Itachi asked his father this morning before he left for school. Flashback. Goodbye Karasanadi Tausen, I'm going to school. Mikoto was in the kitchen cleaning, while Fugaku sat at the table in front of his older brother. Sasuke wanted to get out quickly so he wouldn't get caught by his mother's incessant kisses. Before he ran out the door, he heard his father and brother talking to each other, which made him froze before grabbing the front door handle. Tell me father a little more of this. Naruto Uzumaki. Itachi spoke with his usual look. Fugaku looked up and Mikoto left washing the dishes and turned to look at her eldest son. Why do you want to know about that boy? Why would you show interest in him? He asked Fugaku. I'm not sure how to explain it father. The first day I saw him I had this feeling of anticipation. This has happened on many occasions before. I fight someone I know will make me fight to save my life. Fugaku couldn't believe what he was hearing, that his son was about to say that this Naruto kid might be someone he should be worried about. He closed his eyes and asked, why would you care about Hyuga's pet? I saw him train one day in one of the training camps that Yasi used one day for the kid, and his fighting style and his determination to never die is something to admire. I must say that I am really intrigued with this kid. Itachi was about to let his father speak again before he interrupted him. Never mind Sasuke-kun, I know that you're there. Immediately, Sasuke froze and heard his brother say, wait outside, I'll take you to school today. Itachi, Fugaku and Mikoto heard Sasuke's voice. Okay Nikki. Then everyone heard the door close. Itachi stood up and as he walked away he said to his father, I can't explain it, but I will soon. Then he turned around and walked away. End of the memory. Sasuke remembered that neither he nor his brother spoke on the way to school. Only when they got to school, his brother just said that he would pick up after school. After Naruto walked past him he turned around and looked at Naruto sitting next to Shikamaru and Choji still holding Hinata's hand. The four of them were laughing and talking about something. What is it that has Itachi so confused? Maybe he can figure it out for the next 4 years. Sasuke's fangirls started blocking his view of Naruto, and he went back to his annoying life of being surrounded by all these girls, except Yada. The day continued with Iruka and Miyuki telling the students what they would learn during this first week. By the end of the week we will have a sparring match this first week. You will be graded on the questions we will ask you and your endurance in the exercises you will be doing. Miyuki finished saying, so show up tomorrow and we will have your lessons ready for you tomorrow. You are all dismissed. Everyone got up from their seats and began to leave. Nalos was waiting outside Naruto and Hinata's classroom and sees Naruto, Yada, Shikama, Choji, Shino and Kiba. They all walked out talking about lessons before the 7 of them started to split up before reaching the main gate. Sasuke then walked out with of course his admirers and looked up to see Itachi waiting for him. Sasuke, how was your first day? He asked him. It was fun, we just talked to the other classmates to get to know them, Sasuke said with a pout in his voice. The two were about to walk away when Itachi's eyes looked at Naruto, Nae and Nada, who were walking in his general direction. Itachi, he put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder and said, wait here Sasuke. And some of the girls watched him walk towards Naruto and the other two Hyugas. The 3 of them were smiling and talking. But Naruto bumped into something which fell to the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. Naruto looked up and saw a man with completely black hair and eyes wearing black sandals, pants and a shirt with a small Uchiha crest on the left side of his chest. You are Naruto Uzumaki, right? Hinata and Nae helped Naruto up. I am you. Who are you? Itachi smiled, which didn't go unnoticed by the remaining students who were there and knew who Itachi was. My name is Itachi Uchiha. I am Sasuke's older brother. Naruto bowed politely, as did Hinata. Iji, nice to meet you Itachi-san. This is my older brother Nini, my fiancé Ina-chan. Both are Hyugas. Itachi also bowed. Pleased to meet the Hyuga heir and the main son of the family branch. I thought it would be appropriate of me to meet you in particular. Naruto looked at him confused before he could ask. Itachi raised his hand towards Naruto and said, you will know very soon. I will take my leave now. Goodbye Naruto-kun. Nae-kun. Yachin. With another bow he turned and walked towards Sasuke, who seemed to have jealousy in his eyes. Do you mind Sasuke-kun? Sasuke looked at him and growled. Itachi just smiled, but deep down, he made a wide smile, thinking all I have to do is wait for Here's I should bring him the box some takeout and good tobacco from my next mission. As a thank you gift the two brothers and some girls walked away, much to Sasuke's chagrin. Tower to Megakure sitting on the roof of the tower, letting the rain hit her head. She hears footsteps approaching. Pain. You have a visitor. A woman spoke wearing a simple black cape, a piercing on her lower lip, blue hair and an origami flower on it. Turning around to look at her, there was a red-haired man with the same outfit and some piercings and earrings, a piercing that went through his left and right eyebrow, but most noticeable were the 6 rings in his eyes. Who is this visitor? Conan looking at his longtime friend speaks. Jiraiya-sama is here to talk to you, and apparently it is something quite important. Pain tells him I might have an idea why he is here. Rest assured I intend to simply talk to him, even though he invaded my village. What happened next shocked her. Pain began to laugh. Not once since the death of his friend Yako has she let out a giggle, but she was laughing. Conan walked out to look for his former teacher Konohagakure compound and Hyuga. It had been 4 weeks since the first day of the future rookie 9 and Naruto was ranked 3rd out of the top 3, with Hinata taking his place in 5th place. However, Iruka was a little worried about Naruto since he recently wasn't trying to participate in the training matches with the other kids, so he wanted to talk to his guardians. He walked from the school to the Hyuga house and met the guards at the front gate and asked to speak to Yasana. I would like to speak to Lord Yasuyana Hyuga about Naruto Uzumaki, please. He bowed to the guards. Hyuga immediately went to look for them, then came back about 10 minutes later. Lori Asi and Lina will meet you in the main study. I will take you there, he said politely. Thank you. Iruka bowed, and one of the guards led him inside towards the study. He was feeling a little nervous since it was his first time in one of the clan houses, especially he would call them to the academy. They stopped in front of a room with 2 doors. The guardie knocked on the door and said, Sir Yashi, Iruka-sensei is here. Very well, let him in. Yashi's voice could be heard from the other side of the doors. The door opened and Iruka walked in to see Yashi sitting in his chair with his wife sitting to his right and was surprised to see Naruto sitting on a mat in front of Yashi. Looking a little nervous, Iruka walked over to the empty carpet next to Naruto. He bowed formally and then took a seat. Thank you, Yama, for seeing me on the shortest of notices, he said politely, looking into his eyes. Naruto has done something wrong? Asked Yashi seriously, looking into Iruka's eyes. No, Yashi-sama, Naruto is a very good student, Iruka said as drops of sweat fell down the side of his face. Then why are you here? Anna spoke this time, wondering what that problem was. Well, she turns to look at Naruto and noticed a worried look in his eyes, as if he had done something wrong. Sitting up straight, he said, Naruto is ranked 3rd in the class. Usana. They smiled and looked at Naruto. Before they could speak, you came here to tell me that I don't feel like Naruto is not motivated enough. He has become more tense, and it seems as if something is bothering him, which has affected his performance in class. He has beaten Sasuke Uchiha several times during the first 2 weeks at the academy in sparring matches. It's just that afterwards he seems old Zane and deliberately loses to Sasuke, and Shino tries to maintain the position as 3rd instead of trying to go higher, Iruka explained to the two of them. Yashi turned his gaze to look at Naruto. Immediately Naruto made eye contact with Yashi. Is what Iruka-sensei says true? Naruto nodded weakly. Then Yashi looked at Yashi, tilting his head slightly, and said, Iruka-sensei, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Naruto is not one to run home giving his grades to the other Hyugas. Iruka bowed, then turned to say goodbye. Once the door Iruka left closed, Anna looked at Naruto and said, Naruto, why don't you want to stay on top? Anna spoke. Naruto always felt safe when Anna was around. No, is that Yashi scared him? He just liked her maternal instincts. Naruto again made eye contact with Yashi and started talking. Well, it's just that I wanted to make as many friends as I could, but when I beat Sasuke for the first time, everyone started saying that I cheated. He tells them the story of his first sparring match flashback. Alright kids, Iruka-sense, I'd like to see where you stand in terms of fighting since the first week is almost over. Let's have you all train against each other, selecting the ones that have the highest points during this week, Miyuki-sensei told the kids. He then looked at Iruka. The two teachers nodded as Iruka read the names on their papers. Let's have Naruto Uzumaki versus Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto and Sasuke walked away from their classmates and entered the designated sparring ring. Sasuke looked at Naruto standing there with a smile on his face. I'm going to wipe that smile off your face, Sasuke thought. Naruto watched as Sasuke made eye contact with him and saw him do the traditional Uchiha look. You can't. Naruto just smiled, walked up to Sasuke and asked, hey Sasuke, I know we don't really know each other, but do you want to be friends? Naruto held out his right hand to Sasuke. Iruka and Mizuki watched and saw Sasuke push Naruto's hand away and say to him, why would I want to be friends with a little urchin like you? Iruka frowned at that and wished that Sasuke would get off his high horse and make real friends. Mizuki was also disappointed to hear everyone cheering Sasuke on for what he just did. Thinking it was cool, Naruto didn't say nothing. He just took a few steps back and got into his fighting stance, which confused everyone since this was his own fighting style. Sasuke took a step back and also got into a fighting stance. Miyuki walked to the center and told This is a training match to see where they are in terms of skill. Don't stop unless you feel the need to. And if things get serious, yuck sense, yo will stop the match. Understood. Both boys nodded, understanding what they had just said very well. It starts. Sasuke immediately charged at Naruto with a flurry of punches and kicks sent at Naruto. At this point, Naruto was only using his hands to stop Sasuke's attacks as well as back up to avoid and even allow some punches and kicks to connect. Sasuke was starting to think, why should Itachi care about this weakling? He hasn't tried to hit me even once. The crowd looked on cheering his name, which only boosted Sasuke's ego. Hinata stood in the crowd and looked with some worry in his eyes. Shikamaru was standing next to Hinata and was asking him why he doesn't defend himself. Hinata turned to look at Shikamaru and said, Naruto, he always does this when he has to train with me, with Migi or with the other kids, and Hyuga he's good at defending. But he does this to get a feel for the person's kicks and punches, speed, power and accuracy. Naruto is analyzing Sasuke and he doesn't even know it. He's setting him up for a big surprise. Hinata said that last part with a smile. Naruto started to think his speed is tied to Hinata's. The power isn't very good. He links his attacks and follows them perfectly, but I can already read his style. He still goes for my face and rarely attacks the lower part of my body. After finishing his analysis, Naruto took a good jump back and positioned himself. Sasuke's fans continue cheering, giving him a superior look. That's all the mascot of a maybe the Hyuga lack strength. Naruto's eyes tilted and he looked more serious, extending his left hand. He made the bring it gesture, which greatly annoyed Sasuke, who charged blindly at Naruto and again sent a right fist towards Naruto, and the last thing he remembered was Naruto's right leg coming up fast for Sasuke to predict, since he didn't have a Sharingan in Naruto's foot connected with his jaw, stopping Uchiha in his tracks. Recovering as fast as he could, he looked at him and tried to kick him in the ribs. Sasuke's kick connected, but Naruto followed him, grabbing Sasuke's leg and pulled it towards him, making him lose his balance, and Naruto struck out with his right fist and hit Sasuke right in the nose. As the Uchiha fell, Naruto continued his assault, grabbing Sasuke's arm and began to pull on Sasuke's arm. Naruto whispered to Sasuke, Yagai won. Naruto fell on his back, still holding Sasuke's arm with his right leg across his face and his left leg across his chest. Naruto began to raise his hips, causing Sasuke's elbow to bend at an angle that shouldn't cause pain. Sasuke could feel his elbow was about to break, but before Naruto could complete the block, he let go and stood up, looking at Sasuke, who was rubbing his elbow. As he stood up, Naruto said to him, Sasuke, I really don't want to hurt you, so let's get this over with. Sasuke was now angry and yelled, I won't give up, you got lucky, and that won't happen again. Letting anger get the better of him, he tried to punch Naruto. Naruto barely dodged the punch and barely received a cut on his cheek and quickly threw both hands around from the back of Sasuke's head on his neck and squeezed it hard in one swift motion. With his grip still tight, he pushed back and then brought his head down, and Naruto raised his right knee and punched Sasuke in the nose again. Iruka noticed Sasuke not moving, assuming he was knocked out. Iruka walked over to Naruto and gently pushed him away. As Mitsuki ran toward Sasuke, Miyuki saw the boy's nose was bleeding and probably broken. Miyuki then announced Naruto Uzumaki as the winner. Hinata couldn't stop herself from screaming, you did it, Naruto-kun, you're number one. Once she calmed down, some of the girls in class started booing, and Nada couldn't believe it. Some students and fangirls said she cheated. Ino and Sakura, they didn't say anything since they were friends of Naruto, did cheat. Sasuke wasn't even trying. That's not how a ninja fights. Sasuke deserves that match. He shouldn't have been able to beat Sasuke, and it went on and on. But some of the guys watching, they didn't say anything but smiled to themselves, while everyone was thinking, finally someone beat that pompous Uchi real good. Naruto was stunned that everyone thought he had cheated. Immediately Hinata walked up to Naruto and hugged him and said, don't listen to them, Naruto, you won this fair and square. She said through tears she heard Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba and even Shino tell her that she put up a good fight and not to listen to all the other students. Naruto didn't say anything as he listened to all the insults of his victory and a flashback, and this is why I don't want to be number one every time I when they say the same thing over and over again, so I decided to say goodbye. And at the third rank, Naruto finished his story with sadness in his voice. Anna couldn't help but cry. It's true that Naruto wasn't a Hyuga, but he was part of her family, she thought to herself. How long until the villagers and his fellow ninja fully accept him? I was already proud of Naruto. Naruto, you did very well, I'm proud of you. You didn't let the words of the other children bring you down, and you didn't attack them. That shows a good self-control. Whether you are or not number one, it doesn't matter as long as you know you're strong. I'm proud to call you son. It was already spoken. Naruto looked stunned and couldn't help but cry and say, arigato, I promise I won't slack off again. I will become number one and I will make sure to keep that spot. I will make you even more proud of me. He kept crying until Anna walked up to him and hugged him. Yashi looked at the door and yelled, can you come in, Ina-chan? I know you're there. Naruto stopped and looked at the door to see Hinata walk in, crying too. Hinata-chan, really, you're amazing too. I get the feeling you had something to do with keeping Naruto's anger inside him. He Stood up, walked over to Hinata and gave her a hug. So she said, "Nay, you're ranked 5th in the class, you're doing great Yat-chan. You have a lot of competition this year, so all I ask of you is that you do your best." Hinata smiled and said to Liga Tausanana smiled, she was right Naruto, and Hinata would be the two to bring light to the eyes of the Hyuga. Somewhere else of the Hyuga compound it was a dark room with only a little light and 4 figures stood in the dimly lit room. They understand their mission. You three and older Hyuga spoke to 3 other ninja and Hyuga, 2 of the ninjas stopped and had a sad look in their eyes, but agreed. The third took a step back with anger in his voice, yelling, "I won't, why you are nothing more than a branch member and will follow my orders." Shaking his head, the rebel ninja spoke again, "I will no longer follow your orders, father." As the man turned around he said, "I won't let this happen." Then he felt 2 palm thrusts on his back, hitting his lungs internally, falling slowly with blood coming out of his mouth. He said only 5 words before passing out, "I'm so sorry Niji." The 2 ninjas and Hyuga looked in horror at what had just happened before Hyuga looked at the 2 of them and said, "If you 2 try what he just tried, you will meet the same fate, or even worse than your children." The 2 of them looked at him with venom in their eyes, his eyes on the former leader of the Hyuga clan. The eldest Hyuga said, "Disappointed, you were always a failure." Itachi turning back to the 2 remaining Hyugas he said, "Throw this trash out of the village, let him die slowly." As the crows pecked at him until only his bones remained, the 2 were forced to listen due to the curse seal on their foreheads. They lifted Itachi's limp body, they walked out of the room. "That is why those 3 must die. They bring shame to this clan. Your time will come, Anna and Nat, and especially you Naruto Uzumaki Omegakure." There stood the leader of Omegakure and the supposed god. The man stood there and waited for his guest. Although he had seen him about 4 weeks ago, he looked back and saw Konan walk in with him. "What do you want this time, Jiraiya?" Konan gestured to Nagato's right, asking him the question to Nagato. "What, old sensei, can't he try to find his former students to greet them?" Nagato and Konan stood there looking at him, suspicious of something. Nagato spoke, "You came to me 4 weeks ago. Weeks with news about an Uzumaki. I still haven't heard anything about that person." Nagato approached him and asked, "What do you want?" Jiraiya sensei ignored the rudeness of his 2 former students and spoke, "I have information that you might like." Nagato and Konan don't take off their emotionless masks. Jiraiya began to smile again. "Before I spoke, as I said 4 weeks ago, there was a surviving member of the Uzumaki clan, but at that time he took the name of Senju for a long time, and very few outside the village knew that she was in fact a surviving member of the Uzumaki clan. However, a few years ago she passed away, leaving only 2 to the Rikido bloodline." Nagato looked at him and asked, "What information could you possibly have on my bloodline that I don't know about?" Jiraiya smirking further looked at him and said, "It's about Rikudo, the sage of 6 paths, the second strain of his bloodline, the last surviving Uzumaki that few can connect to the famous clan. His name is Naruto Uzumaki, son of the late Yondaime Hokage of Konoha." Both the Nagato and Konan masks they fell after knowing the name finally. At first Nagato didn't believe that there was a last Uzumaki and that this was a trick to search his village convinced me that he is a descendant of Rikido Jiraiya's bloodline. I already knew he had it. Now the blood red hair color that you share was exactly the same as Kushina Uzumaki's, but above all it was a unique chakra that he showed in his youth. Although it only worked in extreme circumstances, he never knew what it was. I'm sure that Naruto has this chakra and that he will use it." After telling Nagato, he walked up to the taller man and asked him, "Tell me more." Jiraiya walked over to a nearby seat and sat down. Crossing his arms over his chest he said, "Gladly, but first, tell me a little about what this Konoha chakra compound supposedly does." Hyuga was pacing back and forth in his office, and his sister-in-law Kana was anxiously sitting by the door when a guard Hyuga walked in, bowed and reported, "Mr. Yasi, there are still no signs of Isa-sama anywhere." Kansas appeared. Breakdown in tears and talk was made. "Something is wrong, he's been gone for 2 days. The Hokage hasn't seen him, nor sent him on any missions, and the elders haven't seen him either. Continue the search, look in every alley, every training ground, even the forest of death, search even the outer walls of Konoha if need be. But I want he as Hyuga to be in this very spot by the end of the day." The guard Hyuga bowed and left to gather more for a search party. "Isama, what will we do if we don't find him?" Kana spoke. "I don't know, Kana. I just don't know." "Nay knows?" asked Yasi. Kana shook her head and said, "No. I told him that I was on a mission and that I won't be back for some time." And so looking at the shattered woman she said, "I suspect it was foul play." She immediately raised her head and asked what. Yasi looked at her and said, "Never mind, right now you are the head of the branch family. Order everyone to stay inside the compound. No one leaves, even the children, for the academy. I will ask the Kage to send some instructors here under high surveillance tonight. I want you to spend it with your sister Kana." With dried tears in her eyes she looked at him. "I will sleep in one of the spare rooms. You need all the comfort you can get. Now go get some sleep." Kana nodded. She bowed and headed to the bedroom to spend time with her son. On her way to her son's room, she passes by her father-in-law and former head of the Ryuga clan. She gave him a polite bow which he did not return. Her acknowledged. She continued on her way to her son's office. As she entered the office he bows to his son and asks him, "Have you "Had any luck finding your brother yet?" He turned to his father and replied, "None, it's like he's gone missing." He looked at him and said, "Stay strong. You'll find him soon." With another formal bow he turns to leave and thinks to himself, "At least my two puppets are good for something they haven't found Yashi. Yet this will happen to those three again soon." He walked away into the shadows with a smile. The next morning Nei was in the garden with Naruto and Hinata training some more when Naruto stopped for a brief moment to say, "Nice-and look, everything will be okay. I'm sure he's on a mission." Hinata nodded and added, "Yes, Osin is probably on his way home right now with his squad." Nei wasn't that optimistic, he wasn't sure as his mother came into his room to lay down with him, crying. The three of them were being watched by Anna, who was sitting on a park bench before Yashi's announcement saying that all Hyuga were to stay inside the compound. Another Hyuga guard, who he looked to be in his 30s, he approached Anna and whispered, "Lady Anna has already found Iyama in the Forest of Death. Apparently it is related to the inner workings of the Lori clan, so she has requested that you, Naruto-chan and Yin-chan, be secretly escorted to the Forest of Death in the monitoring room of the training facility for safety." "Why Naruto and Hinata too, and what about Anabi?" The guard spoke again. "He believes that some of the clan members have made attempts on their lives, and he believes that the compound is not secure at the moment, and Sasama has assigned the people closest to him to watch over his youngest son." Anna's eyes snapped open, and she was told why the Forest of Death. The Hyuga replied he didn't say much about it, he just said it would be the last place they would look for traitors within the compound. The Hokage also agreed with this. Anna took a minute before telling him, "Okay, but Nei is going with us too. I guess his mother is with," and the guard nodded and said, "Oh, a second escort and I will wait for you. Everyone thinks you are going to take the kids to the park again, as per Lord Yashi's agreement, so that's what everyone will believe." The ninja disappeared from sight. Anna stood up and walked towards the three and said, "Okay, you three will go to a safe place, pack clothes for a few days, and meet you here in 15 minutes. Naruto and Neji looked at Anna and asked her what's going on. Anna told the three of them, "Do as I tell you, go now." The three of them jumped up and ran quickly to their rooms to pack. Anna took advantage of this time to look for her 3-year-old Anabi. She approached her room and saw that 6 guards were stationed in front of her door. She didn't know why, but something told her that this could be the last time she would see her daughter. 5 minutes later, Hinata was holding Naruto's hand, trembling. Naruto looked at her, tightened his grip and said, "Don't worry, Yada-chan, I'll protect you no matter what." Hinata immediately stopped and smiled. He always knew how to make her feel better. "Naruto-kun is always there for me. I feel stronger when I'm with you and more at peace." Naruto showed his famous smile that he only gives to certain people and said proudly, "Well, I have to be able to do all those things after all." Naruto paused for a moment and looked Hinata in the eyes and said, "You're my girl, right?" Hinata blushed 10 shades of red before saying, "Oh, I'm Naruto-kun's girl." Naruto, still holding her hand, walked her to a bench and said, "Hinata-chan." Hinata was still blushing and looked at him. "Yes, Naruto-kun was talking 100% seriously when I said all that. I will protect you, even if it costs me my life, because you are one of my precious people." Yada couldn't help but be delighted. Then she leaned down to give him a kiss on the and said, "For good luck this time." Naruto blushed and out of the corner of his eye, he saw Nei heading towards them with her backpack on. The three of them sat there and waited the rest of the time waiting for Anna. 10 minutes late, Anna was being escorted to the garden by the guard who informed her, and they were accompanied by a second guard, but this one was younger and looked to be in his early 20s. They kept walking until the three found the kid sitting on a bench and waved them over. The 6 of them started their walk towards the training camp, the Forest of Death. As they started to get closer and closer, Naruto pulled the younger guard's arm and asked, "So why are we coming here?" The guard didn't say anything as they continued. Naruto was about to say something again when Anna put a hand on his shoulder and shook his head at him. Naruto nodded and they continued walking in silence. Once they entered, Naruto and Nei continued to exchange glances as if they were saying something to each other. The younger Hyuga guard was in the front behind him, walking side by side were Naruto and Nei, then Anna holding Hinata's hand. Finally bringing up the rear was the mature Hyuga. Suddenly they stopped in the clearing talking. Anna said, "Who ordered you to do this?" The young Hyuga spoke up. "How long have you known and why you came with us?" "Knowing it was a trap," she answered. When Naruto asked why you came here, Naruto's rank in this family is to be treated as a main household, and for you to deny his question is below a branch member. Also, I don't know how many of my clan are in this, so we're no safer there than here. There was a brief pause before it happened. Out of nowhere, she felt a sharp pain at the base of her spine and flew out. 3 met towards Dante. Hinata, Naruto and Nei turned to see the mature Hyuga attack. Anna asked Naruto, "Why did you do that?" Neji began the assault, sending first a flurry of Juke and Aluga punches, which he went through, blocked or countered. Naruto immediately turned around and told Hinata to Konosan now. Without arguing, he ran to his mother to check on her. While all this was happening, the younger guard stood up and watched as Naruto helped their attack the older one. The two were out of his league as the guard was shutting down his system slowly enough. "You two," screamed. The older guard looked at them and looked like they were about to faint. Anna slowly woke up but couldn't feel her legs and demanded, "Why are you doing this, Jiro Kairo?" The youngest Jiro replied, "We Never wanted to do this, but Rock told us if we didn't he would kill us and our children, the same way he killed Iyama. Everyone was in shock. Kairo looked at and said your father was a good man, he faced Ryuk, and we wanted to do it too. But my son is all I left to remember my late wife, Niji said angrily. Why would you kill my father? My mother is suffering so much, and you bring this up now, Nate cried. Until he turned around he continued, I know we can never ask for forgiveness, but if everything goes according to plan everything will be fine. With it he lunged at Naruto with a kunai in his hand and stabbed him in the chest. Too weak to react Naruto or counter, it was hit in horror. Hinata screamed as loud as he could. Naruto-kun made the mistake of turning his back on Kairo when he was hit by behind right between the shoulder blades and passed out with the impact. Anna watched as both children fell to the ground motionless and the color of their eyes faded. Hinata ran to Naruto's side and ripped part of his kimono to try to stop the bleeding. Out of nowhere, the guards and Hyuga grabbed their heads and screamed in pain. There was a slight glow coming out of their heads behind their leaf headbands. Anna turned to see a ninja walking in the clearing. She hoped it was Yasi, but to her horror, it was Ryuk. Rocky had sub-Hyugan activated and had his index and middle fingers together, pointing at the guard screaming, you dare betray me. I ordered the two of them to kill them, and they only momentarily paralyzed the witch. Deliberately they missed the demon's vitals, and they didn't do it. Don't force any chakra into the palm of your hand to push the weaklings back. You're trying to buy time. You don't expect anyone to be smart enough to search this area. Do you really? Looks like I'll have to end this myself. Both Spin and Kairo fell to the ground still writhing in pain. Anna looked at him and screamed, why are you doing this, Ryuk? That the children have done to you. He glared at her and screamed, this clan has become weak. You, Hinata, and the demon have weakened this clan with your emotions. This clan was not supposed to show emotions we should fear, and if someone finds out about those weaknesses, then everything our ancestors fought for would be in vain. However, now it won't matter, everything is planned. Anna looked at him and asked, what do you mean? With a smile he said, it's simple. These two created a plan to kill the Kyuubi and lured him here. Your Hinata and Nei witnessed all this and bravely followed him and tried to help. The two are forced to kill to keep you quiet, not being able to get over the murder of the wife and daughter of the head of the clan, as well as the son of the head of the family branch, and the fear of Ibiki. They decide to take these pills filled with a powerful poison, and so with a broken heart, he will be forced to train your daughter and Abi will be the emotionless heir, and everything will continue as I should. I have it all planned out. These two will also be blamed for Iyashi's death. He looked at the guards as they slowly got back up, taking out Kuna and ready to attack. He then activated the seal, forcing them back to the ground. Hinata got up and struck him dead in the right thigh and behind the shin. He retaliated with a juke into Hinata's stomach, sending her flying towards Naruto. Anna screamed, stop now, don't hurt my daughter, kill me if you have to, but I beg you to let them go. Hinata, unable to move, grabbed her stomach in pain, looked at a Naruto entity and whispered in his ear, I love you Naruto-kun, before passing out in pain. I won't let you sit there and watch how I end up with these two kids and the demon Uzumaki. By the time reinforcements arrive I'll be gone, so I must end this quickly. My position won't last long. He walked slowly towards the kids. Then it happened. The guards Anna and Ryuk felt a wave of murderous intent. They didn't know where it came from. Everything they knew already, that the escape was serious, such as Naruto where Naruto woke up in water up to his ankles. He looked around and saw that it looked like he was in a sewer, but it was different. There were prison cells along the wall, each with a number above each one. He walked for some time looking inside the cells, seeing nothing in each one, before he heard follow my voice. Naruto looked around, but saw no one. He heard the voice again. This way he started running to find the voice. After a minute of searching, he found a huge cage with a paper on the front hat that said seal. Naruto looked around for the voice and found nothing and was about to leave when he heard, you want to protect everything that is precious to you. Naruto slowly turned around to see glowing red eyes and fell to the ground in shock. WW, who are you? Said Naruto in a scared stutter. It's not important right now. He didn't answer my question. You want to protect them because that little Hyuga girl is in danger. When she is? He asked, completely forgetting about the giant red eyes glowing in front of him, and all his fear disappeared without a second thought. He said, yes, I want to protect her. The fox smiled and said, I like it, boy. Despite looking at the giant fox, you show no signs of fear when you want to protect something. Naruto looked at the fox and said, are you going to help me? The fox smiled and said, yes, I will focus all the chakra you have in your eyes that will allow you to use my power, but keep in mind that once you protect your precious people, you will fall into coma for at least a month, so I can heal you and adjust your body to better utilize my power. Naruto stood there and asked, how do I focus the chakra in my eyes? The fox looked at him and said, like I said, focus. Naruto closed his eyes and started to concentrate, and he started to feel different and more powerful. Before he finished, he heard Hinata's voice echo through the halls, I love you Naruto-kun. Naruto's eyes widened and he yelled, Hinata, I'm going to save you right now. The fox couldn't help but smile wider. I'll see you again. The fox let out a wild scream that caused Naruto to fade away until he disappeared from his mindscape. The fox looked over to where the boy was and said to himself, he truly is your son, but I must say I would have never thought he was part of your bloodline. The fox looked over to one of the smaller cells in the hallway and said, so you gave him that power with my chakra and yours. Mixed together he can't stop himself. Forest of Death, after screaming that he was going to kill the children, was when the killing intent arose. Frantically searching for the source, he heard a deep angry voice behind him scream, you hurt my Hinata, I will make you pay. He turned around to see Naruto holding Hinata in a tight hug. There seemed to be silver and red surrounding him. He noticed Naruto's air was spicier. He had claws, his teeth were more animalistic, but what he gave surprised him more. Naruto put Hinata down and then ran towards Dante so fast the old man couldn't even attack or block. Naruto grabbed the back of the Naruto, grabbed the man's head and lowered his head to meet Naruto's knee with all his strength. This sent Hyuga flying 15 meters into a tree. Naruto crouched down and lunged 15 meters. Towards Ruddy punched and kicked the old man in the head. Before his death, the last thing he would see would be his eyes. Each eye was red like blood, but each eye had a slit in each. Just like the Kyuubi graveyard of Omegakure, Nagato stood with Konan in the rain in front of Jaiko's grave. Konan laid paper flowers on his grave and they both prayed in silence for him. Just as Nagato finished his sentence silently, his eyes snapped open. Konan looked at his comrade and asked, what's wrong? Nagato was looking at the rain and said, Jiraiya was right, I can feel that chakra. Konan stood to the side and said, so it's true you have Rikitu's eyes, but he has his chakra. Nagato smiled, if all goes as planned, I'll be able to meet this Naruto face to face. He said the last part with excitement in his compassed voice. Hyuga, where are Yasi? Was yelling, Sir Yasi, we're still searching, but we can't find Lady Anna. Lady in Naruto-kun. Yasi was furious, not only because his brother had disappeared, but now they were missing. I want them to be found, okay? And before he could finish he felt them, and so was everyone else in the village. This chakra can't be Naruto, however there's something wrong with it, he yelled. Yasi, get all the Hyugas available and head in the direction of this chakra spike. Now the guard bowed and began searching for the others already and grabbed his equipment and ran towards the main entrance of the Hyuga complex with at least 20 followers and Hyuga Anna Hinata. Nay, Naruto be alive when I get there. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi was finishing his paperwork when he felt the chakra spike. No, this chakra is the Kyuubi chakra, but is there something or someone else in there with them? I can feel another massive source of chakra there. Naruto is in danger. He opened the window and yelled, Andu, come here. Now he jumped out of his office to the ground. Not only did the Yu, but also some Jouni Naichuni. The army of ninjas began to run through the village as more gathered along the way. We will head to the fountain. All of you listen, whatever you see there will be kept as a rank secret. That I understand. All the ninjas that were with him shouted, yes sir. Hokage Sarutobi thought to himself, I hope we're not late. Forest of Death, as he continued the assault on the corpse of what was Ryuki Hyuga. Naruto continued his assault, hitting bone pieces into the tree as he smiled wickedly and made wild screams over and over again. The Hyuga guards rushed in and tried to subdue Naruto, only for half of the red chakra surrounding his body to burn their hands. Jiro screamed, his chakra won't let us get close to him. Kairo looked at his and Jiro's bleeding hands and noticed that Naruto wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there looking at Ryuk's dead body. Anna, Jiro and Kairo seemed to be standing there looking at their bloody claws, talking to themselves. What is this power? Naruto smiled and said out loud, I like it. He turned around to see Hinata lying there. He slowly walked towards her, passing the two Hyugas, Jiro and Shiro. They took out their kunes ready to throw them when Anna stopped them. Wait, let's see what Naruto does. He walked closer until he was sitting next to her. Hello, Nada-chan passed his hand over her, but his chakra hand didn't affect her at that moment. Hinata slowly woke up looking into Naruto's red eyes. Naruto-kun. When he reached out and touched her face, his hands pierced the chakra layer without harming her. Naruto stared at her and he said, it hurts. This power, I like it, but it hurts a lot. Hinata whispered. Hyuga slowly placed his hands on his chest and began to pump his chakra into it. His blue chakra began to look to everyone else as if it was dancing around the red one. Anna watched from the ground as his red chakra began to turn completely silver before slowly fading away. The silver chakra also began to fade away. His claws returned to normal. His whisker marks thinned, his teeth retracted, and he fell asleep. Hinata held on him as he fell and kept whispering, sleep now, everything will be okay. He started to rock back and forth, crying. Jiro took this opportunity to walk over to Anna and help her up and walked her over to the kids. At that moment, Shiro picked up Nei and also walked over to Hinata and Naruto. Anna looked at Jiro and Kairo and said, you will not be hunted down in any way. You two were forced to do this. The two looked at her and bowed as best they could. We thank you, lady, and we don't deserve this. Both swollen men in tears. Let me explain. What happened here today is fine. You too. The two Hyuga men nodded with tears in their eyes. Hinata didn't notice Subi-Kugen was still activated before her eyes shot up and she told her mother Akasan Tusen is near and the Hokage and other ninjas are approaching. Anna, Jiro and Shiro activated their Bakugans and were relieved to see that reinforcements had arrived. Naruto's mental escape. Naruto was once again inside his mental escape, but this time he was in front of the cage. The Kyuubi watched him as he slept and kept a protective guard over him. Act like them. Naruto slowly began to wake up and made eye contact with the Biju. Good morning, Mayor. Where am I physically? You are in the Konoha hospital. Mentally you are inside your own mind. Naruto sat up. How long have I been sleeping? The Kyuubi looked at him and said 2 days. Give it another 3 NRs. I've been healing you faster than I had. I know I said a month, but it will heal you faster. I don't really like hospitals. Naruto could see the full body of the Nine Tails was at least 100 meters tall, with reddish-orange fur. Nine tails that slowly waved in the air in its cage and red eyes with black slits in them. Naruto looked at the fox in front of him and asked, "Oh, are you by any chance the demon that attacked Konoha 8 years ago?" There was an awkward silence until yes. "I am the only Kaiban, not Kitsune." Naruto opened his eyes and said, "But the 4th Hokage killed you, sacrificed himself to kill you. How are you alive and why are you in my head?" The Kyuubi laughed and said, "I can't be defeated so easily. 5 cities full of ninjas couldn't kill me. An army of daimyo soldiers couldn't kill me. Of those 5 cities, 2 had boxes in them, and they couldn't. Surely you can't believe the Mizukage and the Hokage could win, so the 4th sealed me inside a newborn baby." Naruto looked shocked and couldn't believe what he just heard. "So everything they told me about that battle was a lie. My life was hell because you were sealed inside me." Kyuubi nodded. "That must be the reason why everyone calls me demon and monster." Kyuubi spoke up. "They don't want to call me those things. You're a normal 8-year-old boy." Naruto's fear and pressure disappeared and he said, "I thought you were evil. Then why are you helping me?" "Kid, I was evil when I was sealed inside you. The 4th cage separated my good half from my evil half. The good was sealed in you and my evil was, well, let's say it was eaten." Naruto looked at him and said, "Eaten? Why?" Kyuubi just looked at him and Naruto decided he was a sensitive subject. Naruto didn't want to, but asked anyway, "Why me? Why would I lock you inside of me? Couldn't the room have found another baby?" Naruto started to cry. "Why would my parents allow that to happen to me?" "That I can't answer. Only those who live outside your mind know that answer. By the way, you should be proud of your little girl." Naruto's eyes widened. "What happened to Hinata? Is she safe?" "She's okay." "Where is the Kyuubi?" He couldn't help but smile. "To answer your questions, she forced her chakra into you. After that killed the elder Hyuga. Forced my chakra back into you. She is safe, she is fine, and she is always in your hospital bed." Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Kyuubi thought silently to himself, "That girl is tough. She forced my chakra back into my system, using willpower determination." Eerie love silence hung in the air before the Kyuubi spoke again. "We have 3 days to spend together. Let's do our best and move on." Naruto looking at his prisoner, he nodded. He decided to ask what there are in those smaller cells at the end of the hall. Kyuubi looked at the ones visible to him and told him, "Those cells contain all of your most painful memories that you subconsciously locked away in the hopes that he would never be resurrected." Where Naruto just looked at those cells and told himself that he was safer with Kyuubi than with those memories. Naruto had his back to Kyuubi, so he didn't notice Kyu looking at a particular cell outside of Kono. "The day of the attempted attack around here, we found a man wearing a Anbu mask with a black cloak called 3 more Anbu," pointing at Ieyase's corpse. "Are you sure this is Ieyasu?" Hyuga Captain Anbu nodded. "Take him to Konoha morgue. I will inform Lock Yama. Make sure no one sees you." 1 more male Anbu picked up Ieyase's corpse and then they headed back to Konoha Hospital. Naruto Yi shared a room. The two received numerous flowers and gifts from their classmates. Nei woke up the day of the attack, but under Yase's orders she was to stay for at least 3 days. Hinata had escaped from her hospital room and went to her room and laid down on the bed with Naruto singing a Kuna song to her. While she slept, Nei, who saw everything and couldn't help but fall asleep, also listening to Hinata's Kuna song from the hospital door. Sarutobi Anaya's Kanana watched as Hinata protected him while he slept. "Okay, Sama, I must assume that the whole situation in the forest is resolved." Ana was holding Anabi in a wheelchair, which was only temporary until her system from the waist down. "I returned to normal. I informed the rest of the council members that he was being trained to control his Biju. Some accepted this idea while others were more convinced, but decided it was best not to ask any more questions. The Nin and the villagers who sensed his chakra. I think we were testing everyone to get an idea of the chakra spikes." "What did you do with the 2 guards and Hyuga who brought them there in the first place?" Yase looked at Ana, who just smiled at him. "They have been forgiven for their crimes. The former head of the clan forced them to do it, so they shouldn't be blamed entirely." Kana spoke up, "But as members of the branch family, I have ordered you to work twice as hard and to remain in the compound until I believe you are allowed to leave." Sarutobi had his pipe in his hand and refrained from lighting it. "How long does Tsunade give Naruto before he wakes up?" Ana looked at the Hokage lady. "Tsunade says that he should wake up sometime this week." Her body was not used to this sudden change in chakra. Ana looked at the room. "We have to thank Hinata for keeping Naruto under control." He watched as Hinata continued to run her hand through her blonde hair. The Hokage looked at her before Asking that what was her chakra like, Anna made eye contact before answering. Her chakra was good. It was a combination of red and silver. I can't explain it, but the red was wild and out of control, while the silver moved slowly and calmly. The third spoke. If I recall correctly, there was a ninja in the archives whose chakra was not blue, but it was said to be some kind of metallic silver. Is there any connection between Naruto and the other ninja? Already talked about. What is the name of this ninja? Sarutobi answered. I don't remember his name. I think Jiraiya might know his name. At that moment, a woman with short black hair approached them with a clipboard in her hand. Lord Hokage, the Anbu who were sent to look for Ises have already returned. This quickly caught their attention. Kana spoke. First, where is Shizune? Shizune took a minute before saying her body is in the morgue waiting to be examined. Anna walked over and pulled her close enough to hug the crying women. Yaz told them Yaz will have a hero burial at the Hyuga cemetery in 2 days. No one else wanted to talk. Everyone slowly entered Naruto's room. Sarutobi sat next to Naruto's bed and Anna was closest to Hinata, rubbing her daughter's head. Yaz and Kana were next to Ne. Kana looked at the huge gift she had received. Shizune was standing outside. She smiled and closed the door. Continued with his daily routines. Naruto's mental escape after 3 days. Then you understand, that's how you can harness my power momentarily. In the time the two of them spent inside Naruto's mind, Kyuubi was explaining some moves he knew and how to control his power even if it causes him harm. Oh, I see, thank you very much again, Kyuubi-senpai. Kyuubi chuckled that this boy was so respectful. Naruto, when you turn 12, I will train you in transformation and control of my chakra, so you don't always end up in the hospital. Naruto's eyes brightened, and he said, that sounds amazing. Why can't you just tell me now? 1. Your body can't take the strain. 2. We don't have that kind of time. You'll wake up soon. A little disappointed, he looked down. Don't worry, we can still talk through a mind link, only you will be able to hear me. Just think about what you want to tell me, and I will listen. I can't thank you all enough for helping me save Hinata, and everyone else. Thank you again. Naruto looked at his hands as they disappeared. What's going on? Are you going home? Before I forget, ask them about your silver chakra. Naruto looked at him confused. Ask them about it, and you will have your answer. Naruto nodded as his body disappeared. Kyuubi at the last minute yelled, there are 8 more. After Naruto disappeared completely, Kyuubi looked at the same cell he looked at when Naruto first asked him about them. I think that boy will do great things. What do you think? From inside the cell he was looking at that had a number 1 on it. From her, a figure appeared in the shadow. It's one of those things where you can only see a silhouette of the person. Konoha Hospital. 2 days later, 11 p.m. Naruto started to roll a little. Ne was released the day before for his father's burial, still heartbroken over his father's death, but he felt like he should be by his brother's side, vowing to never let another person precious to him suffer or die. He was reading a scroll that was about the rotation technique. When he noticed Naruto, he moved. He got up from his seat and walked over to the bed that Hinata and Naruto were sleeping on. When he yelled at the guards and Hyuga who were standing there, hey, Naruto is waking up. The guards outside came in. One of the guards looked at the other, informed the Lord Yasi that the boy is waking up. Naruto's eyes slowly opened. He was lying at an angle, so the first thing he would see was Hinata. Naruto's eyes opened to see her sleeping next to him. He blushed a little before thinking what way to wake up. Hospital. Kon to Naruto was being discharged from the hospital. The morning after he woke up, Hinata went to Naruto's room to walk him back home. When he walked in, she saw Tsunade and Shikamaru by his bed as he put on his shirt. Ah, Hinata, come pick you up, lover. Tsunade joked. Hinata just had a small blush. Naruto looked at Tsunade before saying, Go-chan, leave her alone. I'm glad you came to get me. To Inam, giving her smile. Shikamaru sighed and said, hi Init-san, how are you? Hinata bowed to Shikamaru, then walked over to hug Naruto, then took his hand. I'm fine. Shikamaru turned to Naruto and said, of course I would come find you. Tsunade thought how sweet, then walked towards the door and said, well, you 3 should get out of here. The 3 ninjas nodded and walked into the hall, only to see Anna, the little ambai, Ne, Kanashi no Choji no Sakura, Kiba, Shizune. Everyone except Nai, who tried, said, good morning Naruto. Naruto was surprised Alberta so many people here to greet him. He couldn't help but have teary eyes. Naruto said, thank you everyone for coming to see me. Everyone smiled and Naruto looked at Hinata and she smiled at him, and they and Shikamaru walked towards the group. Leaving the hospital main entrance, detonated a tall man with broad shoulders, wearing a green suit with a long red vest, a large metal protector on his forehead and 2 red lines running down his face from his eyes. When he entered he said, it feels good to be home after a full year. I wonder how my godson should go visit him. After seeing the Kage he continued his walk towards the tower to discuss important information with him. Hokage Tower. All of Naruto's friends left one by one. As they approached the Hokage Tower, Anna took the Nabi with her to get some rest on the way back home. They were being escorted by Yasi's most trusted guards. Kana had to go to a meeting. Ne left. She returned home with Nana to continue her training. Naruto and Hinata also escorted. They were told that they went to the Hokage Tower and Yasi and Sarutobi were already there waiting for them. They began their walk towards the entrance of the towers. Naruto turned to look at Hinata. And Inam. Hinata turned to look at him, only for Naruto to kiss her cheek and say, good luck to you, that's why I'm still here today. Hinata blushed slightly. Naruto-kun didn't have to pay me. The two of them walked through the building until they reached the door to Cage's office. Naruto and Hinata stood there holding hands before after he knocked on the door they waited only a few seconds before hearing them come through the open doors, talking loud enough to hear from the other side of the door. Naruto turned the doorknob. Hinata walked into the room to see Sarutobi at his desk, Yasuo sitting on the couch to the side, and Jiraiya standing next to Sarutobi's desk. Naruto's eyes widened and he ran towards Jiraiya yelling Jais and hugging Jiraiya as tight as he could with a smile on his face. Jiraiya looked at him, and he said, "It's good to see you again, boy. You seem to have gotten a little taller since the last time I saw you." Naruto at that moment he asked him, "Hey, did you bring me something for my birthday? What did you miss?" Jiraiya had the same smile that Naruto had and said, "You know I always have a gift for you." But first his face became serious. "Naruto, I want to know what happened to you in the forest." Naruto stopped smiling and looked at him, then at Sarutobi and Yasuo, saw that Hinata was holding Yasuo's hand sitting with him on the couch. Sarutobi spoke, "Naruto, you are not in trouble. We just want to know what happened to you in the forest." The blonde boy looked at Jir again and told them what happened since they arrived in the forest until he fainted. He also told him that he met his prisoner. "I woke up and found myself in a sewer like a prison. It was cold, it was humid and scary. But I was not alone there, I saw him." The three elders. Hinata continued listening with enthusiasm. "I saw Kyuubi in one of the largest cells I have ever seen." Hinata could not believe what I listened. Naruto had sealed inside him the demon that everyone feared. Everyone in the room gasped and Sarutobi spoke. "He said something to you?" Naruto shook his head at first. "He just told me to use my chakra to focus it in my eyes. I felt anger and hatred." Hinata was still shocked and some tears were visible. But she wasn't afraid. She felt her father tighten his grip and Hinata looked at him and saw him say the words, "Don't be afraid." Everyone heard Naruto say something, but they all looked back at him and they heard something. "It felt strange. Some parts of my mind told me to kill, while other parts that were calm and made me feel sincere. They told me to hold back after attacking." Jiraiya asked Naruto, "If you could tell the color of your chakra from the anger you felt, what color would you say it was?" Naruto said red. "What about the color of the calm side?" Naruto paused. "No, I'm not sure how to say it. Looked like it was silver." Sarutobi looked at Jiraiya, then turned to the kids and said, "Naruto, Hinata, this must stay between the five of us. It's considered an S-rank secret. It's not to be spoken of outside these walls." Understood. The two nodded and Hinata walked over to take Naruto's hand. "Yasuo," she told the two children, "you two can go home. The guards and Hyuga are waiting for you outside." She walked up to them. She leaned down and kissed Hinata on the head and said, "Remember to kiss your mother once for you." Then she kissed her again in the same spot and said, "And twice for me, okay?" And Hinata smiled and said, "Okay too, Yasuo." She turned to Naruto, "No, you feel resentment towards the two Hyuga that took you to the forest. They were forced to do it, so don't hold a grudge against them. When I get home, I want you to take it easy." Naruto nodded and turned to Jiraiya. "You will come see, right, Jailan?" Jiraiya nodded. "Yes, I will come and teach you some cool jutsu. I will also give you your gift." Naruto smiled and pulled Hinata out of the room, but he turned again and asked, "By the way, the three of them looked at him?" The Kyuubi said, "Before I left my mind he said there are 8 more. You know what I meant by that?" Jiraiya smiled. "Don't worry about it. It's probably nothing important. I'll figure it out in no time, so run now." Naruto nodded as he and Hinata walked out of the office. The two ran back to the main entrance of the building to meet up with the guards. Hinata walked with Naruto, thinking Naruto as the Kyuubi sealed inside himself. But he's Naruto and Kyuubi is Kyuubi. Don't confuse the two. Naruto didn't notice Hinata watching him. He was concentrated on the gift that Jiraiya was going to give him. The three elders could see the children walk away with their escorts. Then they looked at each other and put on serious expressions. He asked Jiraiya, "So what do you think of 8 more?" Jiraiya shrugged. "Do you have any idea?" 8 more has already been discussed. Could it refer to anything? I'm more worried about is red and silver chakra. Jiraiya said, "It matches what the legends say. The chakra of the Sage of the Six Paths was metallic silver. Rumors say that he divided his abilities between his twin sons at birth and separated them at birth on opposite sides of the elemental lands. From what we just heard, Naruto has the chakra and Pain has the eyes. I guess that's not a rumor anymore." Sarutobi was smoking his pipe and leaning back in his chair. "So what did Pain say when you told him about Naruto?" Jiraiya told him, "Well, I was more than eager to hear what he had to say." Both Naruto and Pain are distantly related. Pain has the dojutsu, while Naruto has the chakra. I'm not sure what both sides of his powers can really do. Naruto has the blood of the Uzumaki clan, which descends from Rikyu, the Namikaze's blood, which is one of the first organized clans in the ninja world, the Greasage chakra, and has the End Demon chakra to remain silent for a long time. Yaz, I wanted to know what this Pain Jiraiya intends to do. Already let out a big sigh before answering. He wants to train Naruto personally, so that apparently Naruto can help him with his goals. Sarutobi stood up and demanded what goals. Jiraiya already turned around quickly. Didn't say just that he wants to train him to become what both Yasuo and Sarutobi asked. Jiraiya told them he Says he has obtained the power to call himself the second sage of the six paths. He wants Naruto to become the third. Both Sarutobi and Yi looked at Jiraiya. Can't say for sure. What is Pai's goal? What I really want to ask is, who will be Naruto's sensei after the academy? Yasi was also interested, and the two turned to Sarutobi. Itachi will be Naruto's sensei. He submitted an application at the beginning of Naruto's first day at the academy. He already gritted his teeth at the name. Why would he want to train him? Jiraiya happily announced. Never mind, well then everything is fine. If Naruto is with Itachi, so if Pain is so desperate to get to him, then Itachi could hold him off long enough for him to get away. Sarutobi looked at Jiraiya. Do you really think Itachi could beat Pain? I said stop him and not when the people and said that Pain was the one who finished off Anzo and all his followers by himself. Sarutobi frowned. Then surely only you or I could do real damage to Pain if he comes to the village for Naruto directly. What situation do we have? Jiraiya kept silent before leaving. Well, this meeting was fun, but I have to give Naruto his belated birthday present. Before that I'll go do my research. He said goodbye, leaving Yasi. Sarutobi with a frown. Yasi told Sarutobi he better inform Lady Tsune to head to the bathhouses so she can lay down the law. Sarutobi agreed. Little explanation about the remaining week. Jiraiya narrowly escapes an angry Tsunade, and the Shinigami, after he was caught investigating, showed up at the Hyuga compound to give Naruto his gift, allowing him to sign the toad summoning scroll. After a few tries he was able to summon two small toads, Gamakichi and Gamatatsu, at the same time. Much to Naruto's surprise, they were brothers and son of the head of the toads. Naruto was off the walls, happy that he was able to do this. Hinata and Nei also signed a summoning contract. It was the summons from their families that allowed them to summon all kinds of birds, which was allowed by Yasi as she felt that the two were ready for this moment. Hinata summoned a small eagle that had purple feathers and on the body and white on the head, with a black tail made of quick feathers that started at the head and went down the back. The eagle was a girl, and her name was Teretsu. Nei was able to summon a small falcon. Her falcon was black with white spots on its body, but its tail feathers were long. The falcon was a boy, and his name was Toritama. It's ironic that Nei Yin's summons were also cousins. Naruto, even though he was supposed to take it easy, he wanted to keep the promise he made to Yasi to never slack off again. So Nei trained non-stop in the dojo, and Hyuga and Hinata were being trained by her father to better use her Juken-style Konoha Academy after missing so many days of school. Naruto made up for it as quickly as he could and even did extra work to keep up with everyone else. It took him a week, but he was able to get high enough to be able to have his match against Sasuke. But like when Naruto first fought, everyone was quietly whispering that Sasuke would come back if he won. Everyone except Hinata didn't know that Naruto lost on purpose. Naruto was in a crowd watching everyone else fight in the sparring matches weekly that the school held, and currently I was watching Hinata and Sakura fight. Sakura was not good at any hand-to-hand fight. Hinata, on the other hand, was trained alongside Naruto, Nei and other boys, and Hyuga at least daily, so Sukahatsu was above all the girls in class, but ranked 5th behind, in order of Sasuke, Shino, Naruto, Kiba. Then it was Hinata. Everyone watched as Hinata finished the fight with Hendel Fist using only 16 palms, so as not to do much damage to Sakura's chakra network. Sakura trembled shortly before falling to the ground. Haruka approached to see that Sakura was not moving. He raised his left hand, pointed at Hinata, and said victory is for Hinata. And Hyuga. Hinata approached Sakura, helped her up using herself as a human crutch. Sorry about that, Sakura-chan. Sakura smiled, looked at Hinata, and said, don't worry so much, Hinata-chan, you were supposed to fight to win. Hinata smiled and helped her get to Haruka, who sat the girl down to rest. Naruto cheered very well, Hinata-chan. You did very well too, Sakura-chan. All the students cheered and then waited for the next match. Mizuki looked at her portpales and said that Shino and Sasuke fought last week and that it was Naruto's turn to fight. I hope Naruto doesn't hold back this time. She walked away a bit before saying okay. The next ones to fight are Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone fell silent and watched as the two headed to the center. Sasuke's ego got the better of him again, and he yelled at Naruto, are you ready to lose again, dope? Almost like in the first fight. Naruto stood there and said nothing this time. He said, today there is good news, Sasuke looked at him confused, and Naruto said, I'm sure after today, you won't be so hostile to me. Sasuke just growled and took his stance. Naruto also took his Time Yuki stance. He raised his right hand and lowered it, yelling M-peace. The two of them lunged at each other. Start. Naruto and Sasuke lunged at each other. Sasuke threw a left punch aimed at Naruto's head. Naruto dodged it underneath and threw his right shoulder against Sasuke's chest, making him step back and kept punching Sasuke in the stomach. This forced Sasuke to fall down. As he fell backwards, he moved his foot up to slash the side of Naruto's head from the jaw up. Shaking the punch, he waited for Sasuke to get back on his feet. Good move. Sasuke wasn't expecting that kick. Sasuke was more irritated now that his attack wasn't successful. Sasuke smirked, then ran up and attacked Naruto, trying to kick him in the chest again. Naruto dove under Sasuke and sent his hands up, grabbing Sasuke's shoulders and continued to take down, slamming his head into the concrete. Sasuke felt his skull hit the ground so hard and felt blood pour out of his head in one swift motion. Naruto flipped over Sasuke, grabbed Sasuke's leg bones and threw him into the training ground. Sasuke, while in mid-air, flipped over and landed on his feet, sliding across the ground 7 feet. He waited again until Sasuke ran at him again. Sasuke sent punch after him over and over again. Naruto kept blocking every punch thrown at him. Sasuke stepped forward and pulled his fist back and was prepared to punch him, but then he felt a sharp pain in his right knee. He hadn't seen Naruto kick Sasuke right in the target. He paralyzed. The amount of pain was too much and he could barely stand up. Naruto saw this as an opportunity and struck Sasuke with his left leg. He brought the same leg up and brought it down directly on Sasuke's chest, leaving him breathless. Sasuke coughed up some blood, took a deep breath, and was on his hands and knees still trying to catch his breath. How can I be getting hit so hard that I just grazed him and he's hitting me? This can't be happening. Sasuke was filled with hatred at the thought of Unia being beaten so brutally by a urchin. Sasuke looked at Naruto, who seemed to look at him without a care in the world. Sasuke, in a fit of rage, lunged at Naruto and threw a left hook aimed at Naruto's head. Naruto was there to block, but then felt pain in his side at the last minute. He saw Sasuke fake that punch only to get kicked in his left side, stunning him for a moment. After picking him, Sasuke followed up with an uppercut to Naruto's stunned face. Sasuke dropped down onto Naruto's waist and threw Naruto to the ground, hoping to end the fight the same way Naruto did to him in their first fight, except Naruto felt him grab his waist, trying to force him down. Naruto, he wrapped his legs around Sasuke's waist before touching the ground. Once they hit the ground, Naruto wrapped his right arm around Sasuke's head in a headlock with his right forearm on Sasuke's throat, strangling him. Sasuke was desperately trying to escape, punching Naruto in the ribs and head, forcing small trickles of blood to come out of Naruto's nose and barely breaking his bottom lip. Naruto was ignoring the small pain and continued to choke him, only Sasuke was starting to lose consciousness every time he tried to break free. Naruto's grip was getting stronger. Naruto spoke loud enough for Sasuke to hear this move. He called it the guillotine. Sasuke, listen to me. The more you move, the more pressure I'll put on you. Please touch. I don't want to do this. Sasuke decided to ignore Naruto, thinking there was a way to escape, but that thought was fading, as was he. Before he lost consciousness, he heard him say something else. There is no shame in subduing Sasuke. At that point, Sasuke tried even harder to break the hold, but found it useless and was actually just tiring himself out even more. He was quickly passing out from lack of oxygen. Naruto felt Sasuke relax in his arms and immediately knew that Sasuke had passed out. Naruto let go and left Sasuke lying there passed out. Iruka called off the match and quickly ran over to Sasuke to check on him and told everyone that he just passed out and that he would be okay. Naruto listened to the students talk bad about him and insult him over and over again, but he learned to ignore them and focused more on the unconscious Sasuke. Naruto decided to add his 2 cents and spoke, knowing that Sasuke couldn't hear him. Sasuke, I don't know what kind of life you haven't. I don't know why you hate me so much, so I can only think that after this fight, there's no way we can be friends from this moment on. Sasuke, you are my enemy, just like all the Uchiha are enemies of the Hyuga. Naruto slowly stood up and walked towards where Hinata and the others were waiting. Hinata gave Naruto a hug and kissed him on the cheek. You did it, Naruto. Talk. I'm so happy. And wasn't she surprised how Naruto refused to talk bad about the students? Turning to her friend, he asked, hi, Sakura. Sakura looked at Ino. Has Sasuke really ever talked to any of us? Sakura looked confused and shook her head. No. But that's why me, you and all the other girls are fighting for his attention, for him to talk to us there. It wasn't hard for him to believe that he could like her. After all, he does too. Ignore them and consider himself above everyone in school. Looking at Naruto and how happy he is surrounded by those who appreciate him, she began to think maybe she should get to know Naruto-kun a little more. Instead of trying to get attention for a lost cause, she smiled inwardly. Shikamaru walked over. Well, you're number 1 again. How troublesome being in the rank I'm in. I won't have to worry about hiding you. Sasuke Shino Kiba happily yelled. It will be. You better be careful, Naruto. I'll be coming for that soon. Rank Shino told Naruto, get ready. I want to fight you to the max. Everyone here. Hino walked up to him and smiled. You were amazing, Naruto. Naruto blushed at all the praise he was getting from his friends. Then he heard a very familiar voice. That was a good team fight. He smiled and replied, thinking, thanks Kai-senpai. Forget about all the names these worthless students are calling you. I'm glad you took down that Uchiha brat again. Kyuubi smiled widely. Yes, I was just hoping that we could have become friends. Hearing Naruto say this, he cut him off. Don't let your protection down around any Uchiha, no matter who it is, Naruto thought. Why, Kyuubi sighed. I'll tell you another day. For now, celebrate your victory with your true friends. Cutting off their conversation between them, Naruto was happy thinking about what he had just said about true friends, the ones around him who cared deeply. Miyuki had walked over to where Iruka and Sasuke were, and the two they started talking about the end of the fight. Mizuki knelt down next to Sasuke and picked him up. Mizuki had Sasuke on his back and Was going to take him to the nurse to get checked out since he lost a little blood. Because Naruto slammed him into the ground, he turned around and looked at Iruka. It seems like Sasuke's pride got to him again. Yuck spoke. Yes, I know, that seems to be the Uchiha curse. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. When he wants it will change, hopefully for the better. Mizuki felt it, turned around and walked away. I returned to school to see the school nurse, hoping he didn't suffer any brain damage from the fight. The roof of the academy. This boy amazes me every time I see him fight. Yeah, it seems your mark on this one is right on target, Itachi-kun. I must say, seeing an Uchiha getting beaten up is a lot different than hearing about it. Itachi was wearing the traditional black Uchiha outfit. He turned to look at the women standing next to him. Good, tell me you live with him and yet you don't see any of his training. The women wore traditional white robes and Hyuga with a sash, the band at the waist. Think of the energy outfit in Shippuden, and had dark brown hair. Just because I live within the clan doesn't mean I can just sit there and the younger kids fight in the dojo. Hyuga, I have guard duties and of course missions for the Kage. Why are you interested in him in the first place? You don't want to train one of the other Uchiha kids here at the academy, or even your little brother Itachi? She frowned and looked at Naruto and said, training any of the Uchiha kids is the same, no matter how much you change the training sessions. It's simple, you copy something they copy and then they are considered strong even without the Sharingan training them. When I discovered Naruto and thought about it a lot, he is unlike any other kid in this village. Training him will really be worth my time and effort and might even be fun. I walked behind him. She put her hands on his shoulders and said, this is not like you, Itachi. You show so much interest in someone, especially in situations like this. Itachi smiled and turned around. He grabbed her by the waist and pulled her closer. Using a sensual tone he said, I show more interest in you and you don't seem to complain, lover. His face just continued to get closer to hers. He stopped and looked into her eyes. The band as she looked into his black eyes. Their lips almost touched at this point and stopped when she spoke. I hate it when you do this to me and when you talk to me in that kind of tone. Why do I feel like agreeing to anything you ask me to do without doubt it? Let's put it to the test. Then let's go to one of those hotels on the outskirts of town so no one can hear your screams. Bringing his lips closer to hers, she was lost in complete bliss, not realizing that behind her, he was forming a hand sign for the Shunin technique. The two figures disappeared in the swirl of leaves and no one in the school knew they were there. A cave somewhere. 9 holographic figures were inside a damp cave with only their eyes clearly visible. So which one is the plan? We should continue with what was established 2 years ago. Kisame, that sounds fun. Fearless leader Kisame told me. Kukuku, it seems like Konoha is getting pretty interesting lately. Pain spoke. What are you talking about, Orochimaru? Cuckoo, it seems like Yonda Hokage's son is getting pretty famous. They call him the prodigy. Orochimaru smiled. The only woman spoke. That boy has nothing to do with the snake of our organization's plans. A man with an orange mask with a swirl in his eye, right, spoke O with Ansama. He's hiding something. I want to know. I want to know. This was obviously childish. A man with a Venus flytrap around his body with his main body of different colors, with the left side white and the right side black. The black half spoke, Toby sure is acting like a child today. Toby at that moment collapsed. Then the white half spoke, don't be mean to Toby. Z, I don't mean to be mean to Toby. His dark side. Kisame looked to his left and spoke again, you're terribly silent. Madara-sama, a short man with a deep voice, spoke. Mater-san will speak when he deems necessary. The man with long black hair spoke. Sasori-san, you don't need to worry about me. As for the rest of you, the Enoch boy is of no concern to us. Pain will handle that situation himself. Kaku, you are a different matter. You are one of the reasons why this meeting was called today. A tall man with turquoise and red eyes surrounding them looked up. You have to stop killing our members. You have killed 3 the last year, being Kramer. The third good S-class criminals are hard to find. Kakuzu said. Clearly those fools had no desire to get money. Since that is my position in this organization, they were no longer needed. Above all, I get pissed. I can't control my anger when I'm angry, Toby said comically. Oh, Kakuzu-sama is so cool, so bad, Orochimaru said. Cuckoo, let's finish this little meeting. I have experiments that need attention. Paina-sin nodded. Very well. Orochimaru and Sasori will pair. Toby Kisame will join forces. This time Zetsu will be alone as usual, as will Madara. Finally Kakuzu will work alone until I can find him a replacement partner. Everyone agrees on who his partner is. Everyone nodded. Okay, Conan and I will continue operations in Kagure. Madara will continue to disguise himself as Yonda Mizukage. Kakuzu will obtain funds for our organization, and Orochimaru, Sasori, Toby, Kisame will gather information on the remaining 8 Biju Sepsu. You will be the messenger, and you will send the information that those 4 find and bring it to me. Each member agreed, and each of the members' images began to fade, leaving only Conan and Nagato behind. Conan turned to him. Pain, we have to handle Orochimaru. It could be a problem if he intends to try and break away from us. Besides that, we need a teammate for Kakuzu. As the 10th member, Nagato sighed and replied, Orochimaru can't do anything on his own. I'll take care of him in case the situation arises, and as long as Sundaime and Jiraiya are around. Naruto, he won't try anything. Conan nodded and added, what about Madara? Nagato shrugged. Madara is not a problem. He thinks he has me dancing in the palm of his hands. My goals are my own, and I will deal with Madara when the time comes. Right now, let's find our new member. If Orochimaru tries to take matters into his own hands, then two members. After their talk, the two figures disappeared from the existence. Konoha Hyuga complex. Naruto was hanging out with Hinata at the dojo. A lot has happened since we met Shikamaru and the others at the park that day, Hinata said. Naruto nodded. We don't really have time to hang out like we used to, she said. Naruto spoke up. That's going to change the day we graduate from the academy. I'll be strong enough that no one will want to challenge me, and we'll have all the time to hang out. Hinata just laughed and replied, Naruto-kun knows is that you can't have such an easy life like that, but Naruto-kun, you never talk about what you really want to do when you grow up. What your dreams are. You want your own clan, become a well-known jounin, and Captain Uo. How about Hokage? Naruto gulped and said never really thought about that, he said with a stutter. Yada stared at him and had a sly smile. Naruto-kun knows something he's not telling me. She turned around and he started tickling her. Naruto laughed, trying to stop her until it seemed like an eternity. But it was just a minute that stopped today. Hinata-chan, there is only one thing that I only want. Hinata smiled and listened. Naruto looked at her, blushing a little. I don't know if to have my own clan. I will become a well-known jounin through my hard work. Being a Nanbu wouldn't be so fun, and I don't want to be Kage. What I want is to spend my life with Hinata-chan. Hinata stared at him and was calm and happy, but deep down, she was jumping off the walls happily. She gave him a kiss on the cheek with a kiss and said, I like that dream. Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled and laid down to sleep. Hinata watched him fall asleep and laid down on her stomach and fell asleep as well. Naruto was sent into his mental escape to talk to his friend, while Hinata felt like she was being dragged to a place she was unfamiliar with. Naruto's mental escape. Hinata seemed to wake up surrounded by water. She quickly looked around and saw prison cells with numbers above each one. She started to panic when she heard a deep voice here. Girl. Hinata turned around to hear the voice, but she didn't see anything. Looking down, she saw a thin red chakra cord going in one direction. She followed it for some time until she came to a giant room with a huge cage in the room. Hinata stared with wide eyes at the cell until she felt a hand on her shoulder. She let out a squeal. She turned around only to see Naruto. Yat-chan, how did you get here? Naruto couldn't believe she was in his mind. I'm not sure, Naruto-kun, I just woke up and I'm here. Where is here exactly? Naruto made a pause for a minute and was about to answer when they heard, I brought her here. At the deep voice, Hinata ran and hid behind Naruto and saw a giant fox watching them. Why would you do that? Naruto asked, putting his hand on Hinata. She was curious. I want to know who can restrict my chakra. Kyuubi said. Hinata began to stutter. I don't know what you mean. Kyuubi laughed a little. So what you did in the forest when you were in the forest? It was nothing, she said, laughing a little. Naruto spoke. Hina-chan, you don't have to be afraid of him, he's a cool guy. I mean, a fox is a friend. Hinata looked at the fox, who moved away from Naruto and bowed to Kyuubi. And nice to meet you, Kyuubi-san. My name is Hinata. Hyuga. Kyuubi laughed again. Oh, I like her, she's like you, she has good manners too. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his neck. Tell me, girl, do you know anything about Muga? Hinata shook her head. I see why. In my life before I was sealed, she could do the same thing you did to Naruto. I could calm my chakra with a touch or sing a song. Naruto added to this. There was a saying about music calming the wild beast. Kyuubi slightly nodded, not wanting to agree. Hinata asked, what does my ancestor have to do with me? Kyuubi replied, maybe you have the ability here to calm beasts like myself. Since that is the case, all I ask is that if I lose control of my anger, my chakra will spill out and affect your body. It will not be used to the surge of energy and harm you. He looked at the brute, who just looked confused. If that it also happens, you will lose control. You will not be able to tell who is friend or foe. It will destroy and kill all living things in the area. So all you need to do is the same thing you did in the forest to calm him and myself down. He took this moment to grab Naruto's hand and nodded without thinking twice. He would hesitate to save him, added Kyuubi. I want you to promise me that you will. He got closer than Naruto had been to the cage and said, I will do better. I swear on my life, my form as a girl, as well as my position as heir, that I will save Ab from that fate. Hinata's voice was serious and her eyes looked at the demon as if she were looking into his soul. Naruto and Kyuubi had their eyes wide open because she showed no fear when looking at him. Then Kyuubi laughed as loud as she could. Naruto and Hinata had to cover their ears. I really like you, girl. I have no worries anymore. The boy is in safe hands. She was about to go back to sleep when she said, by the way, Naruto and Hinata both looked at him. Do you see that cell over there, the one with the number 1 on top? They turned around and nodded. Naruto, you are never to go near that cell until I feel that you are ready, and Nad, if you are ever here, you will make sure not to go near or allow him near it. Understood. They both jumped back and said, Kyuubi felt and said to them, okay, now you both can do as usual here until you wake up. Good night. He turned around and fell asleep. Hinata grabbed Naruto's hand and said, Let's think a bit, Naruto protested. No, you just want to see where my hopes and dreams are, don't you, Hinata? He made a sly smile and started running. Naruto yelled, wait, Hinata-chan, please don't go poking around in my head. They both ran past the cell door, not wanting to make eye contact with her. They ran down until they were away from the Kyuubi hallway. The figure in cell 1 showed itself again in silhouette form, but you could clearly make out a smile. Brief explanation from the first year to the last year. Naruto and Hinata woke up from their mind. Hinata could see things that Naruto saw when they were young, or when she wasn't around. Naruto felt like she was taking advantage of him. Neither of them told anyone what happened that night. Kibo also got something that when they were all 9 he got. His dog companion Akamaru, who had a cream-colored coat with black spots on his ears. Shino got his mistakes from his father. The Hino Shiktriocho learned her family's skills, with Hino also studying to become an interrogator like her father, and Sakura learned some genjutsus from her father, who was a specialist in genjutsu, and some medical jutsu from his mother, who was a nurse at the Konoha hospital. Sasuke never got over his loss against Naruto, as well as being considered second best among the ninjas, and the students who like Naruto. This only fueled their hatred towards him further. Over the years at the academy, Daro Kanin grew stronger, faster, smarter and better. The 4 years were over. They would soon take their exams to officially become ninjas. The year before that, Nerji graduated and was put on a squad. His teammates were Rogaltin and Tennisons and G Midone. He was announced Rookie of the Year before graduating from the academy. Naruto's training was tough, being secretly trained by Ki to try and better control his chakra to a higher degree, trained by both Jiraiya ninjutsu and Yasi taijutsu, and began his own training sessions with Lee and refused to put himself in the green monkey. He was slowly becoming a taijutsu master, but this didn't stop her from learning ninjutsu and dispelling genjutsu, as she can't do any type of genjutsu. The Jukenin style was perfect and dangerous. Even to Naruto Iji she came close in all points. Hinata also learned some medical jutsu from her mother. Shizune Ino went up on stage to try and get Naruto's attention. After he defeated Sasuke and Nat saw this as a threat, and the two would constantly fight for his attention. Ino and Hinata saw each other as rivals for Naruto's love and rivals in combat. The two were considered the strongest among the girls in the school, and Ab was now 7 years old and was inspired to become strong like her sister. She was able to train alongside her sister Naruto Inji, what she finally looked forward to and couldn't wait for the opportunity to join the academy and become as strong as her sister, as brave as Naruto, and as skilled as Neji. The time was getting closer when the 9 rookies would stop being students to become ninjas. Dawned when the light spread throughout the ninja village of Konoha. The light pierced the curtains of a certain blonde ninja. Get up, kid, you will graduate today and you need to wake up. Naruto slowly got up from his bed and rubbed his eyes and thought to himself, it's okay Kai-senpai, I'm awake. He decided to open his curtains more to let the light in. He turned and looked at his room. He had a lot of weights on the floor, a pair of gloves hanging on the wall, pictures with his family on the walls or on his desk, his ninja suit hanging on the door. Some equipment training, a bookshelf with ninja tactics, jutsu strategies and novels for light reading. Naruto went to his bathroom to brush his teeth, took a shower, and straightened up. As he exited the bathroom he put on his outfit, which consisted of long black shorts that went past his knees, basketball shorts, but they aren't called that, with a thick orange line running down the sides of the shorts, black sandals, a black shirt with the words and Hyuga written on the sleeve of his left arm and Uzumaki written on his arm right in orange writing. Naruto's blonde hair is a little longer in the back and he kept it well trained. He was a little more tanned than when he was younger. Naruto turned around to grab some bandages, which he wrapped around his hands and half of his forearms. He grabbed his fingerless gloves that were hanging on the wall. On the knuckles of the gloves were metal studs. After getting fully dressed, his partner said, after today we're going to get some ramen. We haven't had a bite to eat since you promised to Anna that we would leave things for a couple weeks to eat healthy before the test. Okay, I've been looking forward to that too. I was about to walk out the door when someone else burst into Naruto's smile. It was Hinata. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Hinata was wearing her brown jacket with leather with the Hyuga symbol on the arm of the jacket, black tight shorts, bike shorts, blue sandals and a black mesh shirt underneath the jacket. Naruto hugged her and said, good morning Inam. Hinata see, she laughed and said, Tausen Akasan Abasan Anabin, they are waiting for you for breakfast. Tausen sent me to get you. Okay. Inni closed the door and the two walked towards the Hyuga dining room, greeted by many of the other Hyuga who told the two that they were for them, but one Hyuga in particular said to the two, oh good morning, and Chan Naruto-kun. Naruto greeted her and Yin said good morning to Chan. How is your day? It's going away. I have to leave later today to meet up with a friend, she said, hiding her blush from the kids. Naruto caught this and asked, oh, and who would this friend? Hinata started laughing, looked at them smiling. Now Naruto-kun, that would be revealing anyway. I have to go deliver these documents to some of my superiors at the main house and branch. Come back with those left. She passed them and said goodbye to the two. Naruto and Hinata returned the Breathing and continued going to meet everyone who was sitting to eat. Anabi ran to her sister and hugged her. Yan, will you graduate today right? And nodded towards. She looked at Naruto. Today will be fun for you right Naruto? And he asked, will you be there for my graduation? Unfortunately he shook his head. Sorry, Naralak is sending my squad on a 5-day mission, so I'm sorry to say I won't be seeing him. Hana smiled and said don't worry Naruto, Inama, Anasan and Yama will be attending yours and Hinata's graduation ceremony. Yash smiled and said yeah, today will be fun to hear that you two are graduating and becoming ninjas, you will make us proud as Neat Kanaki, and paused for a minute. Asi-san everyone slumped a bit before he let's talk again before eating, let's pray for him and for you two too. Graduate everyone nodded and sat down, they held hands and prayed silently for Ieyashi Naruto, and Hinata ate and said goodbye feeling more proud than usual. Naruto-kun, I'm a little nervous, I know what will happen, but I can't help but feel nervous. Naruto smiled and kissed her cheek with a kiss and told her to be lucky. He smiled and she smiled too and they walked hand in hand towards the academy. Uchi compound. Sasuke woke up when his mother knocked on his door and told him to get ready for breakfast. Sasuke stood up and put on his black suit, the black suit he wore for the Chunin exams, but he doesn't have the bandages on his arms. After getting dressed he went downstairs to eat breakfast and joined his brother, his mother and father's family at the dinner table. Then Itachi heard that you're going to have your first Genin team this year, asked Fugaku. Itachi nodded and replied yes, the Hokage will give me my students after they die and I will meet them tomorrow after his graduation ceremony. Sasuke turned to his brother, who do you think you'll have on your team? Itachi looked at him, that I don't know Sasuke, you'll find out tomorrow when the Hokage announces the squads during your class. Tomorrow. Sasuke had hope in his eyes. I hope you'll be my sensei brother, so you don't have to waste your time with anyone else at the academy. Fugaku spoke, that is if you pass the graduation exam to become a Genin. I'm still disappointed that you've been constantly losing to Hyuga's pet Sasuke and his father haven't really been on the same page since Sasuke's lost to Naruto time and time again. Makoto looked at the time and happily said, Sasuke-kun, it's time for you now, you don't want to be late for your last day at the academy as a student right? Sasuke looked at his mother. Okay, I guess I'll just go now. He stood up, see you all, I swear I'll be back with my Yite and make this clan proud. Everyone said goodbye to Sasuke as he walked out of the house, walking around the Uchiha clan compound. All the Uchiha encouraged him to do his best and made them proud. Once he walked out the front door, he walked out to see a group of fangirls minus me. The girls started to crowd around him and followed him to class. Sakura was in the crowd but thought she was lucky to be one of the ones who held onto his arm. Sasuke acted like he didn't like the attention, but deep down he loved every minute of it. In the academy classroom, Naruto and Jinkazawa headed to where Shikamaru was sleeping and Choji was eating. Both of them are wearing their Naruto outfits from when they were Genin. Just like the rest of the class, Naruto snuck up behind him and yelled, Shikamaru, your mom is here and she looks angry. He immediately raised his head and jumped and looked cautiously around. Naruto, Choji and Nada were laughing and Shikamaru lightly punched Naruto in the arm and said, Naruto, that's not funny, don't even joke about something like that, I thought I was going to die there for a minute. Shikamaru had his hand on his chest, hoping that their heart wouldn't beat out of their chest. They were interrupted when they saw Sasuke in class with a crowd of girls surrounding him and trying to get his attention. Sasuke never gets close to anyone, he talks to Naruto. Shin didn't follow Sasuke and walked over to where Naruto and the others were. It's good to see you all four this morning. Everyone else greeted him and said hello. Kiba came running in with his partner sitting on his head, who was still a puppy to everyone else but was a bit bigger, so was he. He greeted and didn't appear out of nowhere and hugged Nero from behind. Good morning Naruto-kun. Hinata got upset and yelled, get off of Naruto-kun. Ino turned to her rival. What are you going to do? She let go of Naruto and the two looked at each other as if by some unknown power. All Naruto did was wave his hand between the girls' line of sight and the two seemed to calm down. It's too early to fight, don't you think? Hinata nodded. You're right Naruto-kun. But fix this with Ino any other time. He looked at Ino and grabbed her arm. Naruto's right, without trying to get one to stay out, grabbed Naruto's left arm and smiled. I'll be good Naruto-kun. Shikamaru muttered. Troublesome. Shino nodded. Yes, this is troublesome for Naruto-san. Kiba laughed. What are you talking about? You two should feel lucky to have more than one girl throwing themselves at you, right? Akamaru barked in agreement. Naruto wouldn't say it out loud, but he felt very lucky to have two girls showing him so much affection. Remember, he's still a boy. Things will they slowly calmed down as the students gathered around to talk until Yuka or Miyuki came to calm them down. Everyone in the class was talking about how the graduation exam would be and who would be the exam supervisors at that moment. A swirl of leaves appeared in the class, which was a signal for everyone to take a seat. Hiruka appeared from those leaves and announced, well, look at all these kids. Oh sorry, future ninja of Konoha. Everyone smiled or laughed. As everyone knows, today they will take a graduation test to see if they become ninjas. Myself, Miyuki sense, and a special guest who is a Hing will also be one of the supervisors to help him evaluate him when you meet his bow and introduce yourself since Miyuki-sensei and I already know you." Everyone nodded and Kiba spoke. "What is the name of the jounin?" Yuka looked at his clipboard and said, "I have met her only once before, but her name is Kurenai and Yui is a genjutsu specialist and since last month she is a new jounin, so she will not have a squad this year." Anyways, let's get to the point guys. Will be 30 minutes to get those nervous butterflies or whatever else you have about the exam out of your system, so I'll be back in 30 minutes and lead you down the hall to the room reserved for your test. Good luck to all of you." He then put his hands together and ceased to exist. Those who could recognize him said that he was a shadow clone and that the real Haruka was never there. Testing room. For the rest of the 30 minutes everyone talked and tried to calm down. After a while, Haruka came back and asked everyone to. They lined up one by one. The students were called inside to begin the test. Each took 2 to 5 minutes, depending on the student. Soon it all came down to the first of the 9 rookies. Naruto Uzumaki turned to look at his friends. They all nodded. And he smiled and walked through the doors. He entered the room and saw a table where Yuka, Mizuki and Kurenai were sitting. Kurenai had red eyes with purple eye makeup, black hair, and was wearing the traditional Jin attire. "She will have this for now." She made a bow to the 3 and said, "Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki." The teachers bowed their heads slightly. Miyuki took the moment and said first, "Naruto, we want you to show us your basics, then if you have something special you've been working on you can show us that could help you even more." Naruto nodded. Kurenai and instructed, "We want to see how good your eng is, so transform into the third Kage. You can do that for us." Naruto nodded again, put his hands together to perform the seal, and said Eng 1. A puff of smoke appeared around him and transformed into a perfect image of the third one. Haruka told him to turn around so he could see better. Naruto slowly turned around. In regards to the 3 ninjas, he surpassed him, as it was very well detailed, as were some students before him. He dispelled it. Haruka spoke to him, "Now we want to see how your bunin is. Make for us 2 successful bunin." Naruto hesitated and raised his hand as sensei looked at him and he told them, "I can't make bunins." The teachers looked at each other and Kurenai and told him, "You know this will affect your score since you can't do a basic bunin." Naruto nodded and replied, "Yes, well me and my Gilson Jiraiya can't figure out the reason why I can't do bunin, so he taught me something else." The teachers looked at him and he continued, "He taught me how to do gajbuis." The teachers took a minute before Miyuki spoke. "Naruto, that technique is not possible for a student." Naruto made eye contact with him and said, "Really, I can do it. Please let me show you." Kurenai, she looked at him wondering if you really could. "It's okay, Naruto." Naruto broke eye contact with Miyuki and looked at Kurenai. "If you really could do it, then it would help you a lot, but they have to be perfect Kaj bunis." Naruto nodded and made the seal for the Kaj bunis in a puff of smoke around them. Not 2 or 5 or 7, but 9 figures stood beside Naruto. The teachers stood with their eyes wide open and saw 10 Naruto standing in front of them. Haruka was stunned. Miyuki couldn't speak and Kurenai was shocked. Naruto, he broke the silence as he asked, "Then did I do well?" Wiping the looks off their faces, Haruka said, "You did very well, Naruto. I'm proud of you." Mizuki and Kurenai and they nodded as the clones disappeared. Mizuki said, "Okay Naruto, you can say goodbye now." He finished. Miyuki Naruto looked at the 3 of them. "Don't you want me to show you something else that can help me get through?" The 3 of them said okay and Naruto inhaled and exhaled. He extended his right arm and then chakra shot out of his arm. Surrounding his arm there was chakra blue that was visible. Kurenai thought to herself in amazement, "This boy can release large amounts of chakra from his palm. Not even jounin level ninjas can release that much chakra from their bodies. I don't even think the Hyuga can do something like that on this kind of scale." Haruka just thought, "This is amazing." Mizuki also thought with such a large chakra he could create a shield around himself as protection against certain attacks. Naruto's chakra that was emerging from his right arm slowly disappeared into his body. He opened his eyes and saw his teachers looking at him in disbelief. Miyuki stood up and looked him in the eyes. "You did it, Naruto. You can say goodbye and call the next student." Naruto bowed formally and left the room. The 3 teachers were adding up their score, still unable to shake off what they had just seen. Naruto walked out of the room and looked at everyone who seemed to be looking at him in anticipation. "I did good, I guess." He looked at Hinata and said, "Your turn." Hinata, she nodded and passed him and before he entered he bowed to her and said, "Kill the mime." She looked at him and walked into the room. She heard the door close behind her and she was alone with the 2 Chunin and a Honi. He walked to the center with a bow and told them his name and the teachers bowed back and told him to perform the techniques in bunin. Once he finished, he noticed they were impressed. Kurenai and looked at her, "Will you show us your Byakugan?" to Hinata-chan. Hinata nodded and whispered to activate it and performed her Juken style. Kurenai was impressed for his flawless technique and strikes. Once he stopped, the teachers applauded and Haruka asked, "Anything else you want to show us?" Hinata nodded again and bit her finger to show the blood. Then she started doing a series of hand signs. She hit the ground with her hand and shouted, "Summoning Judo." Suddenly in a puff of smoke, a medium-sized eagle appeared in front of them, then flew over Hinata's shoulder and looked around. What do you want me to do, Hinata-san? The teachers took a while. Minute before Mizuki asked, so Hinata-chan, you are able to summon creatures? Hinata nodded yes. His name is Taritsu. He can be useful in the field to send messages between the team I will be in case of emergency. Taritsu looked at the masters and added, and since I am a special summon I will grow to the size of a caravan, so my combat skills will improve as I grow as well as my chakra. The three of them looked at each other. Sina and looked at her. This will be a special case, since that is a valuable asset to your squad in case you run into trouble. Okay, Ina-chan, you did excellent on this test, and like the rest you will find out later today if you graduate and what squad you will be in tomorrow. Now you can take your leave, she said with a smile. Hinata bowed, and so did Toritatsu. Then Taritsu disappeared back to his kingdom. Hinata walked out of the room and saw her friends and told them. They said I did excellent. They all cheered for a minute and Hinata called Shikamaru for Shikamaru to enter. He passed the evaluation with the laziest effort but surprised him with his analytical skills and performed his shadow possession Hutsu and did not pass. Then he also passed and performed his mental body change in Miyuki. He did not want to, but agreed in the end. Choji appeared next and passed his test just barely and performed his technique of various sizes. Shino was next then without any problem and without emotion. He passed his evaluation and cleaned the masters with his parasitic insects Kiba burst in when Shino was leaving. As Choji just passed, he and Akamaru performed showing their beast imitation. He came out like he was on top of the world. Sasuke was next and performed perfectly. He showed two fire jutsu techniques that had to be done with Mizuki on guard. With his water jutsu ready, Sasuke performed his dragon fire jutsu and his new mini furb jutsu fires 5 fireballs the size of baseballs, less power, but fast. Sakura was last and passed her test too, as Ino asked her to. Kurenai was the only one to be able to demonstrate her genjutsu, since she was a genjutsu specialist. After they left and all the other students came in, everyone went back to their classroom and waited for their classroom supervisors to return. Then Kurenai, Mizuki and Iruka appeared with a table from the room with a sheet on it. Everyone went back to their seats and waited. Kurenai came over and said, first of all, you all did very well. As you can see behind me, we brought a table and I'm pretty sure you can guess what they are. Iruka pulled the sheet off the table and there on the table were left hits. Kurenai spoke, I will call you by your names, come up and accept your headbands, and from this moment on you will be ninjas. She lifted her clipboard and said, I will start from the lowest score and open up to who impressed us the most during the test. She called all the students to the bottom. Each student accepted their headbands from Iruka on Mizuki, since the two of them went off until she got to the 9 rookies. Number 9 is Shikamaru. Nara. Shikamaru stood up and lazily walked over to the table where Yuka and Mizuki were standing. Mizuki handed him his headband and Shikamaru tied it to his left arm. Number 8 is Choji Akimichi. Choji happily walked over to the table and grabbed Iruka's headband and put it on his head. Number 7 is Kiba Yuzuka. Kiba was jumping and screaming what happened here, ran over to the table and walked over to Mizuki and grabbed it and tied it to her head. Number 6 is Sakura Runo. Sakura had a smile on her face and grabbed Iruka's headband and tied it on top of her hair to hold back her pink hair. Number 5 is Ino Yamanaka. Ino let out a squeal and gave Naruto a hug and walked over to Miyuki and took off his headband and tied it around his waist. Number 4 is Hinata. Hyuga. Hinata was happy that she beat Ino and heard Naruto cheer her on. Walking over to Iruka, who nodded and handed her her headband, she tied it around her neck. She bowed and walked away. Number 3 is Shino Aburam. Shino, he didn't say anything. He walked up to Miyuki and accepted his headband politely and tied it around his head, then slowly walked away. Number 2 is Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke was stunned that he wasn't number 1. He was angry, but he didn't show it. He had one thought on his mind, it was him who became number 1. Isn't he like that? Upset, he walked over and accepted Iruka's headband. He tied it around his head and walked away. Disappointed with only one student remaining, he announced, as everyone can see there is only one student and one headband left, and with the number 1 spot open, everyone can guess the number 1 is Naruto Uzumaki. The 9 rookies cheered him on and Naruto raised his hands in the air and said, finally I did it. He walked to the front and saw Kurenai grab the last headband and hand it to him. You did very well. The village should be proud to have you as a ninja. But that's not all. Kurenai turned around and pulled out a small plaque that said Rookie of the Year with his name written underneath. He looked at the boy. Stunned. You also became the Rookie of the Year. This is it, something special. Naruto was speechless. He grabbed his headband and wrapped it around his head and grabbed his badge and couldn't wait to show it to everyone in the compound. Yuka announced, you all passed this year. No student in this class failed. You all should be proud of yourselves, and I'm proud to call you all comrades, Mizuki said. Happily added, now I'm sure you all want to run out of here screaming all over the village. I know this because my class did, but when you all reach a higher rank, I'll be happy to fight alongside you on any of the missions. Some of the students had teary eyes and began to say goodbye to the class. Naruto walked with Hinata holding her hand and heard Kyubi, you did very well kid, thank you senpai. That Means a lot coming from you. He looked at Hinata and said, well, we become ninja Yime. She looked at him and smiled. Ino was standing on his other side and he said, you did very well Ino-chan. Ino blushed and the two girls grabbed their arms again. Both girls said, I just hope we're on the same team. Naruto-kun walked through the crowd and out the door to see a crowd of adults waiting for them all. Naruto looked at his family and they were all smiling at Hinata and he was waiting for the duo. He thought to himself, I wonder if my real parents would be proud of me for graduating. Kyuubi heard that thought and said, I'm sure they would be very proud of you Kitya. I guess was all he thought. Yasi he saw them approaching and looked at them. Seeing Naruto and Hinata with their leaf Sita heights on, he was so proud of them. Naruto began to show his headband and his badge to everyone, saying that he was the new rookie of the year and so he began to praise the boy. Even more Naruto couldn't help but blush at that. Anna told them that the cooks of the compound prepared a special feast for them before starting their walk. Their path was blocked by a black-haired man. Yashi looked at the man with great distrust. Hello Itachi, long time no see. Itachi returned the smile. Yes, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Yashi saw me. Yashi looked at the smiling man. Something he could help you with Itachi. Itachi approached the man and whispered that a sensei can't come to congratulate his student and he distrusted not only Itachi but all. Ucha, see you tomorrow. He is not your student now. If you excuse us, my family and I are going home to celebrate Hinata and Naruto's graduation. Itachi bowed. Of course Usama, I'm sorry to hold you. Itachi kept smiling, which only irritated Yashi more. Yashi made he gestured with his hands to his family and they began to walk past him. Anna and Anabi walked side by side. Kanayata and Naruto followed behind them. Itachi made direct eye contact with Naruto and mouthed the words, see you soon. Naruto-kun. After those three passed him, he paid special attention to the Hyuga who followed in the rear. He stared at her and whispered, I'll take care of you later tonight. He smiled at her and she blushed and stopped next to him and said in a seductive voice, I'm sure you will indeed. I'm counting on that already. She turned around and yelled, oh come on. She walked away from Itachi. She continued, what did you say to Ao-chan? Kana asked him. Once she caught up to her. Ao smiled and said, I told her that if she tried anything with Usama, she'd find herself face down on the ground. Kana found that hard to believe but chose not to say anything about it. Itachi turned around and walked to where his family was and walked toward Sasuke. Congratulations Sasuke-kun for graduating. Sasuke was proud to have received praise from his brother. Makoto hugged Sasuke. Yes, my Sasuke-kun. He graduated. I'm so happy now. My two sons are ninjas. Sasuke was embarrassed that his mother was making a scene. Fugaku put his hand on Sasuke's head and said, you really are my son. Sasuke was speechless because he received praise from his father. With that said, Sasuke, the entire Uchiha clan will go to the main hall to have a big party for all the Uchiha children who graduated today. Later tonight. Sasuke nodded happily, but everything disappeared when Itachi spoke. I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. The party. Fugaku looked at his eldest son. What do you mean you won't be able to do it? This is a special day for the Uchiha clan. Itachi didn't show any emotion again. Sorry, but I have a mission later. And I'm not sure how long it will take. Fugaku continued looking at his son. What mission does the Hokage have for you? That can't wait until tomorrow. Itachi said clearly. I'm meeting Hyuga later for a mission around the village. As a guard. Fugaku upon hearing this demanded, you don't need a Hyuga to do that. Tell the witch Hyuga you can do this on your own. If she objects, make her submit to you. Itachi frowned at what he called his women, but then he laughed to himself. If only he knew how badly I can make her submit to me. Images of him and me in the hotel room flashed through his mind and how his ears ring when she screams his name. I have no intention of doing that to her. The mission will go much faster, smoother and quieter. At the comment he simply said he laughed. Yeah right. Fugaku sighed. Okay, but get back to the party as soon as you can. Itachi just nodded. He walked over to Sasuke and said, sorry Sasuke, but this is the life of a ninja. You will do things like this from now on. Sasuke perked up hearing that. Okay Itachi, nai. It's true, this is our life. Itachi patted Sasuke's head and walked away. Compassed Hyuga. Many of the Hyuga attended the party to congratulate Sarum and Naruto and his Bear Hinata for becoming ninjas over the course of 4 years. Yasi he was winning in his debate about the merger of the branch families Mian and finally rid the caged bird seal of its home once and for all. Something his brother always wanted. It was only a matter of time. Naruto surprised Yasi when he suggested telling Hokage the caged bird seal so he could place it on prisoners in case of riots or use it as punishment or interrogation, but they had to wait until they came to an agreement. Jiraiya was already at the party. Tsunade showed up. Shizune came too, and so did Kakashi. Sorry for introduce him at the end of the story. Kakashi could only see Naruto on rare occasions as he was the Anbu captain, but the Hokage asked him to become a Jounin since this year he was one of the Anbu. To watch over him and protect him from a distance in case anyone tried anything on him. This was an advantage to him, as it would mean he could see Naruto and protect him. That was until the Hokage made the law that states anyone who attacks Naruto is to be killed on sight. Kakashi would happily. She walked over and said hi. Naruto was happy that he could show up at his graduation party. Kakashi Nichin, I'm glad you could come to my party. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't miss the chance to see you grow into a boy. The two of you were one and the same. They had a deep commitment to family, their duty as a girl, the will to protect and fight for those they loved, and they would die for each other. Anna was watching the party and was greeting all the members of the branch family Kana was making sure that everything went to the perfection. Anabi was with her sister asking to try on the headband, and so she was talking to the two. Sami Jiraiya had already sneaked away and was able to communicate with Naruto and took him away from the crowd to talk to him. Hello Naruto, I am very proud that you have become a ninja. Naruto couldn't help but smile. I wanted you to know that if I compare you to two of my former students your age you would be the strongest, but don't get ahead of yourself, you would only be a little stronger than the two. Naruto and everyone else in the village knew that he trained the fourth Hokage, but to be told that I was stronger than the fourth Hokage when I was 12. Gilson, I'm only strong because I have you and Asama there to train me. Naruto paused and wanted to ask. Although he knew it could be a long shot, Jason Jiraiya already looked at him and was listening. Do you know who Maiken and Tausen are? Naruto asked, hoping to get an answer. Jiraiya was a little surprised that Naruto asked him, since he didn't want to tell him the truth yet. Well yes, I met your parents. Naruto's eyes sparkled with the hope of finally finding out something about them. Your parents, well they were very strong and talented ninjas. If they were alive right now you would be showered with love and gifts, even if it wasn't your birthday. Jiraiya told him the truth. But no, who were they? Naruto asked what their names were. Jiraiya made a look of animated surprise. He forgot to think of names. Well you see, but by some miracle Kakashi saved him. Naruto, your mother's name was Sylvie Uzumaki and your father's name was Kumaki. I had the honor of accompanying them on missions from time to time. Naruto's attention was on Kakashi, and he didn't see Jiraiya utter the words to Kakashi thank you. Naruto wanted to ask another question, but was caught in a conversation with Kai. He could leave the talk about your parents here. Naruto raised his hand towards Jiraiya and Kakashi both knew of his conversations with Kyuubi. What do you mean? Kyuubi told him, trust me, everything will come to light very soon. Naruto trusted him. Kyuubi cut the link between them. Naruto was disappointed that he couldn't learn more about the two. Okay Gilson, thanks for telling me something about them. Hinata ran up to where he was and hugged him from behind. Naruto-kun, everyone wants to congratulate us, come here. Naruto nodded and followed her to a crowd of people some distance away. Kakashi looked at Jiraiya. You know what, now that we told him, we'll have to tell everyone who knows the truth in case he decides to ask anyone else. Jiraiya nodded sadly. Yes, he has to wait a little longer to find out the truth about his roots. Immediately after, as he finished his sentence, he felt a surge of chakra hit his body and thought is here. Naruto, who wasn't too far away and felt the same thing. Kyuubi joined him again. Naruto, someone else is here who shouldn't be. Before he could answer he felt a hand touch his shoulder. He turned around to see a tall man with spiky dark orange hair with 3 piercings on the bridge of his nose, 2 piercings on his lower lip, and several piercings in his ears. The man had glasses and he was wearing a no-hedging suit. Jiraiya saw the man and thought it seems he infiltrated the village successfully. What do you want here? Pain looked at Naruto confused and said congratulations on graduating from Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto for some reason was surprised and didn't know why. Thank you. But who are you? I know you. Forgive me, my name is Yako. To answer your question, no, we don't know each other, but Jiraiya-sama talks about you so much I feel like I know you. Jiraiya walked over to where Pain and Naruto were. Hey Naruto, I see you met Yako here. Naruto kept looking at the tall man and asked Jiraiya, who is he? Well Naruto, he is one of my former students. Hey, before we continue, would you mind getting me something to drink? Jiraiya, he was hoping Naruto would say that, and luckily he did. Naruto turned around and walked away without saying a word. Jiraiya turned around and made a serious expression. You're trying to endanger everything. Pain laughed a little. Sorry Jiraiya-sama, it seems I can't wait another year to meet him, so I took the initiative and came here disguised. No one other than you know who I really am. That doesn't matter, you could be risking everything we worked for. Come back and I'll meet you there in 2 days. Jiraiya was emphasizing that Pai would be found out. Okay Jiraiya, but before I go I could give Naruto a graduation present. Jiraiya was about to say something, but he turned around to see Naruto with 2 drinks in his hand. Here you go Jane. Jiraiya took the drink from his hand. Naruto turned to Pain and asked, do you want some tea? He shook his head. No thanks Naruto-san, well I would like to stay and chat with you a bit, but I'm afraid I must take my leave. Now Pain pulled out from his side what appeared to be a thin black cylinder at least 14 inches long and handed it to Naruto. Here, this is a graduation gift. It's a chakra blade. It responds to one's element and brings it to light. Naruto looked at the staff and thought it didn't look that interesting. Pain took it back and swung it once and the extended staff had a sharp point at the end. Think of Iden's second weapon he had fighting with Ruma. It's stronger than any sword you can wield. It's lighter, sharper and more effective. Naruto was amazed. Pain pressed a button on the bottom of the weapon to retract it. Thank you, Yasun. Naruto was delighted to have his own master. Pain turned to walk away. Oh, I'll see you Very soon Naruto-san until then get stronger. Naruto was confused at first and yelled at the man walking away thanks again for the regal pain just waved and proceeded to walk away somehow without warning. The same thought came to his mind, who was he, what did he want, will we really meet again? He shook it all off and decided to enjoy the rest of the party and was looking forward to tomorrow. The rest of the day the party was great. Almost all of Konoha was celebrating their children's graduation well into the night. The Yamanaka, Akamichi and Nara clans were celebrating together at the Akamichi complex as they had the most food and the area was much larger, making it more suitable for their clan. The clan Aburam had a silent meeting. No one knew if they were home or not, the Inuzuka clan being the loudest as usual, howling at the top of their lungs, just like their animal companions, howling and barking into the night with a large bonfire outside in the middle of their training area. The Uchiha clan was something like the Aburam clan. You couldn't hear anything. Akura's family went to the Akamichi complex to celebrate and have fun. Also the Hokage was looking at the village and was happy too. Here the village in a state of joy. The back to his house and started to think, well, the teams are set, the sensei are chosen and the missions are ready, things are going well. Tomorrow will be a good day. On the outskirts of Konoha, Pain and Konan waited patiently for the body of their dead friend to reach the top of a cliff. From the trees a figure jumped next to them. Pain spoke. Naruto finally met him. There is an aura coming off him. He was staring at the corpse of his friend Jaiko. Jaiko's corpse took off his glasses to show the Rinnegan, walking closer to Painin and stopping within arm's reach. Konan said, Nagato-kun, we should go now. If they find us here, it will be bad. Pain looked at her and then looked back at his dead friend. He performed a series of hand signs, then placed his hand on his chest and said reverse summoning jutsu. In a puff of smoke the body disappeared. Pain turned to Konan and said, we are moving now. He started to walk away and she followed him. Where are we going now? Nagato-kun paused for a moment and turned to her. We are going to Hyugakure. There is a ninja there who will be Kakuzu's new partner. Konan asked, what skills does he have that could be useful to us? He started walking again. He believes in something called Jason, but his skills make him a perfect partner for Kakuzu. Konan didn't say anything, but he still listened. He says he is immortal. Konan sighed. It seems we have a fifth person who believes himself to be immortal. Kakuzu Madara Rachimaru Sasori. And now this one, what is his name? Pain answered. And the two followed walking until Konoha was completely lost from sight. The next day some of the adults were terrified as they tried to cure hangovers from parties or had to clean up a huge mess. It was around 7 in the morning and the new Gainans were heading to the academy for the last time to find out who was in their squads. They were using the large auditoriums they use for this occasion or in case of emergency villager meetings. Gainin came alone or with their families. Nei sent out their summons Toritama to deliver a message to Yasi, saying that he would return in 2 days, much to Naruto and Hinata's disappointment. Naruto and Hinata arrived walking with Yasir and Anabi, as well as 5 bodyguards. Naruto and Hinata were shocked that Ana and Kana drank so much to Yasi's surprise that his wife could handle that much alcohol. Behind them was Kiba, Akamaru, his sister Ana and his mother Tsume, who was suffering from a massive hangover. Ino and his father Inoichi were next with Inoichi laughing at Shikaku, who was being carried somehow by his wife. Shikamaru was lagging behind the group, shaking his head at his father Shibe and son Shino would be leaving next. Shibe surprisingly smiled at his friend Shikaku with Risaka Choza and Choi followed the viewers and they couldn't help but burst out laughing. Sakura and her mother appeared and walked towards Inoichi. Sakura was looking for Ino and saw her in a heated argument with Hinata about Naruto again. Sakura felt like she was the middle girl who always had to stop the catfights between the two. The last group to show up was of course some Uchiha kids and their parents. Among them were Fugaku, the Kodo and Sasuke. Itachi, he never came home, nor did he come to the party they had for graduation. Fugaku approached Yasi, trying to get some answers. Hello. Yasi was hoping this day could go on without any complications, but he knew it was just an illusion. How can I help you today? Fugaku-san. Fugaku crossed his arms and asked, have you seen to my son Itachi somewhere by chance? Yashi shook his head and replied, why would I know where your son is? Hyugaku. And so they seem to be in a lost look. Well, he had a guard mission last night and he said that his partner for the night was one of your cousins. Hyuga. Yashi's eyes widened a little and he thought, I don't remember assigning him any mission last night. If he had a mission from the box I would know first. Deciding to play it cool, he replied, she's at home resting. Fugaku. I knew she was lying, but didn't say anything about it. Well, I guess we're done here. Then he bowed and walked away to where his clan was waiting for him. Yashi ignored what just happened. Yashi looked and saw Naruto Yanai watching the argument between Hinata and Inoichi walk next to Yasi. Young love, huh? Yasi chuckled and said, yeah, be young again. Inoichi smiled and said, yeah, I'm glad that's over. Naruto and Anabi continued watching the argument between Hinata and me. Naruto Nichin, this happens a lot. Naruto nodded and said yes, this is just a normal day. Everything stopped when the Hokage arrived with his Anbu escorts. He walked through the crowd receiving bows and praise. Before entering he yelled, everyone take your seats inside. All new graduates take your Seats in the front rows, all parents, guardians or friends occupy the back rows. He entered the auditorium first, followed by the crowd. The Gainans filled the front rows as instructed, and families filled the back rows after everyone sat down. They noticed that a group of Jounins appeared from the back of the stage and stood behind the Hokage. Among them was Itachi in a Jounin outfit with a booming voice. The Hokage spoke. I am so proud of all of you today. You are no longer children, you are now ninjas. This is a special day, a day where you will be put in a 3-man squad with a Hachin sensei. This only means that you are moving on to the next level. Your assistant for today, who also appeared from behind, was Tsunade. She walked up to him and handed him the paperwork. In my hands is your names, the names of your teammates and the name of your sensei. We will start with squad 1. He called out random names of students, and when they were called up to the stage, they were to meet up with their sense and leave the auditorium to start training or talking to get better acquainted with their squad. When he got to team 7, he yelled out, Team 7, it's Sakura, Runo, Kiba and Yuzuka and Sasuke. Uchiha. All of Sasuke's fangs pouted and Sakura showed restraint, but her Sakura internal was screaming, yo great. The three walked towards the stage, and he announced T-sensei will be Sasuke, who made eye contact with Itachi, expecting it to be him. Kakashi Fugaku attack was shocked. Sasuke had his eyes wide, and Kakashi said be. Kakashi stepped out from the rest of the hing and walked towards the very well. It seems you're in my squad, meet me on top of the academy roof ASAP. The three nodded and walked out of the room. Kakashi put his hands together and used the Shunshin technique to leave. Sasuke walked past Itachi and stared at him, wondering why he wasn't his sensei. Jumping squads 80 and 9 Sarutobi started again. Team 10 Shikamaru, Naruto, Kiichi and Ino Yamanaka. Ino pouted because she wasn't on Naruto's team. Naruto patted her on the back and said, don't worry, that doesn't mean we can't still hang out. He smiled at her and she felt a little better. Shikamaru stood up and shuffled. Well, Choi happily stood up and he met with his team on stage. Your sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. The thought that ran through everyone's mind was his son. Asuma came out and greeted him. Well, how about we meet at training camp 21. The three nodded and followed him out of the auditorium. Jumping from squad 9, 12 Sarutobi spoke. Team 13 will have Shino, Aburam, Hinata, Hyuga, and Hinata's heart was racing. There were still many other students among them, and she prayed to her uncle and for Naruto to be with her. Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto. He grabbed Hinata's hand and said, it seems we are together again. He was smiling widely because he had his Hinata with him. Shino stood up and walked silently towards the stage. Naruto and Hinata were right behind him from the audience. Yashi just pulled his hands away and said, I haven't prayed so much since Hinata was born, and Anabi was breathing a sigh of relief. Anabi sat there looking at his father with a confused look. The three of them stood in front of Sarutobi and looked happy. Tensera and Chaichi, all who they stood to watch, they were absolutely shocked. The demon boy, the heiress Hyuga and the bug boy had one of his and Tia's clans as their sensei. Fugaku was beyond angry. Itachi looked at his students and said, I want you three to meet me at the top of the Hokage monument as soon as you can. Itachi put his hands together for bars. Shun and Naruto, Hinata and Shino watched him disappear and also said goodbye. Sarutobi watched as they left and looked towards the stands. He saw Yashir and Navi saying goodbye. They didn't have another reason to stay. He looked and saw that Fugaku had an angry look on his face. Cool, he's going to make a fuss about this when I get back to my office. Fugaku and Mikoto stayed to watch the rest of the Uchiha kids form squads and meet their senseis. The rest of the squad ceremony went perfectly and everyone left one by one. Sarutobi took the back exit. He wanted to avoid Fugaku at all costs. Top of the Hokage monument, on top of the huge mountain, there was an observation deck where people could come to look through a scope to see the entire village. Itachi was standing by the railing looking out over the village. Naruto, Hinata and Shino walked over to the area he was waiting at and the three of them sat down on a bench near him. Itachi turned around and looked at his students in front of him. Itachi spoke first, let's get to know each other. I want to know what your likes or your dislikes too. What are your goals and dreams? Shino decided to ask sensei. Could give us an example. Itachi felt my name of course is Itachi Ichihime. I like my family and my comrades. I don't like traitors or people with a superiority complex. My goal is to help my clan with that complex. My dream is to have my own family, and I entered a ninja that everyone will know. He paused for a moment, then looked at his students, and then pointed at Shino. Why don't you follow Shino-kun? Shino stood up. My name is Shino Aburam. I like to collect and investigate different errors as well as my close friends. I don't like people who jump to conclusions about them, including people. My goal is to become clan leader, and my dream is to uncover as many mistakes as humanly possible and help a certain someone reach the top. Shino sat back down and they waited until Itachi pointed to Hinata. Your turn. Miss Hinata also stood up. My name is Hinata Hyuga. I love my family and friends, especially Naruto-kun. She looked at him and blushed. I don't like people who try to hurt my precious people. My goal is to become a well-known herbalist, and my dream is to unite the branch family with the main family in my home and get rid of all branch member with the caged bird seal. Itachi smiled at his dream. Finally he looked at Naruto and said it. Seems like you are the only one left. Naruto stood up. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like my friends, and especially my family, and Melina. I'm Hinata blushed to a deeper red. I don't like people who judge others without knowing them first. He looked at Shino and remembered what happened a while ago. My goal is to become very strong, so I can protect everyone, and my dream is to live my life the way I want. To live my life I'll be the one to break everyone's belief that their lives are predestined. You are in control, and no one else. Itachi looked at him. Naruto-kun, those are all the qualifications of an Hokage. You know, if I hadn't been mistaken, I would have thought your dream would be to become an Hokage. Naruto was looking at him too. If I become an Aki, I want it to be known that I worked for it and not that the kami destined me for it. Naruto laughed a little. Itachi smiled and was happy after getting Hinata and Shino too. Those two are fighting for something more than themselves. I can't say the same about my clan members. After Naruto's little speech, those two seemed to have encouraged themselves even more. Itachi closed his eyes and said, it's getting late. The ceremony took longer than expected. He opened his eyes and looked at them. Meet me at training camp 13 tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Have dinner well, sleep well, and have a little breakfast. I'll tell you what your exam will be tomorrow. Yada spoke. Itachi-sensei, we need to bring something. Itachi, he said, bring as many weapons as needed. The test will help me see where you need to improve. With that said, you three can go now. Naruto, Hinata and Shino started walking away. Naruto asked the two, hey, let's go get some ramen. I'm starving. Hinata replied, ramen sounds good. Now what do you say? Shino replied, I don't have a taste for ramen, but there's a first time for everything. Naruto raised his hands and said, well, let's go to Ichiraku Ramen. The trio started walking towards the Ichiraku Ramen bar, to the joy of Naruto and Kyuubi. Itachi watched him walk away and continued watching the sunset over the monument. Then he felt a great weight on him, as if someone was watching him. He looked at a group of trees behind him and concentrated on one point. Itachi spoke, you can go out now. A figure appeared from between some trees in the area. My father sent you, didn't he? The ninja had a Hu armor, but on the mask was the Uchiha shield lord. Hyuga wants you to meet him now. Itachi turned around to look at his fellow Uchiha and followed him back to his house. He thought to himself, this is going to take a long time. Sorry too, I guess we won't be spending the night together. The two then disappeared using Shun in Naruto's room. Naruto's alarm went off and he rolled over on his bed and slammed his fist against it to turn it off and looked at the time. It was 4:30 in the morning. He sighed and got up to take a shower and get ready for the day. While he showered, he searched his mind to see that not even his friend was awake at the moment. He muttered silently to himself, this is an ungodly hour to wake up. Getting out of the shower, he brushed his teeth, then got dressed. He looked at a desk that was in his room. That Tina some books and picked up their holsters that had his kunai-said shurikens. He wrapped them around his waist, then looked at his desk again and saw his chakra rod that he got from Yako Pain. He reached out, caught it, and placed it on his waist as well. Okay, this is a good time to try and use it, he told himself. All set and go. He headed to the kitchen to grab a snack on sensei's orders. Hinata's room. Hinata woke up to the sound of her alarm clock but turned it off gently. Hinata was a morning person. Unlike most people in the village, she got up to open the blinds and see that the sun's rays were barely scratching the horizon. Just like Naruto showered and got ready too well, took her ninja gear and walked out the kitchen door, hoping to see Naruto cooking. Hyuga Naruto was looking through the cabinets to find a sandwich when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw Hinata. Good morning. Hinata walked up to him, hugged him and said, good morning Naruto-kun, ready for today? Naruto nodded and said yes. Whatever test Itachi-sensei has planned for us, we will pass it. He took some bread out of the cabinet and went to the toaster to make some toast. They both had at least 2 slices each and a glass of water to stay hydrated. They looked at the clock and it read 5:20 and they decided to head out. On their way to the door, they saw some Hyugas who were on guard or were getting up for training and early exercises. They left for the compound and headed to training camp 13 for the first time. As a team, training camp 13, Shino was leaning against a tree waiting for his teammates to show up. Good thing he didn't have to wait long. He saw the two lovebirds walking side by side. Good morning Hinata-chan. Naruto Hinata was the first to greet him. Good morning you too. Shino's Naruto also greeted him. Good morning Shino, you sleep a lot? Shino replied, yes, I'm well rested and ready for today. And you? This is a bad time to wake up, but I'll have to bear it, Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his head. I think we have at least 10 minutes since Hinata and I took a while to find this training ground. He sat down and said he would rest until Itachi showed up. Hinata agreed and sat next to him and rested her head on his shoulders. Shino sat next to a tree next to the which were the 3 of them and leaned on him to rest. The 3 of them also rested for 10 minutes before Shino felt the insects inside him moving. To alert him that someone was approaching, he sat up and woke Naruto and Hinata. The 3 of them stood up and saw Itachi walking towards them. They rubbed their eyes for a second and straightened up. Itachi stared at them. I'm glad to see that you 3 arrived not only on time, but early as well. Now let's begin. He reached into a backpack that he brought and took out a rope. Naruto-kun, time I right? Arm behind my back. Naruto didn't know why, but he did it anyway. Make sure it's nice and tight. Naruto tightened it and made sure the knot was solid. The point of this test will be that you'll have to hit me on the back, Hinata asked. That's all we have to do sensei. Naruto and Shino were wondering too. The three of them had thought there would be more. Itachi nodded and said to make it fair as you can. See, I'll just use my left arm, my legs and anything else on my body that I can use to counter. I will attack, but most of all, I will try to defend myself from you. Well, since my arm is tied I can't use jutsu, and I won't use my Sharingan. Naruto and Shino looked at each other. They both knew there was more than what he was telling them. Itachi stood still and said, let's see if you can accomplish this. You have until noon to complete this. If not, I will deem you not worthy of being a girl, and you will be sent back to the academy. Hinata and Naruto eyes widened. She knows they probably did if you could see through his glasses. Naruto yelled that if we don't hit you on the back we will be sent back to the academy. Itachi replied yes, besides if one of you accomplishes this on your own, that one will stay and the Kajin will give me 2 other students instead of the 2 that didn't hit me on the back. Use whatever weapons necessary and whatever tactics necessary to accomplish your mission. Basically come at me like you want to kill me. Hinata was about to say something, but didn't get the chance before Shino put his hand in front of her. She waits. Hinata-chan, let's just comply with him. Itachi smiled and Adi understands. Shino reached out and put his hands on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto turned to look at his teammate. Shino looked at Hinata and nodded to tell her come here. The 3 of them were on a boat and Shino whispered, he's trying to trick us. Hinata asked, what do you mean? Shino replied, under normal circumstances, a normal team would immediately attack on their own to try and take him down. With success he wants to turn us against each other in hopes of seeing if we attack him one at a time. Naruto wasn't sure, but he tried. So what does he mean by just one of us taking him down? He thinks we jump to conclusions and attack without thinking. Naruto's eyes widened. Have you already looked under the bottom part? Shino at this point he smiled. Yes, I have. He also told us if one of you manages this on your own that one will stay. What if the whole exercise is meant for us to use teamwork to do this? Yada said he didn't say to use teamwork because he hid it in his words, trying to see if we catch him. Then all we have to do is use teamwork to take him down, and he can't say that the one who took him down since it was the 3 of us who used effort to take him down. Naruto looked at Shino. You have a plan? Shino shook his head. Why don't we play this by ear? Naruto smiled and nodded, improvising. That's not like you. Shino just smiled again. Hinata said, well, let's do this. She put her hand in the middle. Naruto put his hand on top of hers and Shino's was on top of Naruto's hand. They looked at each other, then they broke the transport and looked at their sensei. Itachi was smiling. Let's start now. At that moment Naruto and Hinata lunged at him, while Shino unleashed his bugs to try to surround him. Hinata activated her Byakugan and launched Juken thrusts, trying to target his upper body. He countered and blocked with his left arm, hitting his wrist, or his Naruto came to Itachi's side and threw a few kicks which Itachi blocked and stepped to the side. This continued for a while as Shino watched the data gathering. More and more time passed as they threw attacks at him, punches, kicks and everything else. Shino just thought after watching we would have never won if he had used both his hands, his Sharingan and Jutsu. Even with him holding back this was proving to be difficult. Naruto used Kune's shurikens and his chakra rod to fight, but Itachi had pulled the kunai out of his sheath and counter every punch Naruto threw at him. Hinata didn't use many weapons, just her shurikens to try and hit him in the legs. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't hit him. Hinata and Naruto reverted to their taijutsu skills to fight. Shino became the long-range helper, throwing his shuriken at Itachi to try and take him down or using his bugs to try and attack. Itachi Naruto took a few punches and kicks to stop Hinata from getting hit. This fight continued for a while, and Naruto was a little exhausted, and Yada wasn't far behind. More time passed, and the clock was ticking, and Shino couldn't find any opening or anything else that could really lead to victory. Even with Naruto summoning the shadow clones, it didn't matter. Itachi seemed to kick it into gear and beat them up only when he left it to the real Naruto did he calm down and return to his normal pace. Itachi began to go on the offensive just because of Naruto's high level of taijutsu, constant back and forth attacks between the two until Hinata stepped in to help. Naruto blocked almost all of the attacks unless they were aimed at Hinata, then Naruto would take the hit. Itachi was going to cut Hinata's neck, but before he could connect, Naruto hooked his foot around Hinata's leg and pulled on her leg. This caused her to stumble a bit and Itachi's attack missed. With Itachi's arm outstretched, Naruto grabbed her hand and did a judo throw, throwing Itachi over his shoulder. Itachi flipped into the air with ease before Naruto and Hinata waited for him to emerge so they could continue their assault. Itachi took off at high speed in Shino's direction. Naruto and Hinata ran as fast as they could to rescue him. Itachi punched Shino. He avoided the attack, but Itachi's hand hit the ground and he used the strength of his upper body to hold himself up and used the momentum to kick Shino back. Hinata ran after Shino and knocked him back. Caught him before he could hit the ground, Itachi waited for another attack, but it never came. Naruto stood next to Hinata and Shino waiting for them to recover before attacking Itachi. Thought he's not stupid, he knows running would result in a humiliating defeat. They are using teamwork to their advantage. Shino retracted his bugs inside his body and pulled out some kunai. He threw one at Itachi's head and saw him move to the right. Shino threw another and again Itachi's legs, only to see him move to the right again. Shino whispered loud enough for only the two to hear Naruto. Hinata keeps dodging to the right. He also seems to be adept at using momentum to his advantage. Naruto looked at Shino. "How is your taijutsu?" Shino replied, "Not as good as yours or Hinata's." Naruto chuckled, "Okay then let's play it by ear." Shino smiled, "Follow my and Hinata's lead, since I've never trained with you, and vice versa. We'll have to find something long term. I don't have time to show you mine." And Hinata's teamwork. Hinata, keep going as best you can, we only have 20 minutes left. Let's make it count. Shino nodded in agreement. Naruto turned to Hinata. "I'll go for his legs, you handle his body," and Shino follow. Hinata's led. Naruto bit his thumb and did a series of hand signs summoning jutsu. In a puff of smoke, two small toads appeared. "What's up, boss? Hey, where are we? And where are the snacks?" Naruto looked at the two of them and said, "I need your boys' help right now. When we're done, you'll see lots of snacks, okay? Gamatatsu Gamakichi, I need you to listen to this plan, okay?" The two toads nodded. Hinata did the same as Naruto and yelled summoning jutsu. Hinata's summons Taretsu appeared and flew to Hinata's shoulder. "What's your offer, Hinata-chan?" Naruto waved his hands for everyone to hurry up as he went over his plan. Itachi just stood there impressed that they were using teamwork to the max. The shuttle broke and they scattered more. "Come on," was all Naruto yelled as he started running in a big wide pass getting behind Itachi on his right. Shino summoned his bugs in the background, hoping that Naruto and Hinata's summons wouldn't eat them all. The bugs headed for Itachi. He jumped in the air out of the way going to his right, trying not to get gobbled up again. Hinata made Toritatsu fly into the air behind Itachi. She started flapping in front of him, breaking his line of sight. The bugs surrounded him and started biting him. Itachi started swinging and he chased them both away, moving still to the right. Jumping again, he felt something wet on both of his legs but couldn't see what they were in time. Hinata had Sub-Hyugan activated still and jumped on Itachi and hugged him as best she could but couldn't grab his left arm. Naruto and Shino had run up behind him and both kicked him in the back of the knees, making him bend backwards. Naruto followed after kicking, extending his arm and hooked around Itachi's neck. Shino grabbed Itachi's shirt by the shoulder and both of them forced him to the ground. Itachi felt the things on his legs pulling and unbalancing him ban even more. The next thing he felt was his back hitting the ground. After he hit the ground, the swarm of insects disappeared into Shino tore its body. His flew high. Naruto released his grip on Yin as well. Once all that was gone, he looked down at his feet to see two tongues wrapped around his legs, each belonging to Naruto's toad summons. He stood up and asked Naruto to cut the restraints on his right arm. Naruto took out his chakra rod and cut the restraints. Itachi looked at you all. "You did excellent." Naruto decided to say something. "Yes, but if you had your other arm free you could have used substitution to get out of it, even hit us." Itachi nodded. "That's true. But I had no intention of going against you. You would have never won. If I had done that, I wanted to see if you could figure out what I was going to do. You used teamwork and all of you rushed to save and help to a friend in need." How Naruto moved Hinata out of the line of my attacks and the way Shino blocked my vision so his allies could get the upper hand. And finally, with you two running to save Shino from me. Teamwork is essential for any mission. Abandoning your friends for any reason is not acceptable. As I said yesterday, I don't like traitors. Not being there for your friends is betraying them. Friends are the closest thing a ninja should have said all this you all go through. Naruto jumped into the air and Nada smiled and Shino just stood there. Gamakichi looked at Naruto and "Boss, we're done here." Naruto nodded. "Thanks again to both of you for your help." Gamatatsu said, "Hey, what about my snacks?" Naruto looked at him. "When I go out to eat, I'll call you both again to come eat." The Toad brothers agreed and disappeared. Toritama flew over Hinata's shoulder. "Again something else, Hinata-chan?" Hinata shook her head. "No thanks. Thank you very much. Without your help, we wouldn't have been so successful." Taretsu, he bowed his head and disappeared. Itachi turned to his students. "Well, now I have a complete understanding of what you need to improve Shino. Your long-range skills are perfect and they complement your strategic nature, but your taijutsu needs a lot of work. The Juken forms are excellent, but their reaction time is not as fast as it should be, so we will work on that. Naruto, your taijutsu is impeccable and you follow it perfectly, but by using your shadow clone so many times you started to wear yourself out faster. This means that your chakra control isn't that great at all. You somehow make up for it with your inhuman stamina. Come back here at 3 o'clock after you rest and have some food in your stomach. We'll start your training when you get back." He said goodbye. He turned around, grabbed his bag and walked back to the village, leaving his students there. Naruto collapsed from exhaustion and fell on his hands and knees. Hinata also knelt next to him. Shino said, "You two stay here. I'll go to the village and bring some food." Naruto looked at Shino thanks man, could you get me some miso pork cream and Shino nodded and looked at Hinata. I'd like some tango and a cinnamon roll. If you don't mind Shino told them. No problem I'll be back soon. He ran to the village to get the food Naruto and Hinata went to a nearby tree to lean on. It seems we passed the Inim test. Hinata smiled and asked are you hurt anywhere? Naruto pointed to his shoulder. Hinata lifted his shirt and saw a bruise on his shoulder. Stay still Naruto-kun. Hinata's hands began to glow and she ran her hand over where the bruise was. Your shoulder is slightly fractured. Nothing to worry about. She let out a sigh of relief. 10 minutes passed as the two waited for their friend to return with the food. You're good at this Hinata-chan. Hinata smiled and said my medical training with my mother Shizen has improved. Naruto looked at her confused. Why doesn't Tsunade-bachan train you? Hinata kept her smile, said she's going to open classes for a set number of students with good chakra control and a decent amount of chakra. If you're a Genin you don't get the full training, but if you're a Chunin you get all the time up to them. If they choose me, then they choose me. Talking about chakra control Naruto, I thought you were training with Kyuubi in chakra control. Naruto nodded. I am, but I'm learning to control my red chakra that I get from him. Hinata let out a no. Hinata-chan, do you think I should tell Shino about him? Hinata stopped what she was doing. He looked at her and asked do you think he'll take it well? Naruto looked depressed. He deserves to know since we're in the same squad. Out of nowhere they heard he deserves to know that both Naruto and Hinata turned to see Shino standing behind them with the food in a metal container. Naruto was stunned for a minute. Well Shino you see he looked down with a depressed expression and told Shino about his friend inside of him and who sealed him and about the attempts on his life. Shino listened the whole time without saying a word. Hinata didn't know if that was good or bad since he always acts like that. Once Naruto stopped he looked at Shino who just stared at him before Shino finally spoke up. I see, so some of the villagers knew about the demon and tried to kill you for something that was out of your control. Naruto spoke up. I'll understand if you don't want to be my friend anymore or if you want to change squad. Shino interrupted Naruto's depression. Why would he do that? You're my friend, the same one who 3 years ago beat up some kids at the academy because they were making fun of me for my bug friends. You didn't judge me for who I am and I won't judge you for who you really are, a hero. Naruto stood up and extended a hand which Shino shook and the two hugged each other. Thank you Shino. Once they separated Hinata spoke. Well let's eat before our food gets completely cold. Shino and Naruto sat back down. They opened the metal container and took out the food. Naruto grabbed his ramen and Nada got her dangos and cinnamon rolls and Shino got some wild grass salad to eat. The three friends just sat and ate in peace, talking the whole time. They decided to rest and sleep there until 3, not bothering to go back home. Itachi came back to help them with their training. Throughout the day they trained to improve their weaknesses. Naruto was being taught chakra control. Hinata was being thrown fireball jutsus, as well as some kunes that would help her reaction time, and Shino was being taught a style of taijutsu. It was around 7 when Itachi was going to call it a day. Okay guys, let's stop training here for today. Tomorrow I will teach you how to walk on trees and if there is enough time I will teach you how to walk on water. Naruto spoke. Can we really do all that? Itachi smiled and started to walk away. See you here around 9 tomorrow morning, then get ready and the next day we start our missions. Goodbye. Naruto grabbed Hinata's hand and Shino walked next to them. They returned to the village. See you tomorrow. I have to take this container to Ichiraku. Hinata smiled. Okay Shino, see you tomorrow morning. Naruto walked up to Shino and held out his hand again. Thank you for understanding Shino, you really are a great friend. Shino shook his hand. Naruto, remember yesterday when I said I would help a certain someone get to the top? Naruto nodded. I was talking about you. Naruto was stunned for a minute, then smiled. Thank you Shino. Really? Shino started to walk away and waved to his friends one last time. Before turning the corner Naruto and Hinata they returned home and couldn't wait to tell everyone how their first day went. Naruto couldn't wait either as Nei's summons told them he would be home today and wanted to show her his headband and tell her about his squad and about his sensei compound. And Hyuga Nei's room had just dropped off his team and started unpacking all the things he took with him on his mission. Gay was in Yasi's office talking to him about the mission and how Neji controlled certain situations. Neji decided not to train Ho and dropped in his bed and fell asleep. He woke up when there was a knock on his door and he groaned as he had to get up. He walks in without bothering to activate the Akagan to see who it was. Naruto and Hinata walked in. Hello, they both said together. Nei smiled and waved his hand for them to come in. Hinata looked at her cousin Nai-Nison. How was your mission in water? Nei? He groaned a little. It was fine apart from G-Sense and Ire yelling about the flames of youth. Everything else was fine. Naruto smiled. You know someone to really talk to? Nei. He paused for a minute. Actually I did. This girl who was about our age had neon green hair, red eyes, tan skin and a white outfit. It was strange, she kept talking about being called a monster and a demon. The villagers were afraid of her, but none of them took action against her. Hinata and Naruto looked at each other. What did they say? Hinata asked Gain and asked what did she mean by that. She just said that she has A monster inside her. We talked to her for a while, and she said that the villagers leave her alone. They don't attack her or insult her, just act like she doesn't exist. Nei finished by saying she told us that she killed her mother when she was born, and that her name was Zu. Hinata was confused, but Naruto knew something, and decided to bond with Kyuubi. Hey Kyuubi, what is it? Naruto. Kyuubi asked in a sleepy tone. A long time ago you said something about 8 more or something. Do you remember? Kyuubi felt. What's up with it? Did you mean there are 8 more people like me? There was an awkward silence before Kyuubi spoke. Yes, no. He thought this village had the only idea to use demons like us as weapons, right? Naruto was shocked and couldn't even say anything. You have another? Naruto shook his head. No. 9. Yasin found a girl in Waterfall who says she has a monster inside her. Kyuubi thought for a minute. If my memory is good, that area was controlled by the 7-tailed horned beetle. Unlike the rest of us, he lives the life of a closed around mountains, forests or near waterfalls. Like most insects, you know where the others are. Kyuubi said. It's not your time to look for them yet, although to us then. It's okay, but it's very risky to look for them, but let them be. We will look for them soon. If you go saying things about people like you running around in other villages, the other villages that have them may see this as a threat. They will start to believe that if the Jinchuriki are found, they might try to join together to destroy them. Jinchuriki is a word used by villagers and ninja to describe people with tailed beasts sealed inside them. So we don't do anything. No cousin, you are forced to meet some if not all very soon. I can at least know what the other demons are. Kyuubi let out a sigh. Okay, but give me your word that you don't say anything about this outside of this conversation. Naruto said yes. He heard his tailed beast first. There's the 1-tailed Shukaku, the 2-tailed demon cat, the 3-tailed giant turtle, the 4-tailed monkey, the 5-tailed end horse, the 6-tailed slug, the 7-tailed horned beetle, and the 8-tailed giant ox. Naruto said for the last time. Thank you me. I feel much better knowing that there are others like me. By Kyuubi nodded, and Naruto cut the link, returning to the conversation with Neji. Neji turned and looked at Naruto. Someone told you what happened with our graduation? Nei smiled and knew where this was going, but decided to shake her head, saying no. Hinata also smiled and decided to tell what happened. Well, Naruto-kun and I passed the graduation test and got our tiaras. Nei was perplexed to notice that they didn't have theirs on. Where are they? Asked Nei. Naruto. He intervened. We left them in our rooms, but it was okay anyway. I was named Rookie of the Year. Nei smiled and thought, you're getting closer, Naruto. Soon we'll have our destined match with each other. That's great, Naruto. I guess that means you're only getting stronger, said Neji and continued. And me and Naruto are in the same squad with Shino too. Our sensei made us go through this test of his, and all 3 of us passed the test. Neji wanted to know who his sensei was. So who did the Hokage cheat on you with? Naruto said. Itachi. Uchiha. Eyes were wide at this point. Ah, since it's Itachi, how did Usama allow this to happen? I thought he hated Uchiha. Naruto smiled more. We start the official training tomorrow. He's going to be so much ass. Naruto smiled more and more. Nei was still shocked, but then thought of this as a plus. If he trains Naruto, he will definitely get stronger. I can't wait. It's good that they both have a sensei like him. Neji said. Hinata smiled and looked at the clock in Nei's room. Well, Khan said that dinner would be ready soon. Come on, Naruto-kun. 9 is probably in levels and wants to rest before dinner. Naruto nodded and said, I'll go get you. Dinner is ready. Neji nodded and watched the 2 walk out of the room together. Those 2 make a great couple. He turned to lay down on his bed and get some rest, fearing the fact that Gay told him they were going to wander around the village early in the morning, with him yelling that if they didn't complete that they would have to do 1 sit-ups. Thanks Cam and Tenten. It's the normal in the group. 2 weeks passed, and Squad 13 had completed more D rank missions than the other rookie squads. Their first C rank mission was to deliver supplies to one of the cities in the Land of Fire, and only had a minor problem with some bandits. Itachi was impressed with his improvement. Naruto's chakra control was as good as any other. Hyuga Shino improved his taijutsu in case he had to handle a close combat situation, and Hinata's reaction times for attacks and the being attacked, they improved greatly. They learned to walk on walls and water. The first few days he was able to figure out whose element it was by using the chakra paper. Naruto was a wind and water user, Shino was an earth user, and Nada was a lightning user. They were able to combine their techniques with their elements to help make their attacks much more effective. Sarutobi was considering naming them Rookie Squad of the Year. It was noon, and Squad 13 was summoned to Hokage Tower for their next mission, and Itachi was there waiting while Naruto and the others headed there and met up with Squad 7. Naruto yelled, "What's up?" Kiba yelled back Naruto. The 2 practically hugged each other. Akamaru jumped off his head and ran towards Hinata, breaking their hug. Kiba looked at Shino. "Hey Shino, how's everything?" Shino said, "Everything's okay. We were on our way to the cashier's office to discuss our next mission," Sakura said. "I heard that not long ago you guys completed a C-rank mission. Is that right, Hinata-chan?" Hinata smiled, petting Kamaru, and replied, "Yes. They delivered supplies to us in a village not far from here." Sasuke remained silent the whole time. Naruto didn't like him the way he was, but he was even more angry When he found out that Itachi was training him, Fugaku made fun of that situation at the clan meeting. Sarutobi had told him that having Itachi sense and Sasuke would be bad since it could generate favoritism. What topped it all off was when he told Fugaku that Itachi was the one who personally asked Naruto to be his student. Fugaku. He then demanded that Itachi stop being sensei. Itachi responded with the fact that he didn't have to follow his orders even as a clan head in legal matters of ninjas, and that the Hokage had that kind of position. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Hey, we're Naruto's side already knowing where this was going. He didn't like getting into altercations with Sasuke before, since he had to deal with the taunts of his fans. What's wrong, Sasuke? I want to see how strong you are. Fight me now. Sasuke took a stance. Naruto looked at Hinata, who shook her head. I'm sorry Sasuke, we have to meet Itachi sensei and the Hokage for our next mission. Naruto turned his back to Sasuke and walked away. Sasuke saw this being ignored and ran towards him, prepared to punch him. He was only inches away when he felt a hand grab his wrist. He looked to see who it was and saw Shino holding his wrist. Naruto stopped and turned around and wasn't surprised to see Shino stop the attack, attacking a fellow ninja from behind. Now that's embarrassing even for an Uchiha, Shino said in a cold tone. Kiba was watching and was amazed by Shino's speed. Sakura was even more shocked to see Hinata standing behind Sasuke with his right palm inches from Sasuke's back while still holding Kamaru in his left arm. Kiba decided to speak up. Hey, are you afraid of Shino's right attacking a fellow leaf ninja from behind? His short. Sasuke released Shino's wrist and looked at Naruto. You're scared to fight me, aren't you? Sakura spoke. Sasuke, no, let's turn this into a fight. We also have to meet the Hokage. Being late is rude and disrespectful. Sakura had to break up arguments between him and Kiba on occasion, so she was used to this. Sasuke was still angry and walked past Naruto, hitting his shoulder in the process. Sakura looked at Naruto. I'm sorry Naruto, sometimes it's hard. Naruto put a hand on her shoulders. Hey, don't worry about it. Sakura smiled, turned around and followed right behind Sasuke. Kiba was still standing with Naruto and the others. Do you mind if I head to the cashier's office with you? Hinata smiled. Yeah, no problem kid. Naruto and Shino nodded. The four Yumaru headed to the cashier's office. They caught up with Sasuke and Sakura and they all entered the Kage office at the same time. Elijah, Kakashi and Tachi were in the room waiting. I see squad 7 and 13 showed up together. Sarutobi smiled. Itachi was standing to the right of the cashiers and Kakashi was standing on the opposite side. Naruto, Yada and Shino moved towards where Itachi was as Sakura, Sasuke, Kiba and Akamaru moved towards where Kakashi was standing. Naruto had to refrain from calling Kakashi nice and Kakashi explained that it wouldn't look good if he did. Sarutobi said it seems we have a mission to the land of waves here, seeing as Kakashi said his squad is ready for their first C rank mission and seeing as Itachi's squad has already accomplished a C rank mission, as well as a large amount of D rank missions in such a short time. I've decided to make do with this, a joint operation. Sakura was confused. Hokage-sama, has there ever been such a thing? Sarutobi nodded. It's rare, but not unheard of. Squad 7 is more of a frontal assault squad, while Squad 13 has more stealth and information gathering skills. Kiba spoke. What is the mission? Hokage-sama. Sarutobi took out 2 folders and placed them on his desk. Kakashi and Tachi approached to pick them up. The client is a man named Tazuna. He is a bridge builder. He asks us to escort him and protect him from some bandits who wish to take your life. Sarutobi walked over to press a button on his desk. After pressing it, the door to his office opened and an old man walked in with a bottle of alcohol in his hand. Then my life must be entrusted to these 6 pipes. Kiba yelled. Who are you calling Pip? He squeaks at you. Drunk. Akamaru barked. Then Kakashi put his hand on Kiba's shoulder. Don't make this into something. It shouldn't. Sasuke muttered. Kaukba caught that, but didn't say anything. Sarutobi let out a cough as he was saying, this is how it is. Will carry out the mission. The S squad will escort Tazuna to his home in the land of waves, while squad 13 will take the scenic route and head straight to the bridge in case there are bandits waiting for Tazuna. You all understand the mission? Both squads nodded. Then the mission starts in 3 hours. Go home and pack what you will need for the mission, then meet at the front gate. Sarutobi took out a map and handed it to Itachi. Here is a map to show you which direction take to get to the bridge. I have also mapped out where Tazuna's house is in case you need to go there first. Taking out a second map, he looked at Kakashi. You have Tazuna, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a map. Kakashi grabbed the map and took a step back and bowed, then walked over to his squad. Itachi did the same. He bowed and looked at his team. Pack smart for this mission. Bring ration bars. If you can some healthy food and weapons, bring them. If you think you could need something else for this mission to be a success, brings it all, they said in unison. A sensei. Squad 13 said goodbye, followed by squad 7. Tazuna stayed behind to talk about the mission with the cashier outside the Hokage tower. Well, let's go back home. Hinata-chan. Hinata nodded and they both headed home to pack. Shino looked at Itachi. See you at the door, sensei. Itachi nodded. Shino began to walk away. Sakura looked at Sasuke. I have to pack too. I'll see you later. Sasuke-kun. Sasuke, how always ignored her. Sakura frowned a little, but before leaving, she heard Kiba. Kiba was irritated and looked at Kakashi. Kakashi sensei too. I'll see you at the door. Kakashi nodded. Don't be late Kakashi-sensei, Kiba said. That last part with much effort. Kakashi frowned and watched him walk away. Well, I'll say goodbye too. See you later Sasuke-kun. Itachi-sensei. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura turned around and went back to packing, leaving the three of them in the main building. Kakashi waved to Itachi and disappeared using Shunin. Itachi and Sasuke stayed and started walking. Itachi spoke without making eye contact with Sasuke. Do you like that girl Naruto? Sasuke shook his head. It's not a one-sided thing. Itachi was emotionless. Then he started thinking about Ao and how he wasn't spending much time with her recently. She won't let me live this down if I don't see her before I leave on this mission. Maybe I should buy her something as an excuse me gift. He thought. The two brothers headed back to the Uchiha compound to prepare for the mission. Kono's main entrance to Naruto, Hinata and Shino were already waiting, all packed and ready. Kiba and Akamaru appeared and joined them. Sakura was next, running towards Hinata so the two could talk, much to Kiba's chagrin. Tazuna appeared escorted by Kakashi, who actually arrived on time. Surprisingly, people started yelling about the end of times. The only ones waiting were Itachi and Sasuke for them to appear. The two appeared with some time to spare with their backpacks. Everyone went in their groups and were ready. Itachi looked to your squad Naruto. When we get to the land of waves I want you to cover the center. Shino will take the lead and Nada will be behind Naruto and I will cover the back. The three of them nodded. Itachi turned to Kakashi. We will leave first. Once we know for sure that there is no one on or near the bridge we will meet you at Tazuna's house. Kakashi shook his head. That sounds like a plan. I'll see you when we see you. Itachi turned to his squad and said okay, move on. The trio looked at him and said oh, getting into a ready position. The four of them started running out the door and began their journey to the land of waves. Naruto and his squad were making great progress. They came across some bandits. They rested from time to time and were in no country before they knew it. They were walking a bit before everyone noticed a puddle of water off to the side. He thought, this is serious. Thinking about whoever was going to attack was an idiot. Itachi spoke low enough for them to hear. Keep walking, let's see what he spends. A few more steps before it happened. Two figures emerged from the puddle and went for Itachi. The two mist ninjas were running side by side. Before they got within 5 feet of Itachi, Naruto appeared next to one and kneed him in the face, while Hinata ducked under the second and kicked his legs and then attacked his shoulders, paralyzing Olo. Itachi stood to the side to watch and see how they would handle the situation. Shino had sent his bugs after Naruto attacked. His bugs began to bite him and drain him of his chakra as his entire body was surrounded. It didn't take long for him to be completely drained. Itachi smiled. Everyone did very well. Now let's see what kind of information we can get. He approached their unconscious bodies. Well, if it isn't the mist demon brother. Hinata was next to Itachi. Who are they? Itachi took off his gauntlets and found a chain hidden inside each one and tied them together with it. A tree. They are from Kurigaka Rouge ninjas who abandoned their village. These two helped a ninja called Zabuza Mamachi in an assassination attempt on the Mizukage's life, but he failed miserably. The two brothers slowly woke up. The key Hinata hid was still paralyzed, while the one Naruto and Shino attacked could barely move as his jaw hurt and his chakra was almost completely depleted. Itachi sat in front of them. Why did you attack us? The two remained silent, looking away from him. Itachi sighed and closed his eyes. Looks like I'm going to have to do this the hard way. He opened his eyes to reveal his Sharingan. Then the two brothers realized who it was. In an instant Itachi grabbed the one who attacked Yada and forced him to open his eyes. Naruto knew this was how Uchiha interrogated people, as he saw this on his last C-rank mission. When he got information from the bandit leader Kyuubi established a link with Naruto and Kit. Naruto paused and thought, what's wrong? Kyuubi told him, I want you to use my chakra. I'll lend you my eyes. Naruto knew what he meant, as he would have the red eye slits of Kai. Naruto didn't think of this as a dujutsu, as the only thing it allowed him to do was induce a great amount of fear in his opponents. But he did as he was told. He closed his eyes and opened them again to show that he had the eyes of Kyuubi. Shino saw his eyes and remembered how much stronger he is when he fights using them. After watching his one-on-one sessions with Itachi, Hinata knew he was going to do an interrogation as well, as he did the same in his first C-rank. Naruto leaned towards the one he and Shino knocked down. To the man's eyes widened in horror at what he had just done. The boy blinked once and when his eyes opened he was in a sewer and unleashed, confused at first and didn't know where he was. He thought it was a genjutsu, so he put his hands together and tried to deactivate the genjutsu, but it didn't help. What scared him was he heard heavy breathing behind him. Turning around slowly, he looked to see a giant fox lying on the flooded ground staring at him. It's not in the cage. He almost got angry at that. He looked back a step. Kaiu's eyes opened and he roared at the man so loudly that he disappeared. He woke up screaming. Itachi looked up to see Naruto crouching next to him with red eyes. Naruto looked at the man with his now blue eyes. Do you want to talk now? The man nodded quickly and said, we were hired by Cat to find the bridge builder Tazuna and kill him. Itachi looked at this ninja. What other ninja has this cat on their peril? He still looked terrified. Well, he hired us all the way. Zabuza's team Itachi looked at the other. Is this true? The other ninja nodded yes. Whatever you did to my brother seemed to have worked, so there's no point in hiding it. Who else is involved in this? Itachi demanded. The brothers looked at each other momentarily before answering. Well, of course there's Zabuza, and there's also Daimyo Zaburo Tsaya, and Akushino spoke. If I am not mistaken sensei, I think Aburo is one of the 7 Chinese swordsmen of the mist, as well as Zabuza. One of the brothers spoke. Yes, he joined Zabuza after the attempt on the Mizukage's life, after he tried to kill all the council members. Itachi made some hand signs, then looked at the ninjas with his Sharingan, and the 2 of them fainted. He pulled out a piece of paper and started writing something on it. Hinata, summon one of your birds and send this message to the Mizukage and tell them the location of their 2 Nukanin. Hinata nodded as he made some hand signs and summoned a crow that had a jacket with a leaf symbol on the back. Crow-kun, could you deliver this message to the Mizukage just east of here? The crow couldn't speak but could understand English and started nodding, and Nada taped the message to her leg and flew away. Naruto was thinking deeply and then looked at Itachi with concern. Itachi-sensei, since these 2 attacked us, it's not possible for them to attack Kakashi-sensei's group. Itachi took out his map and scanned it. They're too far away, most likely they've already been attacked. Let's move quickly. We'll go to Tazuna first to see if they made it, if not we'll take this way here. Shino looked at the place. Sensei pointed out if they hit whoever attacks them under Kakashi's orders, they would return to the village for having been tricked by Tazuna. Hinata spoke. Yes, Shin is not right. On the other hand, they would not be safe if they also attacked us, so they could continue to make sure that we are okay, just as we are about to do, without leaving aside the fact that if they are hurt, they would go to Tazuna. The heel. Itachi looked at Hinata. Summons another bird, probably a small one like a canary. Send him to find them along this path here. Hinata turned around again and summoned the little yellow bird who, like the crow, had a mini jacket on her. Giving the little bird the instructions, the bird jumped slightly and then flew away. Okay squad, let's go. Naruto and the others nodded and started running at full speed, running without stopping. They were close to their destination. They came across Hinata's canary almost 5 miles from their destination point, and it had a small paper attached to it. They read that Kakashi's squad was attacked by one of Zabuza's cronies, but they were able to survive, and that they were going to Tazuna's house to get healed and wait for them. They decided to go with Itachi's plan to meet them at Tazuna's house, and they continued their long journey to their destination, Tazuna's house. Itachi looked ahead and saw the meeting point. Okay, the 3 of you were here. Everyone had landed in front of the house, and Itachi approached and knocked on the door. They waited a second before a woman opened the door. Who are you? My name is Itachi Uya. This is my squad. Naruto, Uzumaki and Nat. Hyuga. Shino. Abiram, pointing to each of his students. We were ordered to protect your father Tazuna. Well, he built the bridge. He opened the door further. My name is Tsunami. My father is not home right now. Hinata said. Sensei, that means you 2 could still be in trouble. Itachi nodded. It's okay Hinata. Shino, I want you 2 to stay here as protection in case someone tries to attack her. Naruto and I will go in the direction we are supposed to. They should come. Shino and Hinata nodded. Okay, come on. Naruto jumped down, and Naruto looked at Hinata and said, I'll be back in one piece. Hinata looked him in the eyes. You better. Naruto gave him a reassuring smile and jumped away as well. Shino and Hinata turned around and went inside and set up a perimeter using Shino's bugs while Hinata scanned the area with her sub-Byakugan. Every 5 minutes Naruto and Itachi were jumping from tree to tree, slowly entering the fog. Itachi looked at Naruto and said, hey, this is a fog full of chakra, stay on guard. Naruto told him. Sensei. They stopped when they heard metal grabbing. Stopping at a large branch, they looked and saw Kakashi fighting a tall man with bandages on his face and a huge sword. Further to the side they saw Sasuke and Kiba trying to fight an indigo-haired woman wearing a blue and black ninja suit from the mist and a katana in her hands, and Sakura was in a line of trees protecting Tazuna. Naruto, take care of the women, I will support Kakashi. Naruto looked at his sensei and nodded. By the way Naruto stopped and looked at his sensei. Get this over with quickly. Naruto sighed and said, oh sensei. Sasuke and Kiba. Sasuke was holding his right eye, blood was dripping from his hand holding the area where it was cut. Kiba was holding his right leg and pulled a bloody kunai out of his leg. He was already lying unconscious next to a tree. The attacker had some scratches and bruises, but nothing she thought was serious. I have to say you 2 fought for a minute, but it's all over with your boys. Remember my name so you can say it in the afterlife. My name is Tetsuya, the lover of Kenjutsu. Saying his speech between breaths, he jumped on the 2 children. Almost halfway there, he felt a change in pressure in the air, stopping as quickly as he could, sliding along the ground half a meter from Kiba, and Sasuke saw a gust of wind coming towards her and knocked her down and sent her flying. She recovered to see a blonde boy with blue eyes. The first thought that went through her head was, be as beautiful. Naruto looked at his partner Orjan and Kiba. Are you okay? Man, Kiba was breathing heavily. Hey Naruto, I'm fine. I just need what, and passed out right there from exhaustion. Sasuke looked at him. What are you doing here? Dope. Naruto looked at Sasuke to save under the Orders of Itachi-sensei. Sasuke grimaced. He thought his brother now looked down on him for needing to be saved. Saya shouted, "Hey Naruto, is that?" Naruto turned to his opponent. "Yes, that's my name." Saya laughed and looked him in the eyes. "Why not you come with me? I can turn you into a real man." Finishing the last part with a seductive voice, Naruto smiled and closed his eyes. "Sorry, I have a girl." Saya frowned. "Well then I guess I'll just take you with me by force and make you my toy." He crouched down and prepared to attack. "Here I go." Before she could move, Naruto told her, "Do you mind if we can finish our fight quickly? I have orders to do so." She stared at him and smiled. "Well, aren't you Mr. Cool? It makes me want it even clearer. Go ahead if you can." Saya jumped at Naruto, who just made some hand signs and yelled, "Water-style torpedo jutsu!" Firing a burst of water from the air in front of him. Firing it hit the unfortunate woman with such force that she flew backwards, hitting and going through a nearby tree, leaving her breathless on contact. Sasuke was stunned. "How did you do that?" Naruto looked at Sasuke and raised his hand halfway in the air. "The moisture in the air from this mist, that's not what I meant." "How you learned that move?" Naruto didn't really want to answer. "How and who did you learn your fire style from?" Sasuke looked at him extremely angry and thought Itachi. Tatsaya stood up as best he could and said, "You weren't lying." Naruto looked at her. "You don't see I don't use much min ninjutsu. It ends my fight so quickly. You can't really savor the fight. I take more pride in my taijutsu skills. It prolongs the battle and you get a better feel for your opponent. It's more fun that way." In what seemed like a fraction of a second, a shadowy figure appeared behind Tatsaya. Naruto just stared at the scene in front of him, while Sasuke stood with wide eyes. Kakashi vs Zabuza. Both ninjas were exhausted from their long battle. Kakashi had cuts on his body, as did Zabuza. "Kakashi is a copy ninja. I would have never thought he would fight you." Zabuza said, "This battle has been so much fun, but let's get this over with." Kakashi was exhausted from overusing his Sharingan. "Zabuza is still not as tired as I am. I need a miracle to survive this." Zabuza lunged at Kakashi, brandishing his sword. Kakashi had a kunai drawn, but with his current strength, it wouldn't be enough to stop the giant sword. Zabuza's sword fell inches away from Kakashi. Zabuza felt someone hit his sword on the bottom of the handle, knocking it out of his hands. Then a kick to the chest sent him back a couple feet. Recovering, he looked back to see Itachi. Kakashi fell to his knees exhausted. "It's good to see you, Itachi." "Kakashi," he said between breaths. Itachi looked at Kakashi. "He must be strong if he did this to you." Kakashi told him, "This mist blocks the abilities of the Sharingan well enough to cut it in half." "What can and can't you do?" Itachi asked. Kakashi took a deep breath. "We can't copy his ninjutsu. I can follow and predict his movements a bit, but that's difficult." Zabuza stood up, put his hands together, and shouted, "Water clone jutsu!" From the mist, a water clone of Zabuza formed. "Bring me my guillotine." The clone nodded and ran around the two-leaf ninja. The clone successfully reached the sword, and with such force he threw the sword at Kakashi. Itachi grabbed Kakashi's vest and jumped over the sword. Dodging what they thought was an attack was actually the clone who returned the massive weapon to Zabuza. He timed it just right. He let the blade pass him until the handle was within his reach. Zabuza easily grabbed the blade and didn't even move an inch from his spot. "Well, it's been fun fighting you, Kakashi, but fighting you as Itachi Chia would be suicide. I will return for the old bridge builder until we meet again." Itachi saw another figure appear from the mist, landing next to Zabuza. "Zama, I have brought Tatsaya lost to this blonde boy named Naruto." Uzumaki Kakashi saw this new enemy with the women. He left Kiba and Sasuke to fight, thrown over the shoulder of the ninja. "Seems like a turning, but he is so young and is working with Zabuza. What is happening?" Zabuza looked at his partner. "Tatsaya lost. It seems that I need new recruits." Daimo's lost to Kakashi. "It seems the demon brothers won't be back anytime soon." This wasn't seen. "I understand Kakashi winning against Daimos, but the boy must have been strong to defeat Tatsaya." "Never mind, come on Aku, I'm almost out of chakra and you have no chance against Itachi here." Nodded. Zabuza put his hands together and the mist grew thicker and thicker until the three of them disappeared. Just like the mist, Itachi was still holding Kakashi. "Regroup the others." Kakashi spoke. "Sakura is hiding there with Tazuna." Kakashi was pointing at a group of trees after finding Sakura and Tazuna. The four of them found Naruto, Sasuke, Kiba and Akamaru. Naruto summoned his clones to carry the three of them, but Sasuke ignored him and said he could walk alone. Sakura ran to Sasuke to help heal his wounds. A Naruto clone carried Kiba on his back and another had Kamaru in his hands. Tazuna's house. Slowly but surely the group arrived at Tazuna's house with Hinata waiting outside. Naruto-kun your back ran and hugged him tightly. Itachi them, he said to everyone. "Okay, everyone inside." He looks at Tazuna with a disgusted look. "We need to talk now." Tazuna felt a shiver run down his spine and could do nothing but nod. Everyone walked into the living room and settled in. Tsunami had gone to get some first aid kits, so Hinata would have a little more to work with when she fixed everyone up. Hinata healed Kakashi's cuts, bandaged a fainted Kiba, even tried to heal Akamaru. Even though she was not a veterinarian, her biggest problem was Sasuke. He told Itachi that his right eye was too damaged and could not be healed, that he would never be able to see out of that eye. However, Itachi knew better. He knew that if his father found out about his eye, he would force him. Unfortunate Ichi had to give him his right eye in exchange, showing concern for his brother. He walked over to where Sasuke and Sakura were sitting. They were both outside on the swing in the yard, not saying a word to each other for short periods of time. Sasuke had bandages over his right eye and was very depressed about it, and Sakura, I was trying my best to cheer him up, but to no avail. Sasuke, how are you? Feeling Itachi asked. Sasuke couldn't look him in the eyes, so he kept his focus on the ground. Naruto saved me. I should have been stronger. Itachi put a hand on Sakura's shoulder. Sakura-chan, can you give me a minute with Sasuke? Sakura looked at him like that and walked away, entering the house, closing the door behind her. There was silence between the two for a moment before Itachi spoke. Are you ashamed that a fellow own saved you? Yes, it was the only one answer. Why? Because Itachi, to me being saved by a dope like him is shameful. Itachi was disappointed by his brother's words. Sasuke is becoming more and more like the rest of the clan. Itachi thought to himself, Sasuke, there is no shame in being saved by a comrade. Sasuke's eyes shot to him. What would you know? You never had to have been saved by anyone, so you don't know the shame. Sasuke was fuming with anger. Itachi turned his back on him as he was about to enter the house, but decided to give him something to think about. You're wrong, Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes were still fixed on his brother. I know what it feels like to feel ashamed of being saved. Sasuke's eyes widened in confusion. It's thanks to her that I'm still alive today, and the reason for my change of attitude in these years. Itachi didn't give him a chance to react and walked in, leaving Sasuke to his thoughts. Itachi walked into the living room where everyone was sitting. Sakura stood up, ready to return to Sasuke's side. Before Itachi could tell her stop, leave him alone for now. Sakura has a lot of things on her mind right now. Sakura sighed. Sensei turned around and sat next to Hyuga, who had Kamaru in his hands. Kakashi looked at Tazuna. Why didn't you tell us that not only the bandits would be after you, but the ninjas too? Tsunami was sitting next to Tazuna. Naruto noticed that he didn't want to talk and decided to ask Tsunami-san, why didn't you tell us that we would encounter enemy ninjas? Tsunami looked back and forth between her father and Naruto before answering, yes. Have you seen the village? Then you can see that we are in a depression, and his name is Kat. Kakashi asked. I see you couldn't tell us because you couldn't pay. Kiba asked. What do you mean, sensei? Kiba wasn't stupid, but it just takes him a while to understand. Shino answered his question. Normally missions where we fight other enemy ninja wouldn't be a C rank mission. Something like this would be at least a B rank mission or even an A rank, but what I don't understand is why not you paid for a B rank mission at least. You would have had a 3-man tuning squad escort. Tazuna spoke. It's just like it sounds. We thought just 3 ninja wouldn't be enough. We had enough money to pay 8 ninja for a C rank, which is way better than 3 ninja for a B rank. Shino replied, but 6 of us are just gaining. You're still fresh in the academy. He also added that our hin are responsible for our safety. Not only did you lie about the mission, you also put us in danger because you withheld information before he could finish. Akamaru barked at him. Sorry to include Akamaru that you put in danger. Look at Akamaru happy now. Akamaru made a bark and leaned back. Kiba let out one before saying, so what are you saying? Is that you guys, pointing at Tazuna, and his daughter lied to us about the mission? Tazuna looked at Itachi. You have to understand the bridge must be built if we want to be free from Gedo. He imposes taxes on us that some of the villagers can't pay. If we don't pay they will kill us. If we don't we pay. We starve those who believed this could work, put up all the money they could so this plan could work, but you must believe me when I say if you help us and the bridge is completed, which will be in a week at most, I can pay for the rest of the mission. Tazuna was on his hands and knees bowing to the ninja. Itachi replied, you don't understand the situation. Tazuna's head rose, as well as Shino said, these 6 Janinas just left the academy. The only real fighting experience they have is training each other. He looked at Naruto. Everyone except Kakashi. Naruto-kun, and I have experience in killing an enemy. The others don't. Tsunami was shocked and asked Naruto, did you kill someone? Naruto replied, it was when I was 7. A man I trusted, the Ina-chan clan, tried to kill my precious people. I had no other choice. Naruto had no emotion when he told them Hinata was sitting next to him and grabbed his hand and squeezed it tightly. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Kiba, he was shocked just like Sakura. Shy didn't know about Naruto's assassination attempt and how he killed the assassin and thought the man deserved it. Kakashi didn't like the looks Naruto was getting from his Tsunami squad and Tazuna. No matter how many of us killed Tazuna, the point is they're not ready for something like this. No matter how many of us took down Zabuza's followers. Itachi looked at Kakashi. We took out the demon brothers. Who did you defeat? Daimos of Blue. Their water-style jutsus were strong, but a few shots from Mikor did the job. That doesn't excuse that there are ninja out there that want you dead. Tazuna, from now on our squads will return to village. You will not be entitled to a refund since you withheld information from us and put our students in danger. Kakashi was about to stand up when he saw Tazuna bow at his feet, begging them to stay. Tazuna spent a while begging Kakashi to help him until Naruto spoke. Itachi-sensei. Itachi looked at his student. Let's continue with the mission. I know Tazuna you can complete it in the week. I'm sure we can even finish the bridge sooner if I use my shadow clones. Both Kakashi and Itachi sighed. Kakashi was going to speak again before Hinata stood up. Itachi-sensei, I think we can do this. Itachi wasn't surprised to see Hinata stand up, and back Naruto Shino also took a stand. Sensei, I know we're ready for this mission. Too, I know I'm the most logical thinker when it comes to situations like this, but I know Naruto and Hinata are not wrong when they say we can do this. That's where Itachi was surprised. Shin was not the logical one of the group, and yet right now he threw logical thinking out the window and decided to follow his instinct. Kakashi looked at his two students. Well, what do you two think? Akamaru was the first to react with loud barking and wagging his tail happily, which meant he wanted to continue. Kiba smiled at how happy he was at Kamaru and said, I say we continue with the mission. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura was thinking deeply, but agreed, you have the right to do this, we could save an entire village, and Kizuna said he would pay the rest of our village the money you owe, so everything goes well. Kakashi had a smile on his face. Well, I'm glad to see you two want to do more than just try to prove something. Now we need Sasuke's vote. I'm in. Everyone looked and saw Sasuke. I don't agree with what you said, Kakashi-sensei. I have to fight that woman again. She made me look like a weakling. Naruto spoke up. Well, it all comes down to our sense, and now after all they have the final say in the matter. All the attention was on the two Hings in 6. Itachi let out a sigh and said, I think you three are ready for something like this, who knows, with the help of the shadow clone Shino's mistakes as our alarms and Hinata's Bakugan, we should be able to finish this mission sooner than later. Kakashi added to this, at this point, I would say only you four, he points to the squad 13, could continue. Yin-Nat knew why he said that, since everyone except Kura had injuries, or rather more serious injuries. I have a lot of cuts on myself, I suffer from chakra exhaustion, and I might be out of commission for at least a week. He turns to look at Kiba. Kiba and Akamaru have some broken and fractured bones, so helping wouldn't be too smart. Finally, he looks at Sasuke. Sasuke isn't in better condition, he has some broken bones, as well as his right eye missing. Sasuke wasn't too happy with that statement, didn't speak. Not necessarily, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi looked at Shino. Your squad could be a bodyguard squad of Tizuna's house, in case the bandits come to kill him here. Sakura couldn't find any logic in that. What if Gato sends Zabuza here instead of the bandits? Itachi spoke for a while. He can't send Zabuza and his men here. Sakura looked at him with a questionable look. He can't send them because Zabuza is also incapacitated. He left the battle quickly because what was wounded and his men weren't in better condition. Rato can pay him to do, but he can't control his condition. If Zabuza attacks now, he will fight me with less than half of his force. Hinata also added, Rato will probably send his bandits here when Tizuna isn't home, so they can capture his daughter Tsunami as a bargaining chip to stop the bridge construction. Kiba said, that makes sense, even Sasuke and I can handle bandits in our condition. Amur started barking at okay. Kakashi looked at Itachi, then it is settled. Itachi and squad 13 will escort Tizuna to and from his house to the bridge in case of a ninja attack, while we stand guard at Tizuna's house in case the bandits attack here. That sounds like a plan. Itachi nodded his head, as did everyone else. Tizuna got up from his knees. Thank you everyone. You don't know how much this will mean to the people here by saying that you will stay. You have saved us all. Tizuna was crying tears of joy. Naruto stood up. He felt good inside, as it meant he was helping save a village from tyranny. At the same time, he couldn't help the uneasy feeling he was having. Something bad was going to happen. I just don't know what it was all, he thought. Zabuza's hideout. 3 ninjas surrounded a bed in which a sleeping Zabuza late Saya was sitting on a chair with a pissed off look at the foot of Zabuza's bed. Aku was standing to the right side of Zabuza, and a man with light blue hair dressed in black pants, a shirt, white sleeveless blue ninja shoes, a tattoo of the number 5 on the right side of his neck, and had a 60th inch long katana blade with black writing that said, she'll have no fury as my eternal wrath, was standing on the opposite side of Hu. What was unusual about the man was that his headband, the metal part, seemed to fuse with the skin on his right arm, so Zabuza got his ass handed to him. Looking at Aku, who still had his hunter mask on, Ninsaya lashed out, it wouldn't have happened if you had been there to help us. A Boro spoke up, I would have thought you guys could handle the attack on your own first. Let's die. The demon brothers are probably dead or captured. Utsaya lost to some brats and Zabuza here is knocked out from exhaustion. He looked back up. Oi, where were you during all this? You said the last part in a sarcastic but indifferent comment. Aku remained silent, only to hear Utsaya speak again. Leave Aku alone, a Boro growled, and let the matter rest. They were interrupted by a short man with 2 guards who burst into the room. I hired your nuclear ninja to kill a defenseless old man, and you can't even do that. None of the 3 said anything to the man as he went to Zabuza's bed. I'm talking to you. Zabuza reached out trying to pull the sheets off, but he felt a strong grip on his wrist. He looked up to see that here he grabbed his wrist, almost breaking it. For a while he screamed in pain. Kill this son of a. Now the 2 guards pulled out their swords, and before his feet blood moved everywhere as the 2 men were decapitated. Where they were, Boro was standing behind the men with his hand on the handle of his sword and the sword still on his back. Don't forget Kataboro spoke, you hired us to do a job. The cat doll was Free, but I was scared out of my mind. Do something like that again, and I won't hesitate to kill you for a while. He ran out of the room, leaving behind the 2 decapitated bodies of his bodyguards. The 3 ninjas were looking at the door, through which he had just left when they heard a voice. I could have handled it myself. The 3 of them looked at the bed and saw Zabuza sitting there looking at his covered legs. Here he spoke. You don't have to worry about handling Bob like him. That's what we're here for. Zabuza took his hand out of the sheets, and in his hands was a kunai knife. He placed it on the nightstand next to his bed. It will take about a week, maybe less, to heal completely. Then we will attack the Konoha Leaf ninja. Zabuza looked at Oboro. I want you to take care of it. Chia, I will take care of Kakashi. Tsaya, you will handle the 2 genin you fought today. Aku took off his mask and placed it next to the nightstand. You handle the blonde boy you told me about. Aku nodded. I am his tool to be used as he sees fit. Zabuza Summit. Tsaya yelled. I want the blonde one. I can take him when I regain all my strength. Zabuza glared at her. His eyes practically said, you dare speak against me. She immediately settled down and looked away. Oboro said this could be fun. Still crowded in the living room, going over plans they could use when Zabuza returns. Kiba yelled this plan might work. Akamaru barked happily in agreement. Itachi was thinking deeply as he looked at his squad. Naruto, Hinata, Shino, follow me. He stood up and walked out of the room, followed by his squad. Tsunami. He bowed to Kakashi and asked where are they headed. He could train them. Naruto and Shino's skills aren't that active against our enemies, but Hinata's skill would be more suitable for fighting, since she's a lightning type. Kakashi said. Tsunami. He didn't understand and tried not to understand. Sasuke walked up to his sensei and asked when do we start training. Sasuke was irritated that they could only do so much in their training. He thought of Kiba as someone unteachable and Sakura as a lost cause, but he couldn't understand why she was barely surviving and training well. Sasuke, we can't do anything right now, since I'm not in a condition to walk right now, and I want to wait for Kiba to recover before we start any physical training. Sasuke was more angry because Naruto was going to be even more ahead of him now, but that doesn't mean we can't. I'm not going to teach you chakra control for our next exercise, so let's start with these. Kakashi holds out 5 small pieces of paper. These are chakra papers. The tree that these papers come from is powered by chakra. We then went through the process of making these small papers filled with chakra. Kiba didn't understand what he had to do. See, all this with training. Basically pump your chakra into these, and we can tell what element you are. If it gets wet, you're a water type. If it burns, you're a fire type. If it cuts you in half, you're a wind type. If it crumples, you're a lightning type. Finally, if it crumbles into little pieces, you're ground type. Now let's find out who you are. Sakura was skeptical at first. Are you sure we could figure that out with those pieces of paper? Kakashi smiled under his mask and held a paper between his index and middle fingers. They looked at the paper. Wrinkle. Now what does it mean when he does this? Kiba yelled. You're a lightning type. That's great. Kakashi looked at Sasuke. I already know your main type, which is fire, but that doesn't mean you can't know a second type. Kiba got even more excited. You mean we could have more than one element? Kakashi looked at Kiba. This time he does. For example, I know 5 elements, even though my basic affinity is lightning. Then he shows him the papers. We find out what your affinity is. Kiba seemed happy to be able to find out what his element, and Sakura too. Sasuke already knew his main element, but was eager to know his second one. Not sure what element to give to Kiba and Sakura, so I'll leave it there until I can think of something. Tazuna's backyard. Itachi was with Hinata, teaching him some more lightning style jutsu that he could use, since it could be his trump card, as Shino would say. Well, Shino was trying out new insect formations on 17 clones of Naruto, and Naruto was a little more out. He surrounded his body with his normal blue chakra as a shield from the pores of his body as 3 of his clones threw kunes and shurikens at him. It was mostly working. Once the projectiles hit his chakra shield, it caused metallic sounds as if weapons were hitting metal. He couldn't subdue it, as some of the weapons got stuck inside his shield, almost hitting him. If he had fought someone who could throw weapons at high speed, he would be hit, as there was a space of about 1/3 of an inch between them, his body and his second layer of blue chakra skin. This shield was also a chakra devourer, taking a lot of his chakra. His clones began to run through a series of hand signs, shouting a water or wind style. He would feel the hit and be forced back, except he would not take any damage. He was not proud of the progress he was making, as he believed if he completed it he could immediately protect himself from attacks, only to find out that some parts of his shield had weak points in random areas, so it would be impossible to tell where they were. Breathing heavily, he thought to himself, what am I doing wrong? I should be nearly indestructible at this point. He sat for a minute when the sound of a lightning reached his ear. Turning around, he saw Hinata was doing her family's signature rotation technique, but rays of light surrounded the spinning dome and only made it spin faster. Hinata slowed down and came to a complete stop, breathing heavily and almost falling before hitting the ground. Itachi stopped her fall and gently laid her down. Hinata. Naruto stood up and ran to her quickly. Hinata, are you okay? Hinata opened her eyes a little and put her hand on his cheek and said, I'm fine. I just spent a lot of chakra on that move trying to sit up. Itachi knelt down and looked into her eyes. Hinata, you must not use the jutsu unless you are being supervised by me, Hinata replied. But I almost have it. I can perfect it soon. Itachi shook his head at her. That move is powerful, yes. You trap your opponent in it, which doesn't exactly mean they'll let you hit them willingly. It also has one drawback. It was obvious to Hinata and Naruto what he was going to say. It drains your chakra too quickly. The longer you keep the rotation going along with the addition of your element, it will only drain your chakra faster. He says the jutsu is only good for lifting two fingers twice before losing consciousness. Hinata didn't bother trying to change his mind, as she knew it was true. Naruto told him. He smiled and said, don't worry, I know you can make the jutsu work. Hinata looked at him and smiled. By the way, Hinata, what is that jutsu called? Hinata paused for a minute and said, well, of course it's lightning style, so I don't know the jutsu. Leaning vortex. It's strange when I'm inside. It sounds like thunder resonating over and over again. After hearing that, Itachi thought to himself, if the enemy gets caught outside, he gets shocked and pushes them back mercilessly. But if they catch you inside you, they surprise you, they turn you around, and you most likely have a damaged ear. Thunder rumbling drum. This jutsu once completed could be a rank that at most. Until then it's a rank below. Okay Hinata, take a break there. Naruto, help her and then continue with the training. Naruto nodded and lifted Hinata bridal style. Hinata couldn't help but blush as he helped her to the porch swing that Sasuke and Sakura were tied to. Before gently setting her down on the ground, he smiled at her and continued training. Itachi was helping Shino with his formations, and Naruto decided to do some exercises out of the corner of her eye. Hinata looked over and saw a little boy wearing a dark green jumpsuit with a beige shirt underneath and a white bucket hat with two blue stripes on it. Needless to say, he was in awe watching them train. Yada spoke to the boy. Hello, what's your name? The boy was so lost in the sight in front of him that when Hinata spoke to him, he startled and said, watch, don't scare me like that. Hinata laughed and said the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. The boy stood up and looked at her. My name is Hinata. Hyuga. What is your name? My name is Inari. Inari tried not to look her in the eyes. I live here. Hinata was confused at first and thought he was Tsunami's little brother or something. Oh, so you're Tsunami's little brother? Yari shook her head. No, she's my mother. Hinata gasped for a minute and began to think that Tsunami looked so young and she would have never imagined that she had a son. Oh, I'm sorry, I just assumed that. How old you are? I'm 8 years old. Why? Inari asked rather coldly, thinking he would make fun of her height. Hinata kept her smile, just trying to pass the conversation. I see you're interested in my teammates. Inari looked away again here. Hinata slid over a bit to make room for her. Sit right here. Inari hesitated at first, but sat down anyway. Why are you here? Your grandfather paid our village to protect him. Well, he builds the bridge, they'll just kill you. Inari looked at her feet. Hinata was confused and asked, why do you say that? Inari had a single tear in her eye. Because my father said that he would protect us and this land we live on. But he lied. Hearing Shino scream Naruto and Itachi looked at Hinata and saw a small child with her. Hinata didn't flinch or move at her sudden outburst. She looked at her squad and gave them another smile. Even though they were only together for a limited time, they already knew what she meant. She could handle it, so they went back to training, ignoring what had just happened. Hinata placed a hand on his shoulder before he died. You were proud to call him dad. Inari shot up and he made eye contact with her. Yes, but he promised me that he would be there for me. Then she ended up dying. My uncle. Yari listened to her start, but then she stopped for a moment. My uncle was a good man. He had a wife and a son, and we all loved him. Back home one day my grandfather tried to kill me, myself, Naruto, my mother and my cousin Niji. My uncle knew about it and was going to alert my father, but my grandfather killed him. As soon as she turned her back, Yari was shocked that a member of her family would do something like that. My uncle died trying to warn us. We found him dead outside our village. 2 guards that were with him told us everything. I'm proud that my uncle believed in doing it right. That's all we could have asked for. Hinata watched Naruto's training. He was a good man, and I will always miss him. I appreciate the sacrifices your loved ones selflessly made to save you, no matter how foolish you think they were. What are? Yari stood up and muttered silently. You don't understand. He turned around and walked into the house, heading to his room. Hinata just watched him walk away and then continued watching his teammates train. An hour later, Itachi looked at the setting sun and yelled, okay, that's enough training for today. The 3 of them looked at their sense and stood up from their meditation positions. Yachi made them meditate a little more on chakra control. The 4 of them entered the house and met up with Kakashi and the others inside. Kakashi, he was telling his students about their elements and how they could use them better with the movements they already know. Itachi interrupted Kakashi. Kakashi looked at Itachi. They have designated Tazuna or Tsunami where we will sleep. Kakashi nodded yes. Tazuna sleeps in his room. His grandson sleeps in his own room. Well, Hinata and Sakura will sleep with Tsunami in their room. And all the boys will sleep here in the living room. Immediately Naruto jumped onto the 3-person couch and hoisted himself onto it. Mine. Before that, Sasuke and Kiba could React because the couch was a little too small for two people. Shino's bugs were already surrounding it, Mine said coldly. Itachi had snatched the only recliner. Well, no one was looking. Kiba sighed. So should have bought them while you guys were out. Sasuke frowned too. Do you have spare mattresses or something? Hinata and Sakura laughed. Well, now we'll go upstairs and get some sleep, Hinata said. Kiba looked at Akamaru. Well dude, looks like we're bunkmates at that point. Akamaru jumped off Kiba's lap and grabbed Sakura, who picked him up. It doesn't look like Akamaru is our bunkmate, said the laughing Sakura. Kiba looked at her in shock, thinking what a little traitor. The girl said goodnight and walked up the stairs to Tsunami's room. Sasuke and Kiba took out their sleeping bags and laid them out on the living room floor. Kakashi, on the other hand, made Naruto share the three-person couch, saying, your head is on that side, and I'll lay on that side. Pointing to the opposite side, Naruto pulled out his blanket and fell asleep first. Kakashi did the same, followed by Shino, Kiba, and Sasuke. Itachi volunteered to take the first watch for about an hour, with Kakashi taking the final shift each. Alternating until dawn tomorrow. The sunrise broke through the windows of Tazuna's house, and Naruto was awake finishing the watch shift, waking everyone else up, pushing him. Itachi and Kakashi got up easily. Shino and Sasuke got up somewhat lazily, but Kiba refused to get up after a good kick to the back. Kiba woke up. Okay, bathroom, someone asked Kakashi. One at a time, each got a chance to use the bathroom and get ready. Once they were dressed and ready, they all noticed Inari coming down the stairs. Hey, my mom just woke up, and your friends too, Yar reported half-heartedly, and went into the kitchen. Kiba grunted. A little bowl of sunshine, right? Naruto chuckled lightly. Itachi pulled out some money from his bag and handed it to Naruto and Shino. I want you two to go to the city and buy all the groceries you can carry if we're going to stay here. It's best to get supplies to the village. Tazuna walked down the stairs to watch the two boys walk out the front door, then walked to his living room, where everyone else was. Where are those two headed? Kakashi replied, oh, they're going to town to get some supplies, they'll be back soon. Kakashi reached into his backpack and pulled out an orange book. Can you guess what it is? And began to read. Sasuke looked at Itachi. Why do you have to get out of your pocket to get us supplies? I hope you like the video. Also, turn on the notification bell for next videos, and so here's goodbye to everyone.